You just said one thing. A married woman is the most fragrant. The next moment, you reincarnated from a perpetual single into a scumbag. He was a domestic abuser. Yet he married a famous singer. And she bore him a well-behaved daughter. But since getting married, she was unexpectedly fired by the company. It's all your fault, you jinx, that I lost my job. You couldn't help but complain. The previous self was a real bastard. At that moment, the mother and daughter, just abused, were trembling on the sofa. And Shin-Yu-Chu, holding the child. When she saw you staring at her, she instinctively hugged Wan-Wan tighter. Her eyes filled with tears. She had thought about leaving with Wan-Wan, but she herself was an orphan, and all the money at home was in your demonic hands. Seeing their fear, you let out a deep sigh. Since you're here, you might as well settle in. Then you slowly stood up and turned on the light. The warm orange light came on, illuminating the whole room. Looking at the mess before you, you scratched your head in exasperation. Then you first opened the window to air it out, and silently began cleaning up the empty bottles in the room. Shin-Yu-Chu still held Wan-Wan, curled up on the sofa, not moving, but a flicker of surprise passed through her eyes. You didn't rashly disturb the mother and daughter. Instead, you took a towel from the kitchen and started cleaning the table, until the room was spotless. You were already drenched in sweat, so you took clean clothes from the bedroom and went into the bathroom. Shin-Yu-Chu watched the closed bathroom door. Her tense body finally relaxed. She looked at the room you had cleaned. Her eyes showed intense disbelief. How could this demon suddenly change? Mommy, I'm hungry. Wan-Wan was well behaved. Mommy will make dinner for Wan-Wan soon. Shin-Yu-Chu stroked Wan-Wan's hair and said softly, she could only wait for you to go to sleep. Then she could cook for herself and the child. Just then, the bathroom door opened and you came out. The mother and daughter on the shabby little sofa both shrank back. You shook your head, ignoring them, opened the door and walked out. Shin-Yu-Chu froze, a look of despair in her eyes. Had he gone out to buy alcohol again? Hadn't he had enough to drink tonight? She and Wan-Wan would have to go hungry again. Shin-Yu-Chu bit her lip. Tears kept falling. Mommy, don't cry. Wan-Wan isn't really hungry. Wan-Wan thought it was because she was hungry that it made her mommy cry. She quickly reached out her little hand, clumsily wiping Shin-Yu-Chu's face. Shin-Yu-Chu bit her lip and cried even harder. After a while, she spoke in a trembling, gentle voice. Wan-Wan, be good. Mommy will put you to sleep. You won't be hungry once you're asleep. Mommy will get up early tomorrow and make you something delicious. Oku? Oku. Mommy, don't cry. Shin-Yu-Chu softly hummed a lullaby, rocking Wan-Wan to sleep. Watching Wan-Wan slowly close her eyes, Shin-Yu-Chu thought about the past 2 years since marriage. Her heart was full of bitterness. She finally decided to leave this hell tomorrow. Even if she died outside, it would be better than being tortured to death by this demon. Suddenly, the sound of the door lock came from outside. Shin-Yu-Chu, still lost in thought, couldn't help but tremble again. She instinctively covered Wan-Wan's ears, quietly listening to the sounds outside. You pushed open the door, instinctively looked at the sofa, and was momentarily stunned. They had gone back to the bedroom, but they hadn't eaten yet. You stared blankly at the food in your hands. After thinking for a moment, you placed the food on the table and walked towards the bedroom. Shin-Yu-Chu's body was tense. She heard your footsteps, slowly approaching the bedroom, praying silently that you wouldn't come in. But the next moment, I bought you some food. If you're hungry, come out and eat. I'll sleep in the side room tonight. Hearing this, Shin-Yu-Chu's eyes snapped open. Then she heard your footsteps gradually fade away. The room fell silent again. Only Shin-Yu-Chu's nervous breathing echoed in the bedroom. Wan-Wan had opened her eyes at some point. She had clearly heard your voice, and was curiously staring at the closed door. Today, that smelly daddy didn't come back to the bedroom to sleep, and it seemed he said he bought food for them. Thinking about food made her hungry again. She swallowed her saliva, looking expectantly at her mommy. Shin-Yu-Chu looked down at her daughter's expectant eyes. She mustered up her courage, tiptoed quietly to the bedroom door, opened it. The aroma of the food on the dining table wafted over. Shin-Yu-Chu's eyes moistened. He had actually bought food for her and her daughter. Faced with your sudden kindness, Shin-Yu-Chu didn't feel heppi, but a deep-seated fear. Why is he acting like this? What else does he want from me? Wan-Wan, barefoot, ran over on her little legs, peeking through the crack in the door. Then her eyes suddenly lit up, and she unconsciously drooled. But she didn't act on her own. Instead, she looked up, her big eyes fixed on her mommy. Shin-Yu-Chu took a deep breath, then forced a smile, picked up Wan-Wan. Wan-Wan, be good. Let's eat quietly. Wan-Wan quickly nodded her little head. In the room, you of course heard the sounds outside. You let out a deep sigh. After sighing, you started thinking. Just after buying the food, you realized this family now only had a little over 1,800 in savings. You needed to make money. After a moment, you suddenly sat up straight, thinking, why didn't I realize it sooner? This is a parallel world. You were excited, picked up your phone and started scrolling. After a while, a smile spread across your face. This world was indeed just lie in your memory. The cultural heritage and entertainment industry were completely different from your own world. Some songs that made you frown were topping the charts. You gripped your phone tightly. Your mind quickly searched for original songs. One classic song after another slowly emerged in your mind. As you thought, you gradually couldn't hold on, and dragged your tired body into a dream. The next morning at 6 o'clock sharp, you gently opened the door and walked out of the bedroom. The dining table and kitchen had been cleaned spotless. Shin-Yu-Chu must have cleaned up after eating last night. You stood there for a moment, thinking, then quietly slipped into the bathroom to wash up. You knew Shin-Yu-Chu usually got up at 8 to cook, because the old you always slept until after 10. Only after you got up and drank could the mother and daughter eat your leftovers. You unconsciously sighed again, then quickly finished washing up. Shin-Yu-Chu in the room was actually already awake, but she didn't dare to go out. The sounds of washing outside stopped. The door opened and closed again. Shin-Yu-Chu pursed her lips, her eyes fixed on the bedroom door, curious about where you had gone. After waiting a long time, there was still no sound outside. Shin-Yu-Chu glanced at Wan-Wan, who was still sleeping, thought for a moment, then mustered the courage to quietly get out of bed, opened the bedroom door and walked out. The smell of alcohol in the room had become very faint. The fresh air blowing in through the window smelled wonderful. This situation gave Shin-Yu-Chu a sense of unreality. It had been a long, long time since she had smelled such a fresh scent. Shin-Yu-Chu went to the window, looked out at the world, and unconsciously became a bit dazed. Until this moment, she suddenly remembered that she was only 24. After who knows how long, the door sound came again. Shin Yuchu was startled awake, then instinctively tensed up, turned around mechanically. You were also awkwardly frozen in place. You didn't expect Shin Yuchu to already be awake. After washing up, you found there was no food in the house, so you had just bought some meat, vegetables, and rice. Both of you were stunned. Only then did you get a clear look at your wife. She was very beautiful, much more beautiful than the internet celebrities and stars in your original world, but she was too thin. Her face was terribly pale, probably due to malnutrition. Seeing this, you felt a mix of pain, anger, and awkwardness. What a beast, to treat such a beautiful wife so badly. He really deserved to die. Good morning. I'll go cook first. You were the first to break the awkwardness. Carrying the groceries, you quickly walked into the kitchen. Shin Yuchu couldn't believe her ears and eyes. He had actually greeted her. And when did he learn to cook? Shin Yuchu silently watched the busy figure in the kitchen. A great sense of grievance welled up in her heart. She bit her lip hard. Her eyes gradually moistened. What was this? Pity? A sudden change of heart? Mommy. Wanwan woke up at that moment. Couldn't find her mommy. She ran out barefoot. As soon as she came out, her little nose caught the smell of food. She turned and stared at the kitchen with wide eyes. In the kitchen, you naturally saw the little one. So you grinned at her. But Wanwan was scared and shrank behind Shin Yuchu. You helplessly touched your nose. Soon, the food was ready. You looked at the two still standing stiffly in the distance. Go wash up and come eat. Wanwan was already swallowing her saliva, but she still didn't move. Shin Yuchu was also a bit frightened. Looking at the scene before her, you had been somewhat hopeful, but seeing their guarded expressions, your hopes sank like a stone into the sea. You were silent for a moment, then sighed again and said, "You two eat first." With that, you walked into the side room. Shin Yuchu didn't move. She watched the side room door close, then looked down at the hope in her daughter's eyes, and sighed inwardly. Wanwan, let's go eat. On the table was the millet porridge you made, golden and very tempting, along with two small dishes and a small bowl of steamed egg. The moment she saw the steamed egg, Wanwan's eyes lit up. Mommy, did Daddy make this for Wanwan? Shin Yuchu was momentarily speechless. She looked at her daughter's expectant eyes and finally nodded. Wanwan's eyes grew even brighter. She eagerly scooped a spoonful of egg custard into her mouth. This is the first time Daddy has cooked for me. It's so delicious. Shin Yuchu just ate silently. Her heart was full of struggle and confusion. Her gaze unconsciously drifted to the closed door of the side room. You sat at the desk in the side room. You were actually very hungry, but you knew the mother and daughter outside couldn't yet sit at the same table as you to eat. You shook your head to clear those thoughts, then took out your phone and opened the platform of this world. Deleted the old Otsao with a few thousand followers. Registered a new Otsao. Habitually opened the trending list on the platform. And then your brow furrowed. What kind of garbage is this song? Cramming at the last minute? How could such a cheesy song be trending? You had an idea. Found some long dusty manuscript paper from the desk. These were left behind by Shin Yuchu. You spread the manuscript paper flat on the desk. Your pen quickly wrote a 6-line staff on the paper. In your original world, you were a songwriter. Now it was just a matter of time travel. This little thing was no challenge for you. In just a short moment, a complete musical score appeared before you. You eagerly pulled out a guitar from the wardrobe. Then you sat at the desk with the guitar. Got into the mood. The next moment, you closed your eyes. Your fingers gently strummed the strings. As the guitar sound came from the room, Shin Yuchu, who was eating silently, suddenly froze. He can play guitar? Impossible. That guitar was mine. Shin Yuchu knew very well that he couldn't play guitar. At least, he couldn't before. But what was happening now? Along with the guitar, your singing voice slowly came through. Because I dreamed you left. Shin Yuchu was even more stunned. Her eyes were full of disbelief. Even Wanwan, who was happily eating, was captivated by the song. Stopped her spoon. Looked at the closed door of the side room. Her big eyes blinked. Wanwan tilted her head, looking in that direction. Wanwan knew this was the first time he had cooked for her. Daddy's voice was so gentle. Even though Shin Yuchu had never heard this song, she could tell how amazing it was. Such a beautiful melody. She found it hard to believe it came from your mouth, until the next line of the song came. Shin Yuchu felt a bit overwhelmed. She was confused again, afraid of the future, and afraid of this change in you. She was afraid this was just a fleeting dream. The song stopped at that moment. Wanwan also noticed her mommy was crying. She panicked and climbed onto Shin Yuchu's lap, reached out her little hand, trying to wipe away her mommy's tears. Mommy, don't cry. Wanwan will blow on it for you. Wanwan thought her mommy was in pain again. She wiped Shin Yuchu's tears and lifted her little face, pulled open Shin Yuchu's collar and blew on it. Under the collar, Shin Yuchu's back was covered in scars. You naturally didn't know what was happening outside because of your song. Right now, you were opening your Otsao. Clicked to record a 6DO. In the 6DO, you didn't show your face. Only the area below your nose was visible. You held the guitar and cleared your throat. This time, you were much more serious and played and sang the song completely again. After the song ended, you saved the recording, then trimmed the idle time at the beginning and end. Finally, extracted the ODO, submitted the copyright for the song and lyrics online. Once everything was done, you edited a title, A Lifetime with You, an original song for everyone. Hope you all lie it. Please lie and support. 6DO uploaded successfully. You let out a breath, thinking, it's finally done. Now just wait for the public's reaction. This song is a game changer in this era. You put the guitar back in the wardrobe, then rubbed your empty, growling stomach, wondering if the mother and daughter had finished eating. What a mess. Rubbing your stomach, you couldn't wait any longer. Gently pushed open the door, creating a small crack. Peeked out like a thief. Just in time to see Shin Yuchu carrying Wanwan away from the table. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. She clearly saw you. Froze for a moment, then quickly carried the child back into the master bedroom. You breathed a sigh of relief, pushed open the door and walked to the table. Finally, you could eat. Seeing the food clearly left for you on the table, you felt a little het pie. Then you picked up the millet porridge and gulped it down. finished all the food on the table. After cleaning up the dishes, with nothing to do, you wandered around the room, looked at the layout of the house. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 living room apartment, only 50 square meters. It was bought together with the money from both of you when you got married. The things in the house were from that time. They were already looking a bit worn. You shook your head, went back to the sofa and plopped down. It was hard to imagine how Shin Yu-chu had lived with the child in this atmosphere, hardly going out for 2 years. It felt like being in prison. You also knew you couldn't change things overnight, so you just huddled on a small sofa, fiddling with your phone, searching for how to maintain a family, how to make a child het pie, how to be a good father. The answers on lie were all over the place, making you scratch your head. Just then, the master bedroom door suddenly opened again. You looked towards the sound and saw a little head peeking out. Wan tilted her head, staring at you with almond-shaped eyes like her mommy's, looking at you curiously. Those bright eyes were full of innocence and clarity, making your heart melt. But Wan's face was too thin, just like her mommy. If she were a bit rounder, she would be even cuter. It was because the mother and daughter could only eat leftovers, and the food was mixed with alcohol. The little one couldn't eat it. The original owner didn't give them any money, so they could only eat one meal and skip the next. Seeing Wan, you instinctively tried to smile. But before your smile could form, you saw Wan get scared and quickly close the door again and run back inside. From the room came the sound of Shin Yu-chu soothing the child. Your smile froze on your face. You helplessly touched your nose. Time passed quietly until noon. You put down your phone and stood up. Time to make lunch. Just then, the bedroom door opened. Expressionless, Shin Yu-chu came out carrying a pile of clothes. She acted as if she didn't see you standing in front of the sofa. Walked straight to the bathroom. You clearly saw that when she came out. Her body stiffened for a moment. Was she going to do laundry? You suddenly remembered the clothes you changed yesterday were still in the washing machine. Thinking this, you quickly walked towards the bathroom. Shin Yu-chu was very nervous. She didn't expect you to still be home. Usually at this time, you would have gone out drinking with your friends. She heard your footsteps approaching her and became even more nervous. Her body trembled slightly. My clothes are still in the washing machine. Can I take them out to hang first? Shin Yu-chu, who was bending over to open the washing machine, was startled and even stumbled, shrank back into the bathroom. Be careful. You couldn't help but say another word. Shin Yu-chu only then realized he was asking for her permission. Her eyes darted, not daring to look at you. You go first. Thank you. You clenched your fists. Your hands were also trembling slightly. Your eyes couldn't hide your anger and heartache. You had just clearly seen Shin Yu-chu's neck, the purple-red blood marks underneath. You gathered the clothes from the washing machine. Didn't look at her, just said, I'll make lunch soon. Remember to call Wan out to eat. Wan is asleep. You can wake her up later. Shin Yu-chu shrank back again, looking very flustered. You knew your presence was only putting pressure on her. Helplessly touched your nose, picked up the clothes from the washing machine, quickly went to the balcony to hang them, then walked into the kitchen. In the bathroom, Shin Yu-chu, holding the clothes, was still frozen in place until the sounds of cooking came from the kitchen. She snapped out of it. She tremblingly put the clothes into the washing machine, but her gaze unconsciously drifted towards the kitchen, wondering what had gotten into him. Shin Yu-chu unconsciously touched her own nose, then suddenly froze again. When did she pick up this habit? Shin Yu-chu just stood in front of the washing machine, listening to the drum spin. Her heart was incredibly complicated until the clothes were all washed. She took them out and went to the balcony to hang them. And that man was busy in the kitchen, working hard. Wan didn't wait for Shin Yu-chu to call her. She woke up on her own. Her little hands were still rubbing her sleepy, big eyes. The next moment, when she saw you busy in the kitchen, her beautiful big eyes clearly lit up. Then she curiously leaned against the kitchen doorframe, watching your back. Shin Yu-chu finished hanging the clothes, turned around and saw this scene. Little Wan was full of anticipation. You were busy in the kitchen. Shin Yu-chu's spirit nearly broke down. She quickly turned around, leaning against the wall, covered her face with her hands and slowly crouched down. Tears silently fell. This was a scene she had only dreamed of a long, long time ago. This time, you still didn't eat at the same table with them. After placing the food on the table, you quickly walked out of the house. Hearing the door close, Shin Yu-chu hastily wiped the tears from her face. He stood up, hugged Wan, and walked to the dining table. Mo-ren knew how complicated his feelings were. Even he himself didn't know what he was thinking. The food was still as delicious as breakfast. The little one was already eating her egg custard, but this peaceful lunch for the mother and daughter was soon broken by the sound of the door opening. They instinctively looked up and saw you pushing the door open, carrying a large bag. Wan leaned closer to Shin Yu-chu. The small spoon digging into the egg custard was still in her mouth. Her big eyes followed your every move. You kept your eyes down, not daring to look at the startled mother and daughter. You just walked to the sofa, put down the bag in your hand and spoke. I bought you some ointment. Remember to use it. And I bought a toy for the kid. I don't know if she'll lie it. I saw other little girls have them, so she should have one too. Shin Yu-chu didn't respond to you. After you finished speaking, you paused, then continued. I know you won't believe me, but I still have to say some things. I won't drink anymore from now on, and I won't hit you anymore. You and Wan don't have to be so scared at home. The child is still young. This kind of atmosphere at home is bad for her. You said it all in one breath, feeling much relieved of the depression in your heart. You didn't wait for Shin Yu-chu's response, and silently walked back to the side bedroom. Shin Yu-chu watched your figure disappear, seeing the door tightly closed. She was even more at a loss for words. In just one day, facing this man's sudden change, she still found it hard to let her guard down. The woman in the bedroom felt even worse. Your eyes were red. Clearly, you had cried outside too. If it were possible, you would rather not have traveled through time, not know everything that happened here, especially seeing the scars on Shin Yu-chu's body. Your heart was so oppressed it was about to break. You really couldn't understand. Why could someone have such malice towards their family? They left some food for you after eating, but when you walked out of the room and saw the things you bought for them on the coffee table, the bag still hadn't been opened. You pursed your lips and sighed, could only sit down and eat in silence. But just then, the door to the master bedroom opened again. Wan poked her little head out, staring at you curiously. You quickly grinned at her. This time, she wasn't scared away. You felt a slight relief in your heart. The oppressive feeling was somewhat healed by this soft little one. So you put down your chopsticks, using all the gentleness you had, called out softly, "Wan." Your voice made her body tremble slightly, but she didn't retreat. Instead, she turned to look into the bedroom. Then, as if encouraged, she looked at you again. A childish and soft voice came from her mouth. "Daddy." Hearing this voice, you shuddered all over. Your eyes instantly welled up. This was simply the most beautiful sound you'd heard since traveling. But Wan tilted her little head, looked at you, who was both crying and laughing, and nodded heavily. Then stood up, took the doll from the bag. You held the doll and gently shook it at her. Wan's big eyes seemed to flicker. She looked at the doll, then turned to look at the bedroom. After a long time, she finally shuffled towards you. Your heartbeat instantly raced. Afraid of scaring this little one who had finally approached you, she walked up to you and lifted her little face, sniffled hard. The next second, she showed a het pie smile. "Daddy doesn't stink anymore. Is the doll pretty?" Her little hands moved, wanting to take it but not daring. Just stared at you with her big, dark eyes. You immediately understood her gesture, so you slowly crouched down to her eye level, gently placed the toy in her hand. Wan finally took the toy. Her little fingers touched the doll's skirt. Her eyes immediately curved into crescents, seeing her delighted expression. Your heart was filled with mixed feelings, especially when you saw her thin little face up close. And the faded, clearly too small clothes she was wearing. Your heart ached like it was being pricked by needles. She's only 3 years old. You gritted your teeth, quickly wiped away your tears, forced a smile, and quietly watched her play. At that moment, there was nothing else in your eyes. Meanwhile, Shin-Yu-Chu in the master bedroom, hearing her daughter's silver bell lie laughter outside, was already in tears. Not long after, Wan got sleepy, hugging the doll tightly, glanced at you, still smiling foolishly, and ran back to the bedroom. And what you didn't know was, in just one night, your song "You Are My Only" had already gone completely viral. At 10 o'clock that night, your 6DO had actually made it onto the trending list. At the same time, the door to Li Xia's office, the operations director at Dwayne HQ, was knocked on. A technician rushed in with a tablet, sweating profusely. "Director Young, there's a special situation. A 6DO reached the top 5 trending in just 2 hours. What's the panic? Another big influencer in trouble?" "Not a big influencer. It's a new Otsao registered today, and the 6DO had no promotion or push, just a song." Hearing this, Li Xia's face instantly changed. She immediately clicked on the trending list, and the surprise in her eyes deepened. It had already reached 4th place. "Let me see what song this is." After the song, Li Xia was completely captivated. First time hearing such a beautiful song, she immediately clicked on your profile, and saw your name, Buffon. Then, she ordered Lu Yun, "Push the 6DO now. Make sure it's number 1 on the trending list tomorrow." Lu Yun nodded firmly, knowing she had made the right bet. After he left, Li Xia listened to your song again. She tapped her fingers lightly on the desk. After a moment, she picked up her phone and sent you a private message. But you were completely unaware of this. You woke up at 5, washed up and went out for morning exercise. This body was in worse shape than you imagined. You were out of breath after running for a short while, running and stopping for an hour. You finally completed 5 kilometers. Got home at 7:30. As soon as you pushed open the door, you bumped into Shin-Yu-Chu, who had just finished washing up. Her hair was damp with water droplets. She was startled when she saw you. You paused, a bit awkwardly, and asked, "Is Wan still asleep?" "Go watch Wan. I'll cook after I shower. Is there anything you want to eat?" "And no, nothing. Just cook whatever. I'll go watch the kid." After saying that, she fled into the bedroom. You looked at the closed door, could only shrug helplessly. After showering, you were starving. The original body's alcohol addiction also started acting up. You could only cook, while frantically drinking hot water to ease it. Just then, Wan woke up. She was holding the doll you gave her, peeking at you from the kitchen doorway. You turned around and saw the little one, immediately broke into a big smile and asked, "Wan, what do you want for breakfast? Daddy will make it for you." Wan tilted her head and thought for a long time. "Egg custard." Wan loves egg custard. "Then egg custard it is." You replied affectionately, reached out to ruffle her little head, but afraid of scaring her, you quietly pulled your hand back. "No rush, take it slow." Wan was starting to accept you. This gave you hope and lifted your spirits. Even the alcohol craving and hunger seemed to disappear. You put the breakfast on the table. As usual, went back to your small bedroom, let the mother and daughter eat first. But this time, there was noticeably more laughter outside. You lay on the bed, picked up your phone, which you had silenced, wanted to track the 6DOS performance. But the moment you unlocked it, you were shocked. "Holy crap, how many notifications is that?" You swallowed and clicked on your profile. The next second, the over 1 million followers on the page almost blinded you. With an excited heart, you clicked on the 6DO. Over 2 million likes, nearly 1 million comments. The smile on your face couldn't be stopped. This was a true overnight hit, and the comments were all positive, urging you to release a new song. Next came the moment of truth for earnings. You clicked on the wallet in the back end. The number that appeared made your mouth drop open. A full 320,000. Without any ads. Just from traffic, you earned 320,000 in one day, even while you were asleep. You finally breathed a sigh of relief. You had money now. Life didn't have to be so tight anymore, considering you previously had only over 1,000 yuan to your name. Even buying groceries was a careful affair. You quickly transferred the earnings to your bank card. After the two of them finished eating outside, you pushed the door open again and cleared the food on the table. After washing the dishes, you grabbed your phone and hurried out. This old, rundown neighborhood you lived in was bought cheaply back then. You once dreamed of moving to a better house, but the original owner had not only squandered the savings, but even sold Shin-Yu-Chu's phone to buy alcohol. You walked out of the neighborhood, heading straight for the mall you remembered. As soon as you entered, you saw a major domestic brand phone store. A young female shop assistant's eyes lit up when she saw you, and she came over. "Handsome guy, looking for a phone?" You nodded, looked around the counter. "Let me see this one." "Handsome guy, great choice. This is the latest model. It even supports satellite calls. Do you have SIM cards here?" "Of course. Is it for yourself, handsome guy?" You shook your head. "No, it's for my wife." The female shop assistant was taken aback, a hint of disappointment in her eyes, probably thinking to herself, good men really are all taken. But she didn't hesitate in her words. "Your wife is really lucky, handsome guy. But to get a SIM card, she needs to come in person with her ID." "Alright." Didn't expect buying a SIM card also requires real name registration. "Could you please just pack the phone for me?" After paying, you hurriedly left. There were still many things to buy. Couldn't waste any more time. At the same time, after you left home, Shin Yu-chu cleaned the entire house, sat on the sofa, looking out the window. The smell of alcohol was gone from the house. The fresh air felt incredibly comfortable. Watching Wan play happily, Shin Yu-chu's lips curled up unconsciously. This kind of life was really nice. But the next second, the sound of the door lock turning suddenly came, jolting her from her thoughts. Wan also quickly scrambled up. Hugging her doll, she burrowed into Shin Yu-chu's arms. But instead, there was a commotion outside, mixed with your familiar voice. Slow down, don't scratch it. Stand it up and move it in. She quickly picked up Wan, wanting to go back to the bedroom, but her gaze couldn't help but curiously look towards the door. The next second, you and a strange man appeared in her sight. You were carrying a cream-colored sofa inside. Your eyes lit up when you saw Shin Yu-chu, a look of joy on your face. Could you pour some hot water for the workers to rest for a bit? Shin Yu-chu, who hadn't interacted with outsiders for a long time, was a bit flustered. Oh cool, I'll go get it. The smile on your face grew even brighter. Though drenched in sweat, you were full of energy. Then, you and the workers moved the new sofa in, and carried the old one out. Then the TV, the fridge, and the plants. As each new piece of furniture arrived, the house instantly transformed. It was completely renewed. The old, discarded furniture, you ended up selling it all for 800 yuan. Shin Yu-chu felt a pang of regret. Those pieces of furniture, though old, were still usable. 800 yuan was too much of a loss, but what she was more curious about now was where you got all this money. By her calculations, the family should be almost out of money by now. After seeing off the workers, you carried a large bag back to the living room, satisfiedly surveyed your work. Now this feels like home. You wiped your sweat, put the bag on the new coffee table, plumped down onto the soft sofa. The mother and daughter were still standing dumbfounded in the kitchen. Wan was hugging her mother's leg like a curious little one, looking left and right. Seeing the little one lie this, your eyes narrowed into slits, suddenly feeling a great sense of accomplishment. So you took a big pink toy out of the bag, and placed it on the coffee table. But your eyes were fixed on Wan. Sure enough, Wan's attention was immediately drawn to it. You reached out and beckoned to Wan, looking at her affectionately. Wan, come see what Daddy bought you. But Wan didn't come running right away. Instead, she looked up at her mother, until Shin Yu-chu's lips moved, but she said nothing. Only then did she hesitantly walk over. You immediately tore open the toy's packaging. It was a princess house. The princess house was a mess. Wan, do you want to decorate the little princess's home with Daddy? Wan's eyes instantly sparkled. She leaned in a little closer, until she was right by your leg. You smiled gently, picked up the little princess from the house, sighed in a sweet, playful voice. The little princess hasn't been dressed up yet. Daddy doesn't know how to dress the little princess, so I'll leave it to Wan. As you spoke, you handed the little princess to her. Wan blinked her big eyes, tentatively raised her little hand, until she touched the little princess in your hand. You kept smiling, placed the little princess in her hand, and used your big hand to hold her little one. The moment your hand held her soft, warm little one, the corners of your mouth lifted. Then you picked up a pink dress to dress the little princess. I'll leave it to Wan. Wan, will you teach Daddy? Wan felt the warmth of your hand, looked at the little princess, looked at you, who looked pitiful, and suddenly smiled. Daddy is so silly. Wan will teach Daddy. The little one smiled, showing her little white teeth, leaned against your leg, clumsily put the dress on the little princess. You started laughing too. You humbly accepted the little one's teaching, learning how to dress the little princess. At that moment, this small room suddenly became incredibly bright, and Shin Yu-chu leaned against the doorframe, quietly watching this beautiful scene. Her eyes gradually moistened, but you two didn't play for long. You looked up and saw Shin Yu-chu lost in thought. Her faded light blue shirt was now glaringly conspicuous. You suddenly narrowed your eyes. A thought flashed through your mind. This was a matching outfit from Wan's second birthday. Shin Yu-chu had secretly bought it behind your back, but because of this shirt, she got beaten, and her phone was sold. Remembering this scene, you fell silent instantly. The next second, you stumbled to your feet, covered your mouth and rushed into the bathroom, vomiting violently. You now realized, when a person with a conscience reviews such behavior from a first-person perspective, what a nauseating feeling of anger it produces. This sudden turn of events scared the mother and daughter outside. Shin Yu-chu shuddered in fear, rushed quickly to the sofa, and pulled Wan tightly into her arms. Wan burrowed deeper into her mother's embrace, afraid that the father who had just vomited would, lie before, suddenly rush out and hit them. After a long while, you stumbled out of the bathroom. Your eyes were bloodshot, looking at the frightened Shin Yu-chu and Wan. Your heart felt even worse. Your stomach turned uncontrollably, but you still forced yourself to endure the discomfort, and weakly said, I'm sorry for scaring you. I'm just feeling a bit unwell. Thinking that you were occupying this demon's body felt like a million ants were crawling on you. Seeing their still wary eyes, you let out a heavy sigh, and silently walked into the kitchen. Wan probably hasn't had enough fun yet. Play with her for a while longer. I'll make lunch. Shin Yu-chu carefully looked at your profile. So familiar, yet so strange. Finally, she nodded, and sat back on the sofa with Wan in her arms. Wan secretly poked her little head out. Seeing that you were still the gentle daddy, a smile finally returned to her little face. Until lunch was ready, the aroma of the food filled the living room. But Shin Yu-chu saw you put the food on the table, and then silently went back to the side bedroom. Her lips moved, but she couldn't say a word. During the meal, Wan held her small spoon in her mouth, suddenly frowned and asked her mother, why doesn't Daddy eat with us anymore? Shin Yu-chu was chewing a small piece of stir-fried meat. This was her favorite dish, because you couldn't eat spicy food. She hadn't had it in a long time. Hearing her daughter's question, she unconsciously looked towards the side bedroom, then turned back. She suddenly smiled, a smile as beautiful as a spring flower blooming. That's because Mommy and Daddy aren't ready yet. The little one didn't understand. Her little frown deepened. Meanwhile, you were in the bedroom, spacing out. You kept comforting yourself. It wasn't your fault, but it didn't change the fact that he was you. Helpless. You could only take out your phone and scroll through videos to distract yourself. Your 6DO was still high on the trending list. The comments were all urging you to release a new song. Just then, the sound of washing dishes came from outside. You put down your phone and walked out. Food was still left for you on the table. Shin Yu-chu was washing dishes in the kitchen. Wan was playing with her new toy on the sofa. Seeing you come out, Wan wasn't as scared as before. You smiled, walked over and gently ruffled her hair, then looked towards the kitchen. Shin Yu-chu had just come out of the kitchen and saw you staring at her. She instantly tensed up, her hands helplessly twisting the hem of her clothes. Seeing her so submissive, You couldn't help but frown and silently sighed in your heart. It was precisely because of her gentle and introverted nature that the original owner felt so emboldened to bully her. Thinking this, your slightly furrowed brow instantly relaxed. So you took the newly bought phone from the coffee table and placed it on the table. Looking at Shin Yuchu, your tone was gentle. I bought you a phone. See if you lie it. And there's something I want to discuss with you. Can you come sit over here? Shin Yuchu had been looking down. Only after hearing your words did she suddenly look up at you. The first thing she met was your clear eyes. Then she saw the brand new phone case on the table. Shin Yuchu hesitated for a moment. After a while, she softly hummed an acknowledgement, slowly walked over and sat down on the sofa. Is there something to discuss? Her voice was very soft. You had to strain your ears to hear it. But you didn't answer. Instead, you picked up the phone box on the table and opened it yourself. Took out the new Celeste-colored phone. You set it up quickly and handed it directly to Shin Yuchu. This phone is for you. You'll need to get the SIM card yourself. I've already saved my number in it. If I'm not home in the future, you can call me if anything comes up. As you spoke, you also pulled a stack of cash from your pocket and placed it in front of her. This was cash you had just withdrawn. Take the kid out for a walk this afternoon. It's not good to always stay at home. Buy whatever you want, especially clothes. Look, both of your clothes are too small. And get a bank card. Carrying cash isn't safe. You rambled on in one breath, saying all the thoughts in your mind. But Shin Yuchu just looked up, staring intently at you in front of her, listening to your rambling. Her eyes slowly reddened. Seeing he still hadn't taken the phone, he could only rub his nose helplessly. Don't you lie this phone? I thought the color was nice, and it's the latest model, so I bought it. If you don't lie it, you can go buy one you do. But Shin Yuchu gave you another deep look. No, I lie it. Thank you. Her voice was still choked with a slight tremor. Just then, your eyes suddenly met. You awkwardly looked away, but inside, you were relieved. Liking it was enough. No need to thank me. I'll go eat now. With that, you immediately stood up and quickly walked to the dining table. You started eating heartily. Actually, Shin Yuchu was still puzzled. Where did you get so much money? But she didn't ask. She just picked up the new phone and examined it closely. Wan, beside her, also leaned in, curiously looking at the new thing in her mom's hand. Shin Yuchu took the chance to pat the little one's head. The two of them, big and small, stared at the phone, studying it. After eating, you were drenched in sweat. You wanted to take a shower, but the mother and daughter were in the living room all day, making you feel very embarrassed. In the end, you could only gloomily return to the side room until 5 in the afternoon. When the heat outside finally subsided, Shin Yuchu, on the sofa, hesitated for a moment. Then she picked up the money on the table. Next, she led Wan out of the house. Wan hadn't been out for a very long time. She really liked playing outside, but before, her mom never took her out, and her dad wouldn't allow them to go out. So this time, she was exceptionally happy. The little one held a doll in one hand and held her mom's hand with the other, hopping along. Her big, round eyes were looking around everywhere. Everything outside was full of novelty for her. But Shin Yuchu was a bit nervous. Her pace unconsciously quickened. Looking at the passers-by on the street, she felt a strange sense of inferiority, especially with her and Wan's ill-fitting clothes. She felt others' gazes would inevitably linger on them. The mall wasn't far. She vaguely remembered crossing 2 streets to get there. The mall had changed a lot from her memory. In just 2 years, it seemed to have been renovated more exquisitely. As soon as she entered, she saw a phone store. There was a counter for getting SIM cards inside. Shin Yuchu hesitated for a moment, then led the child inside. There were quite a few people in the store. The staff all seemed busy. Shin Yuchu, who hadn't talked to anyone in a long time, stood there a bit lost. Luckily, a female clerk noticed her and took the initiative to come over. First, she patted Wan's head. Then, with a smile on her face, she said, "What a good little one. Miss, are you looking to buy a phone?" Hearing someone praise Wan, a smile also appeared on Shin Yuchu's face. "I want to get a SIM card. Can I do that now?" The female clerk still had a smile on her face. While talking, she guided Shin Yuchu to the counter. "This way, please. We have several plans for you to choose from. But may I ask what brand your phone is? If it's our store's brand, there's a discount on the SIM card." Hearing the word discount, Shin Yuchu's eyes lit up. She quickly took the phone out of her pocket, handed it to the clerk and asked softly, "Can this one work? It seems to be your brand, and I just bought it this morning." The female clerk was stunned for a moment. She took another careful look at Shin Yuchu. Not many of the latest model phones had been sold today, and she was here for a SIM card. The clerk naturally thought of you from this morning. So this mother and daughter were that handsome guy's wife and child? But why were they both so thin? And their clothes clearly didn't fit. That guy didn't seem like someone who would treat his family badly. The clerk couldn't figure it out, but she didn't ask further. Still smiling, she exclaimed, "So the handsome guy who bought the phone this morning is your husband? You are so lucky. This is our latest model phone. With this phone, you can get this plan. Recharge 100, get 100 fry, plus 600 minutes of fry talk time." She was still providing enthusiastic service, but this time, the service was for Shin Yuchu instead of you. Shin Yuchu, dazed by the talk, paid the money, and successfully got the SIM card. Even after leaving the phone store, the clerk's enthusiastic voice echoed in her mind. But she actually said he was a good man. Shin Yuchu really wanted to tell her, if he's such a good man, why don't you take him home? After getting the SIM card, Shin Yuchu also opened a bank otsao and deposited all the money she had. After paying for the SIM card, she had 4,900 left. You had given her a full 5,000 this time. Holding her phone and bank card, she walked out of the bank. Shin Yuchu looked at the tall buildings around her, suddenly felt alive. Now she could leave with her child. She could use this money to find a job, support herself and her child, even pursue her dreams again. The sudden freedom made Shin Yuchu stand there, stunned for a long time, until a childish voice sounded in her ear. "Mommy, can Wan have an ice cream?" She snapped back to reality. Wan was still holding her hand. Her big, round eyes were fixed on the ice cream shop nearby. Drool was almost dripping from her mouth. Shin Yu-Chu smiled, a bright and radiant smile. Det, but only one bite, or your tummy will hurt. Wanwan loves mommy the most. The mother and daughter had finally gone out. You took a nice shower, completely unaware that Shin Yu-Chu might not come back. After showering, you started preparing dinner. The usual 2 meat and 2 veg dishes. Tonight, you planned to make some noodle soup, but since you didn't know when they'd be back, you didn't make it yet. You put the dishes on the table, cut the noodles and set them on the cutting board. Then you went back to the living room and collapsed on the sofa. You picked up your phone and scrolled through parenting tips. What to do if a child won't eat? A spanking will fix it. That won't do. No way. Wanwan is so good. How could she not eat? Besides, such an adorable little one. You couldn't bear to lay a finger on her until you started to feel drowsy from scrolling. You yawned. Checked the time in the top right corner. It was already 7 in the evening. Why weren't the mother and daughter back yet? You suddenly sat up straight. Could something have happened to them? You were a bit nervous. Quickly stood up and put on your shoes, ready to go out and look for them. But just as you opened the door, you happened to run into them coming back. A fragrant breeze blew in from the doorway. You were completely stunned. Shin Yu-Chu was humming an unknown tune. Her steps were light. The corners of her mouth were raised, showing she was in a good mood. She was holding several shopping bags. Wanwan was holding her hand with one hand, and in the other hand, she still held the doll you gave her. What stunned you the most was that they had changed into new, well-fitting clothes. Their 2 lively, cute almond-shaped eyes were also stunned for a moment when they saw you. The next moment, Wanwan sweetly came up to you and called out, "Daddy." It was clear that going out to play today and wearing new clothes had made Wanwan very happy. That daddy almost made your soul fly away. You answered with a trembling voice, then crouched down and ruffled Wanwan's hair. You picked up the cute little one and walked into the house first. "Daddy will make you noodles today, Oku, with 2 eggs. Oko. Wanwan likes eggs. Wanwan loves daddy the most. Shin Yu-Chu, outside the door, stood there dumbfounded. The little one had just said she loved mommy the most, and now she had defected. Wanwan didn't have to wait long. The noodles with eggs were ready quickly. You brought the noodles to her, and tapped her little nose, then habitually turned to go to the bedroom. You had just turned around, when the little one suddenly tugged at your shirt. "Daddy, can you eat with Wanwan?" Her soft, sweet voice sounded again. You turned back to see Wanwan's expectant eyes and hesitated. You secretly glanced at Shin Yu-Chu sitting beside her. Shin Yu-Chu didn't say anything. She didn't look at you either, as if she hadn't heard Wanwan. She just focused on the noodles in front of her. You were a bit speechless. This situation was really awkward. Just give me a clear answer. What does it mean to not say anything? You could only tentatively ask. Then I'll stay and eat with Wanwan. Daddy, sit next to Wanwan. It was Wanwan who answered you. She happily patted the chair on the other side. You rubbed your nose. With an awkward expression, you brought another bowl of noodles from the kitchen and sat down next to Wanwan. Mommy was on the left. Daddy was on the right. Wanwan, in the middle, was surrounded by her parents for the first time. Her smile never faded. She even ate with extra effort. She finished the entire bowl of noodles cleanly. In the end, Shin Yu-Chu was afraid the little one would overeat and wouldn't let her have any more, so she stopped. But after dinner, Wanwan wanted both parents to play with her. Her wish to stay in the main room was dashed. In the end, only you played with Wanwan. After dinner, Shin Yu-Chu went back to the master bedroom alone. You could understand that letting you sit at the table to eat together must have been a huge mental struggle for Shin Yu-Chu. You put yourself in Shin Yu-Chu's shoes and thought about it. If you had been treated like that before, and then had to get along with your enemy, you definitely couldn't do it. No, if it were you, the original, you would probably be dead by now, chopped up and fed to the dogs. You played with Wanwan until 9 in the evening. Wanwan was so sleepy she was nodding off, but she still didn't want to go to bed. During this time, you also noticed a serious problem. Wanwan was already 3 years old, but the little one still couldn't take off her own shoes. Normally, a 3-year-old would be old enough for kindergarten. You knew this was because of the previous unhealthy family environment, so you couldn't rush it, but you still felt extremely distressed. Shin Yu-Chu came out of the bedroom just then. She didn't say anything, just silently watched you and Wanwan on the sofa. Her meaning was clear. You understood immediately and picked Wanwan up from the sofa. After kissing her little cheek, you said with a suppressed smile, "Wanwan, it's time for bed. Daddy will play with you tomorrow, Oku." Wanwan's nearly closed eyes opened slightly. She looked at your face, then turned to look at Shin Yu-Chu. Then her little head suddenly buried itself in your neck. "Wanwan wants to sleep with Daddy tonight." The sudden words caught you off guard and made Shin Yu-Chu's face darken slightly. The silence was the most awkward. You looked at Shin Yu-Chu innocently. This was the little one's own idea. It really wasn't your doing. Shin Yu-Chu clenched her fists secretly. This little ungrateful one, after all her care. In just 2 days, she had been corrupted by the enemy's sweet talk. In the end, the little one got her way. Shin Yu-Chu gave her a simple wash, and the little one happily crawled into your bed. Wanwan clung to your neck like a koala, refusing to let go. You let her hold you like that. This was your first time putting a child to bed. You remembered the parenting tips on lie, so you gently told Wanwan a bedtime sheet to read. Soon, Wanwan felt completely satisfied and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Wanwan was still asleep. You got up early as usual, quietly pushed open the bedroom door, and went to the living room to go for a morning run. The next moment, you couldn't believe your eyes. You rubbed your eyes. The ointment on the coffee table was gone. Your eyes gradually lit up. A knowing smile spread across your face. You left the house in a good mood today. Morning run, shower, and cooking. It took you a total of over 2 hours. After finishing breakfast, there was one more task for today. Waking up your daughter. Wanwan was awakened by your gentle voice. She rubbed her sleepy eyes. The moment she saw you, a cute, innocent smile bloomed on her face. The little one stretched out her 2 soft arms in a gesture asking for a hug from Daddy. You immediately reached out and gently picked her up. You put on the new clothes she had bought yesterday, then carried her out to wash up. You had learned how to take care of a child from videos, but theory was just theory. Now that you were putting it into practice, you realized how hard it was. The little one's body was too delicate. it. You didn't dare to use force, so the whole process was clumsy, especially when tying the little one's hair. You struggled for a long time. In the end, you could only manage a crooked ponytail. Daddy is a big dummy. Wan Wan saw her crooked hair in the mirror and pouted, teasing you. You pinched her little nose, making Wan Wan giggle. She also reached out her little hand to pinch your nose. Shin Yuchu came out of the bedroom and saw this heartwarming scene between father and daughter. She didn't say anything, just silently walked into the kitchen and brought out the breakfast. Perhaps even she didn't notice. The corners of her mouth had already curled up slightly. The family of 3 had a simple breakfast. You didn't give Wan Wan back to Shin Yuchu. Instead, you continued to take Wan Wan to the sofa and played with the dollhouse. But this time, while playing with Wan Wan, you casually taught her some simple numbers. The numbers from 1 to 10. After discovering Wan Wan's problem, you had secretly made a plan. During playtime, you would cultivate the little one's self-learning, starting with simple numbers, then some life skills. You would slowly teach Wan Wan. Obviously, this wouldn't succeed overnight, but luckily, Wan Wan was very smart. No one had taught her these things before. Now, with your subtle guidance, she quickly remembered some of the knowledge. And you noticed that since Shin Yuchu came back yesterday, she seemed like a different person. She had a sparkle that wasn't there before. This was a good sign. It made you feel much better. Shin Yuchu was downloading apps like job platforms while observing the interaction between father and daughter. She also noticed you were subtly teaching Wan Wan. She watched quietly. A hint of sweetness welled up in her heart. She had long wanted to teach her child, but with their previous family situation, life was already very hard. How could she have the ability to teach Wan Wan like a normal mother? Shin Yuchu withdrew her gaze and looked at her phone screen. It was indeed the latest model. The apps downloaded very quickly. In just a few seconds, several apps were downloaded. The moment Shin Yuchu logged into her WeChat, unread messages popped up. It was from Chuchu, her assistant who had been with her for 2 years. She only had a few people on her WeChat. Besides you, there were people from her previous company. Chuchu's messages had been coming non-stop from her wedding until 2 days ago, mostly asking about her situation, but she had never been able to reply. Looking at this string of messages, Shin Yuchu felt warm inside and immediately replied, "Sorry, Chuchu. I haven't been able to reply to you before. I'm doing fine now. Don't worry." Within 2 seconds of sending the message, a reply came back instantly. "Sister Shin, you're finally back. I thought you didn't want to talk to me after getting married." "Sister Shin, you don't know. After you disappeared, there were all kinds of rumors at the company, especially that annoying Liuli. She's been so arrogant these past 2 years. She badmouths you to everyone, saying you deserve it. It's so infuriating." Seeing Chuchu's message, Shin Yuchu pursed her lips slightly. Liuli was right. She did deserve it. Back at the company, she had always been above Liuli. After she quit, Liuli's behavior was to be accepted. "Chuchu, how have you been? Is life treating you well?" Shin Yuchu didn't respond to Chuchu's words. Instead, she asked about her situation. "I'm fine, Sister Shin, don't worry. I'm a tough cookie. But I miss you, Sister Shin. Will you ever make a comeback?" Shin Yuchu was stunned for a moment. A glimmer of longing appeared in her eyes. Would she make a comeback? She turned her head to look at you, then at Wan. After a moment, the longing in her eyes slowly faded. "Probably not. But if you want to see me, Chuchu, we can arrange to meet up sometime." At that moment, in the Tianmei Entertainment Building in the city center, a young woman about 1.6 meters tall put down the heavy equipment on her shoulder and excitedly typed on her phone with both hands. But soon, a sharp female voice snapped her out of her joy. "Zhao Chuchu, are you slacking off? Get to work. Do you think you're still the assistant to a popular star? If you don't want to work, get out." The owner of the voice was a woman with a seductive face. Her chin was raised, her eyes narrow. Her eyes were full of disdain. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and take the equipment to the recording studio. Can you afford to delay my recording?" Zhao Chuchu rolled her eyes at the woman, but still carried the equipment to the recording studio. "Okay, Sister Shin. I have this Saturday off. Let's keep in touch." Shin Yuchu looked at this message. A smile finally appeared on her face. She scrolled a bit more. Seeing no other messages, she switched to Weibo. Her last pot was from 2 years ago, announcing her retirement. Her original fan count of over 100,000 had now dwindled to a few thousand. Besides the bot accounts, there were still small fans who left messages caring about her. She casually scrolled through Weibo. The trending topics were all recent gossip, but among them, a few were about a recently popular song. "A Song for You," a divine song by a mysterious singer. With just 160, he gained millions of fans overnight. Incredible. Who is he? In that analysis, a look at recent treasure of a song. Shin Yuchu was curious about what this popular song was like, so she clicked on the title. The screen automatically jumped to a 60. A familiar guitar melody began to play. The living room suddenly fell silent. Only the song echoed in the ears of the 3. You awkwardly turned your head away. Wan, with her big eyes blinking, rushed into Shin Yuchu's arms and looked at the phone screen. Shin Yuchu was completely stunned. This familiar song, wasn't it the one that came from your room a couple of days ago? So that day, he was recording a 60. It was Wan who spoke first. She pointed her little finger at the phone screen, looked up at Shin Yuchu. "It's Daddy. Daddy is in the phone." "Det, it's Daddy." Shin Yuchu patted the little one's head and replied. Now she understood why you had so much money to buy new furniture. With millions of likes, how could you not have money? She turned her head to look at your chiseled profile. Her eyes were complex. Wan, getting her mom's confirmation, happily jumped back into your arms. Her little hands cupped your face. Her big eyes were full of light as she said in a childish voice, "Daddy is so gentle." Wan wants to sing too. Her 2 soft little hands were pressed against your face. Your eyes softened. You also cupped your daughter's little face with your big hands. Does Wan lie singing too? Det. Wan's eyes curved into crescents. She answered without hesitation. Your smile grew even brighter. "Great. Then Daddy will teach Wan to sing. When Wan learns, we'll sing on the phone. Oku?" Wan nodded her little head repeatedly. Wan kept nodding her little head. Then happily, facing your profile, she gave it a big kiss. You, receiving the reward, beamed with joy. Under the little one's admiring gaze, you quickly ran back to the side bedroom, grabbed the guitar, and returned to the sofa. You held the guitar and tuned the strings. Turning your head, you saw Shin Yuchu and Wan, both staring at you without blinking. Your face rarely flushed a little. Then, strumming the strings, "Today, Daddy will create a lullaby just for Wan. Daddy will sing it once for Wan to hear. Next time, Daddy will sing one line, and Wan will follow. Oku?" Wan nodded happily, her little face full of anticipation. This song is called Courage Explodes. Wanwan, listen closely. With that, you gently swept the strings, and a light melody filled the living room. Wanwan's sense of rhythm was surprisingly good. She swayed gently, shaking her head to the beat. You couldn't help but sway along with the little one. Watching this mother-daughter duo moving in sync, Shinyochu's eyes softened. A smile quietly appeared on her face. She even joined your rhythm. For the first time, the whole family was immersed in joy. At this moment, even the living room brightened. Following the song, Wanwan made a little fist and struck a superhero pose. You then put down the guitar and made the gesture along with the little one. Then you reached out and gently tapped Wanwan's nose. Wanwan pounced into your arms, her little arms tightly hugging your neck. Daddy, Wanwan likes this daddy. Don't go back to how you were before, Oku. Wanwan's soft, sweet voice echoed in your ear. You opened your mouth slightly, and tears suddenly welled up in your eyes. You held Wanwan tightly in your arms, your face buried deep in her clothes. Daddy will never be like that again. Your voice was hoarse but firm. Shinyochu couldn't see your expression at that moment. She was already in tears, but a smile hung on her face. She knew the old days would never return. Never again. You were the first to pull yourself together. You put the guitar aside and sat Wanwan on your lap. Wanwan, now let's learn the song. I'll sing one line, and you follow Daddy. Oku? Oku. Wanwan agreed very quickly. The rest of the time became a father-daughter lesson. The entire morning, the living room echoed with their singing. Seeing them absorbed in learning the song, Shinyochu quietly prepared lunch, but her cooking was clearly not as good as yours. At mealtime, Wanwan kept insisting on eating Daddy's cooking from now on. This made Shinyochu give her a jealous glare. She felt quite indignant inside. Little ungrateful one. Bought off in just 2 days. This family atmosphere made you feel at ease. It was how a real family should be. Wanwan learned very quickly. In just 3 days, she could sing Courage Explodes completely from start to finish. At Wanwan's strong request, you filmed a 6DO of her and posted it on the platform. In the 6DO, Wanwan wore a pink princess dress with a bow on her head. Her little body swayed to the Mio Dike. She was incredibly cute. Your face was all smiles while filming. Your expression was full of "this is my daughter" and proud arrogance. Shinyochu, watching from the side, caught a glimpse of your expression and almost choked from holding back laughter. It was the first time she saw you looking like this. In these 3 days, because of your good behavior, Shinyochu's relationship with you had eased a lot. At least she now took the initiative to say a few words to you. No one expected that the second 6DO on the Wufan Otsao would be a children's song. The song was still original and still so beautiful. Lu Yun at the platform headquarters spotted the 6DO immediately. After watching the entire 6DO, she didn't hesitate to give it maximum promotion. Such an adorable little milk ball. Such a beautiful song. Lu Yun had a doting anti-smile. Her mouth stretched wide. Soon, the platform's trending topics exploded again. The storm from You in My Life hadn't fully settled, but the wave of Courage Explodes had already begun. This time, the 6DO's popularity surged even faster. In just one afternoon, the likes reached 5 million. The number of comments was ridiculously high. This meant that by evening, you had to mute your phone again. You sat on the sofa with Wanwan in your arms, endlessly scrolling through the comments. The comment section was full of witty people. You couldn't stop scrolling. If I had a daughter like this, I wouldn't allow any blonde punks within 100 miles. That was the most liked comment. The next day, Saturday, you had just finished your morning run. Wiping off sweat, you pushed open the front door. You saw Shinyochu wearing a newly bought cami nightgown, coming out of the bathroom. She had clearly just showered and was drying her hair. Her pretty face was slightly flushed from the steam. You two stared at each other. A line of poetry suddenly popped into your mind. Natural beauty, lie a lotus emerging from clear water. This perfectly described Shinyochu at that moment. Seeing you staring at her like a fool, she instinctively covered her chest. Her face gradually reddened, even her earlobes turning pink. Even though you'd been married for over 2 years, this feeling was like a newly dating couple. Good morning. Shinyochu tried to calm herself down, greeting you. Her steps toward the bedroom involuntarily quickened. You simply replied. Shinyochu said nothing more and fled back to the bedroom. You smiled helplessly, shaking off the random thoughts in your head. You hummed a tune and walked into the bathroom. Shower, cook, wake Wanwan up. The daily 3-step routine. When you pushed open the bedroom door, Wanwan was still fast asleep. Her little mouth was slightly open, lying sprawled out on your big bed. After a few days of normal eating and sleeping, Wanwan's complexion had become much more vibrant. Though still thin, her spirit was visibly much better. You sat by the bed and watched for a while. Then you leaned down and gently pinched her nose. Wanwan, time to get up and eat. The little one on the bed pouted, her little mouth opening slightly. When she saw you, the corners of her mouth couldn't stop lifting. Then she slowly reached out her little arms to hug your neck. Daddy, she said in a milky, whiny voice. You smiled and picked her up. Walking out of the bedroom, you placed her on the stool in front of the sink. The little one had been washing her own face and brushing her teeth for 2 days. You stood by, supporting her and squeezing toothpaste for her, getting towels and such. Wanwan was very smart. You only taught her for 2 days, and she learned this skill. Shinyochu also came out of the bedroom at that moment. Her long hair was tied up high, in a little bun. This look of Shinyochu made your eyes light up. You nodded to yourself. This is the vitality a 20-something should have. Still too thin. If she were a bit plumper, she'd definitely look better. Shinyochu was still a bit nervous inside. Her cheeks were slightly red. This was the first time she had dressed like this at home. She wondered if she looked good. She looked up at you, still taking care of Wanwan. She quietly walked to the table and sat down. His eyes seemed to light up just now. That means it must look good, right? Wait, why do I care about his opinion? Shinyochu puffed her cheeks in annoyance, stirring her bowl with her chopsticks absent-mindedly. She was angry at her own lack of resolve. You then sat down with the washed-up Wanwan. Wanwan sweetly called out mommy, then picked up her own special little spoon, scooping up the golden millet porridge in front of her. Can you come out with us today? You were enjoying your meal with your head down when you suddenly heard Shinyochu's words. You looked up at her,
confused.
Shin Yu-chu nodded, not looking at you, but her earlobes were already bright red. Sure, you agreed very readily. On the way, you hailed Attack 11. You were heading to the Yida Plaza in the city center today. Shin Yu-chu and her former assistant, Zhao Chuchu, had arranged to meet at a milk tea shop there. The reason you and Wan were coming along was entirely because Zhao Chuchu wanted to see the little one, and the little one had become your shadow these past 2 days, inseparable from you. So you were purely benefiting from the little one's presence. After 2 years, she could finally see Sister Shin again. Zhao Chuchu was very excited. She bought several cups of milk tea in advance, sat down in her seat, and kept her eyes fixed on the milk tea shop entrance. Zhao Chuchu had worked with Shin Yu-chu for a year and a half. They were Lai sisters. Shin Yu-chu had been very good to her, but unfortunately, Shin Yu-chu later got together with you. She didn't understand why Sister Shin had to be with that worthless man. She couldn't figure it out and had tried to persuade her. Back then, Shin Yu-chu seemed to have made up her mind and wouldn't listen to any advice. Zhao Chuchu's mind was wandering when she suddenly saw that familiar figure holding a bouncing little milk ball, walking in from the shop entrance. Her eyes lit up. She stood up abruptly and waved her left hand. Sister Shin, over here. Shin Yu-chu heard the voice, looked up, and saw Zhao Chuchu's waving hand. A smile naturally spread across her face. Chuchu really hasn't changed, still so lively and cheerful. When they got close, both their eyes, besides joy,
were a bit teary.
After a long separation, the sisters meeting again made it hard for them to contain their emotions. Zhao Chuchu carefully examined Shin Yu-chu.
Her eyes grew redder.
She grabbed Shin Yu-chu's hand, her little mouth pouting. Sister Shin, you've lost so much weight. Is that man treating you badly? Where is he? I'll teach him a lesson for you. Shin Yu-chu pursed her lips, sat down with Zhao Chuchu, and placed Wan beside her. Then she spoke. Chuchu, don't worry. He treats me well now. And you? After I left, has your work been going smoothly?
I'm doing fine too.
Sister Shin, you don't know how much I miss you. The two asked about each other's recent lives.
After chatting for a while,
Zhao Chuchu finally shifted her gaze to the little one. The little one had been well behaved beside them. Zhao Chuchu had been so focused on catching up with Shin Yu-chu that she hadn't really looked at her. Now, taking a closer look,
her eyes immediately lit up.
She looks so much like Sister Shin, like a carbon copy, especially those big, lively eyes. You can't help but fall in love with this little one at first sight. Sister Shin, is this Wan? She looks just like you. So cute. Zhao Chuchu said as she left her seat, crouched down in front of the little one, and reached out to touch her little face.
Then her brow furrowed slightly.
The little one was as thin as Sister Shin. Zhao Chuchu was now extremely angry inside. She was sure that worthless man must be treating Sister Shin and the child badly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She now wanted to confront that man face to face.
So she looked up at Shin Yu-chu.
Sister Shin, you said he would come too. Where is he? Shin Yu-chu could feel Zhao Chuchu's hostility toward you, but she didn't know how to explain. She could only smile awkwardly. Wan wanted ice cream.
He went to buy some for the child.
Zhao Chuchu naturally saw the expression on Shin Yu-chu's face.
Her anger grew even more.
Shin Yu-chu had always been gentle and reserved, but now that gentleness held a hint of timidity. She could feel it. Afraid of scaring the child, Zhao Chuchu could only snort coldly
and returned to her seat.
But inside, she was gritting her teeth, wanting to kill you. Zhao Chuchu was about to speak when she suddenly stopped.
Her gaze sharpened.
Looking for the milk tea shop entrance. Shin Yu-chu was startled. Her expression grew even more awkward. She thought it was you, causing Chuchu's hostility.
Just as she turned to look,
a slightly shrill voice came from behind her. Zhao Chuchu, you have time for milk tea? Have you finished the work I assigned you? Liu Li, are you done? Today is a day off.
Zhao Chuchu's face darkened.
She glared at the speaker like an angry cat.
Shin Yu-chu turned around and saw that it was Liu Li,
a popular young star from her former company, who also followed the path of a powerhouse singer. Isn't this Sister Shin? Shouldn't you be at home, quietly being a good wife and mother? Why are you out meeting Chuchu? Liu Li's eyes held a smile, but her words were full of sarcasm. Before Shin Yu-chu could say anything, Zhao Chuchu beside her got angry first. Liu Li, mind your own business. It's not a work day. Stop being so sarcastic here. Sister Shin, let's go. There's a mad dog barking here.
It'll ruin our mood.
Zhao Chuchu finished, picked up Wan, and grabbed Shin Yu-chu's hand to leave. But Liu Li stepped in front of them. She looked at Shin Yu-chu, raised an eyebrow, and smiled. Oh, Sister Shin, why are you so thin? Like tough? If it's hard, just tell your little sister. I can spare some charity. After all, I'm kind-hearted. Look, Chuchu is now working as my assistant.
Life's not bad, right?
Zhao Chuchu's face was ashen. She stared at Liu Li without a word. Shin Yu-chu suddenly turned to look at Zhao Chuchu, her eyes full of disbelief. She knew that assistant meant a menial job. How could the company make Chuchu do this?
But now was clearly not the time to ask.
Shin Yu-chu turned back to Liu Li, her gaze now angry. Just as she was about to speak,
Zhao Chuchu spoke first.
My contract with the company ends at the end of the month.
I'll resign then.
I just hope someone doesn't rise too high and fall too hard. If Sister Shin makes a comeback, someone would probably wake up screaming from nightmares.
Liu Li was taken aback. She did have some lingering fear of Shin Yu-chu.
After all, Shin Yu-chu had overshadowed her for a year and a half. During that time, who knew who Liu Li was?
But Liu Li quickly laughed.
She looked at Shin Yu-chu with contempt. A comeback? That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. What company would sign a has-been with a child? Speaking of children, Shin Yu-chu,
your kid looks pretty good.
You could consider grooming her as the next rising star.
Liu Li spoke with disdain.
And even recklessly reached out to pinch Wan's cheek.
Get your dirty hand away. I dare you to touch her.
I'll make you cry with nowhere to go.
Your gaze was fierce.
You quickly walked up to Shin Yu-chu, handing the ice cream to the three of them.
Then you faced Liu Li,
locking Shin Yu-chu and Wan behind you.
Liu Li was startled
and involuntarily stepped back 2 paces. Your angry demeanor was quite intimidating.
But she steadied herself,
looked at you closely, and suddenly laughed.
So it's this pretty boy.
The useless face. I thought it was unimportant.
It's just you. What? Are you going to hit me in a public place? You frowned and looked back at Shin Yu-chu,
your eyes questioning, clearly asking her,
where did this shrew come from? She's a singer from my former company. I didn't expect to run into her here. Your angry look might not scare others, but Shin Yu-chu was a bit afraid.
Seeing you look at her, she lowered her head slightly.
Seeing Shin Yu-chu lie this, you frowned even more. You sighed inwardly.
Without asking Shin Yu-chu further, you turned around, looking down at the singer Liu Li. So I've never heard of you.
I don't know you either.
I only know that a good dog doesn't block the way. Please move aside. You said this very seriously. Hearing this, Lily's voice became even shriller. You need to know your place.
Do you think I don't know?
They're always treating them to drinks all the time, and now you're pretending to be a big shot in front of me? You thought for a moment about these two names,
and finally remembered who they were.
They were members of the boy band the original you was in. After leaving the circle, the original you wanted to make a comeback, and indeed often treated them to drinks to curry favor, but they didn't even give you the time of day. I'm not familiar with those two you mentioned. If you keep this up, don't blame me for calling security. Lily shot you a vicious glare, but obediently moved aside. You took Shinyochu's hand and signaled Zhao Chuchu to follow.
You walked straight out. But as you passed Lily,
she suddenly spoke to Shinyochu again.
Oh, what a pity. Someone can't sing anymore.
Shinyochu, my new song drops at the end of this month. With that, Lily laughed happily.
How can Shinyochu compare to me? Lily's voice echoed in their ears.
Zhao Chuchu wished she could slap her right then. She knew Shinyochu loved singing.
And now she couldn't.
Saying that was lie stabbing her in the heart. Your steps paused for a moment.
You took a deep look at Lily.
Then continued walking out with a blank expression. Shinyochu said nothing.
Just pursed her lips slightly.
But then a childish voice suddenly rang out.
Clear and firm. Mommy sings better than you.
You're a mean auntie. Everyone was stunned.
No one expected
the little one to speak up for her mother.
You were only stunned for a second.
Then smiled and ruffled the little one's head. You thought to yourself, impressive. That's my daughter for sure. You were still a bit angry.
But Wan's words
immediately made your anger vanish into thin air.
Ignoring Lily's reaction,
you all left that place of trouble.
You went to a restaurant.
Shinyochu and Zhao Chuchu chatted. There were things she was worried about but hadn't asked on the way. Now that they were seated with no outsiders, she took Zhao Chuchu's hand and finally asked the question she'd been wanting to ask. Chuchu, how did you end up as Lily's assistant? And Sister Yun, what is she doing now? Sister Yun was Shinyochu's former agent, almost 40 years old, but she had always been very good. Hearing Shinyochu's question, Zhao Chuchu's expression couldn't hide her sadness. After you left, Sister Yun was fired not long after. She looked for a job for a long time but couldn't find one. Then her mother got sick and was hospitalized. She needed to take care of her mother in the hospital, so she only found a job as a nanny. Shinyochu hadn't expected Sister Yun to have fallen to such a state. Her vision blurred slightly. She could vaguely recall Sister Yun's efficient manner back then. Both fell silent. Shinyochu pursed her lips. She knew it was all her fault. If it weren't for her own stubbornness, Sister Yun wouldn't be like this. She had defied the company's orders so many times for her. When she was successful, the company naturally said nothing. But when she just up and quit, you can imagine what Sister Yun must have faced. The atmosphere was heavy. After a quick meal, Zhao Chuchu talked with Shinyochu for a while longer, then hurriedly left. Shinyochu's mood remained very low. You had planned to take Wan to the amusement park in the afternoon, but now she had no heart for it. You could naturally feel her mood. You wanted to say something, but in the end, you didn't. Actually, you didn't understand either. Why Shinyochu had been so infatuated back then, choosing to marry you. The original you didn't know, and you knew even less. Shinyochu wanted to go home. She wanted to be alone. But when she saw Wan's expectant eyes, I felt a bit reluctant to not disappoint Wan. In the end, your family of three still came to the amusement park. The little one was very happy. It was her first time at an amusement park. She grabbed your hand and wanted to rush in. Shinyochu barely managed to cheer up. She didn't want to think about the future. When Wan recalls her first amusement park trip, she would remember a sad family. After riding the carousel first, they played a few more rides. The sky darkened without them noticing. The park lit up with colorful lights. The last ride was the Ferris wheel. When you carried Wan and Shinyochu got in, Wan was already fast asleep in your arms. The Ferris wheel slowly rose. The colorful buildings below shrank. But what you didn't know was that Shinyochu was also at an amusement park for the first time, and it was her first Ferris wheel ride. Her almond eyes curiously looked outside the cabin. Her eyes sparkled. She looked out the window, and you looked at her. Maybe she noticed your gaze. Her earlobes slowly turned red. She gave you a playful glare. You had never seen that look before. It was a bit overwhelming. The light on the Ferris wheel shone on her thin face. You suddenly felt a bit dazzled. The Ferris wheel kept rising, and then, all around the castle, fireworks shot into the sky almost simultaneously. At that moment the fireworks bloomed. You clearly saw a breathtaking smile appear on Shinyochu's face. It was a smile from the heart. You were completely mesmerized. The Ferris wheel slowly reached its peak. The fireworks were even clearer. Shinyochu's pretty face was even more enchanting. You don't have to be afraid, lie before. Your voice was a bit soft over the fireworks. Shinyochu didn't hear clearly. She turned to look at you with a question. You didn't look at her. You kept watching the brilliant fireworks in the sky. You whispered, "You're too gentle. That's not good. You'll get bullied. You don't have to be afraid, lie before. I know you want to sing. I also know you have many things you want to do. Go ahead. I'll take care of Wan. Shinyochu didn't respond. She turned her face, and you saw two streaks of tears on her face. She pursed her lips, staring at you without blinking. The intense grievance and complexity in her eyes threatened to drown you. You suddenly got nervous, not understanding why. She suddenly started crying. Who are you? Shinyochu kept staring at you. Her almond eyes were misty. Her voice was soft, but it rang so loudly in your heart. You were stunned. The air grew silent. Even the sound of fireworks seemed to disappear. After a long while, you smiled at her gently. Then you spoke, your voice suddenly a bit hoarse. "I'm Lu Fen." Shinyochu kept looking at you. Your smile made her heart suddenly race. Lie a deer bumping around. Your answer was something she never expected. She looked into your clear, bright eyes. Her tears fell even faster. She hugged her knees, bowed her head and sobbed softly. Then she spoke, "Det, you're Lu Fen. Who else could you be?"
Let me tell you a cliché shitari. There was a little girl in an orphanage. She was very timid, but there was always a boy 1 year older protecting her. One day, she was bullied by a group of boys. That brother stood in front of her, never letting her get hurt. But he was bruised all over. At that time, in her eyes, that brother, 1 year older, was her whole world. But after that, the brother disappeared. Until later, when she grew up, she saw that brother again, and she married him as she wished. After hearing this, you were a bit speechless. Now you finally understood some things. Shin Yuchu looked up, her eyes blurry with tears. She looked so lonely and pitiful. She finally revealed the secret in her heart. No one understood her stubbornness. Everyone thought it wasn't worth it for her. Only she herself believed it was worth it. But the result was so terrible. She had also regretted it countless times. Until you appeared now. She asked who you were, and you said you were Lu Fen. That was enough. You suddenly understood Shin Yuchu's feelings. Seeing the tenderness and care in your eyes, Shin Yuchu couldn't hold back anymore. She threw herself into your arms. Wan Wan was fighting for space in your arms. She sobbed softly, waking Wan Wan up. Wan Wan, with sleepy eyes, looked confused as her mom took her spot. The little one was stunned for a moment, then happily hugged her dad with one arm, and her mom with the other. She gave them both a kiss on the cheek. Today was Wan Wan's best day. You looked at the two beauties in your arms and couldn't help but laugh. Life was moving in a good direction. That was enough, but some plans needed to change. The fireworks gradually ended. The Ferris wheel slowly descended. Shin Yuchu walked ahead holding Wan Wan. You followed behind. Watching Shin Yuchu walk briskly, you rubbed your nose. After getting off the Ferris wheel, Shin Yuchu had left your arms. She seemed to instantly revert to her usual cold attitude towards you. Shin Yuchu was very nervous inside. Even her arms holding Wan Wan were tense. She felt her earlobes and cheeks burning. She had just stayed in your arms for so long, and even rubbed against you like a little girl. How embarrassing. She must think you were secretly laughing at her. When she came out of the Ferris wheel, she saw the hidden smile on your face. Thinking of this, Shin Yuchu walked even faster, as if she was speed walking. You didn't know why this woman suddenly had so much energy. You had to jog to keep up with her, until you left the amusement park gate. Seeing Shin Yuchu still not stopping, you had to call out to stop her. Hey, are you planning to walk home? Let's take attack 11 here. Shin Yuchu finally stopped. She stood by the road but didn't look at you. She was even more sure you were laughing at her behind her back. Damn, even more embarrassing. After waiting a long time, you finally got attack 11. This was the first time you thought about buying a car. Back at home, you carried Wan Wan to her room and settled her in. You quickly walked to the bedroom. After lying down, you quickly fell asleep. Compared to your sound sleep, Shin Yuchu was tossing and turning. She lay in bed and closed her eyes. The scenes from the amusement park today kept appearing in her mind. Shin Yuchu irritably pulled the blanket over her face, trying to force herself to sleep, but her constantly fluttering eyelashes constantly showed how unsettled her heart was. At 6 in the morning, you woke up as usual. Morning run, wash up, cook, woke Wan Wan up and finished the routine. But Shin Yuchu didn't come out of her room. Looking at the closed master bedroom door, you scratched your head. It seemed you did come back quite late last night. She was still sleeping. You didn't plan to wake her, just leave her some breakfast. Then you washed the dishes and put them away. When you came out of the kitchen, Shin Yuchu had also gotten up, her pretty face slightly flushed as she walked through the living room to the bathroom to wash up. Do you still want to sing? You asked. Hearing your voice, Shin Yuchu was a bit stunned. She didn't react for a while. You leaned against the bathroom doorframe with your phone, quietly waiting for her answer. After a moment, her soft voice reached your ears. Just one word. No further answer. In Shin Yuchu's heart, the current life was already beyond what she dared to imagine 2 years ago, and singing was a distant dream, buried deep in her heart. You didn't ask further, just nodded, then went back to the side room with your phone, opened your background messages and searched. Your background messages were already exploding. Since the first 6 DO was posted, you had only glanced at them, and hadn't looked since. Now it was hard to find anything, but you still scrolled through the screen silently, patiently filtering through them one by one. Finally, your eyes lit up. You clicked on one of the messages. Looking at the content, your fingers unconsciously tapped the screen. Or some considerations. Originally, your purpose in posting videos was just to make money. Once you made enough money to settle Wan Wan and Shin Yuchu, then you would step back. But after yesterday's events, you changed your mind. The content of this message was simple. Starlight Entertainment sincerely invites you to join our team. With your musical talent, we will make you a top superstar in the shortest time. At the end of the message was Starlight Entertainment's contact number. Starlight Entertainment was one of the 3 giants in the country's entertainment industry. You didn't hesitate, entered Starlight Entertainment's contact number, and called. The phone rang a few times before it was answered. A mature female voice came through the receiver. Hello, who is this? Hello, my Otsao name is Buffon. I received your company's invitation message. Is it convenient to talk now? At that moment, far away in the Magic City headquarters, Li Xia answered the phone. A bit stunned. She didn't expect this creator named Buffon would actually call her. After all, it had been a few days since she sent the invitation. She thought he wouldn't enter the entertainment industry. Hello, are you still there? Hearing no sound on the other end, you asked again. Li Xia suddenly snapped back to reality. Then an uncontrollable joy appeared on her face. You see, in the past few days, the hottest thing online was undoubtedly this mysterious guy. Mr. Buffon, I am Li Xia, Deputy Director of the Human Resources and Administration Department at Starlight Entertainment. Are you interested in joining Starlight Entertainment? Director Li, I'm so I currently have no plans to enter the entertainment industry, but I want to recommend a singer to you. I wonder if your company is interested. Li Xia was a bit disappointed. She shook her head with a wry smile. She wanted Buffon. Mr. Buffon, it's like this. I'm just a deputy director. If it were you coming, with your fame, I could make the decision myself, but if it's someone else, don't worry about that. The person I recommend sings at a top-tier level, and I will compose and write songs for him. Mr. Buffon, I understand your meaning. I need to consult with my superiors. Oh, cool. I'll wait for your news. 5 hours later, the other party called back. Mr. Buffon, we've discussed it. We can let the person you recommend join the company, but the higher-ups mean you currently only have 2 songs, and one of them is a children's song. Don't get me wrong, both songs are great, but the higher-ups still want to see your composing ability. Is that convenient? Sure enough, with only 2 songs, they didn't believe in your ability. Composing? Okay, your answer was simple and clear. Li Xia's heart was quite anxious, but hearing Bufan agree so readily, she felt a bit relieved. Today, she had been busy with this for a long time. She believed in Bufan's talent, but the higher-ups were still skeptical. In the end, the company agreed to give Bufan a chance. Recently, Huiying had given several entertainment companies a tough problem. They had invited many lyricists and composers for this problem, but none were satisfactory. All were rejected in the end. If Bufan could solve this problem, the company would never doubt him again. Mr. Bufan, about the specifics, can we meet to discuss? You'll need to come here. For on-site lyric and composition work, Li Xia said very sincerely. She also wanted to see what this mysterious guy looked like. You thought about it. At home, besides taking care of the kids, there wasn't much else to do, so you readily agreed. Okay, what time and place? The Magic City. If possible. It's best if you come tomorrow. After all, the sooner, the better for you. It better shows your value. Then tomorrow afternoon, after hanging up, you booked a flight for 10 o'clock the next morning. Soon, you fell into a deep sleep. When Shin Yuchu came back with Wan Wan, she saw you sleeping soundly. Wan Wan walked to the sofa and gently snuggled into your arms. In your dream, you felt a kitten rubbing against your face. You couldn't breathe and woke up with a start. Wan Wan's cheerful laughter echoed in your ears. You looked down and realized it was your precious daughter pinching your nose with her soft little hand. Daddy, time to eat. You smiled. Suddenly felt that this kind of life was pretty good. The aroma of food drifted from the dining room, making you feel hungry. Shin Yuchu then walked out of the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of rice. She glanced at you and said softly, since you were still asleep, I made lunch. It looked delicious, and you were hungry. Hearing your compliment, Shin Yuchu was a bit shy. She nodded and went back to the kitchen, bringing out another bowl of rice. The family ate together. You put a piece of crispy pork in Wan Wan's bowl, turned to Shin Yuchu and said, I need to go out tomorrow. I'm not sure how many days I'll be gone. Shin Yuchu was drinking soup when she suddenly heard your words. She choked and couldn't stop coughing. You quickly handed her a tissue, looking worried. Shin Yuchu took the tissue, turned away to wipe her mouth, hearing that you were suddenly leaving. She was indeed a bit flustered. She didn't know if she should ask where you were going. Just a week ago, she wanted to escape. Now, hearing you were going out, she instinctively felt reluctant. It was Wan Wan who asked, Daddy, where are you going? You ruffled her little head. Daddy is going to find a job for Mommy. Then you looked at Shin Yuchu. Sorry for deciding without asking your opinion. I didn't tell you because things weren't settled yet. Now, another company has asked me to come and discuss. If this works out, you can come out into the open. Starlight Entertainment should be pretty good. They'll let you sing. Shin Yuchu instinctively looked at you. You were very serious. As you two locked eyes, Shin Yuchu's almond eyes suddenly filled with tears. Her eyes reddened slightly. Her beautiful eyes suddenly became as gentle as water. This was a bit much for you. You quickly lowered your head and ate. Shin Yuchu never thought she would one day be able to sing again, and that this man had chosen it for her. Thank you. I like singing. I like it very much, Shin Yuchu said softly, her voice growing more determined. She loved singing, and she also wanted to make Chuchu and Sister Yun better, so they wouldn't be bullied anymore. Ever since meeting Zhao Chuchu, she had been worried about them. You're welcome. That you lie, it is enough. You looked up with a gentle smile. The next morning, you two, go back now. I'll probably only be gone a day or two. I'll be back. Don't worry. You hailed a TAC 11 to the airport, turned and said to Shin Yuchu. Shin Yuchu nodded, a look of reluctance in her eyes. Just a while ago, she couldn't wait to escape. You never thought that in just a few days she would feel reluctant about your leaving. I'm just going out for 2 days. Why does it feel like a farewell? You steeled yourself and stopped looking at her, turned and got into the TAC 11. After the car drove away, the 2 figures in the rearview mirror gradually shrank. You closed your eyes, unable to describe the feeling in your heart. 3 hours later, as soon as you got off the plane, you felt the heat of the Magic City. Compared to Jiangchang, there were too many people here. Following the surging crowd, you struggled to move. You only breathed a sigh of relief when you reached exit 5. Standing in front of the exit, you looked at the crowd holding signs outside, looking for your name. Before coming, you had arranged a time with Li Xia. She would pick you up at the exit. There were too many people holding signs. Many were fans picking up idols. It took you a long time to finally see a tall woman in a business suit, holding a sign that read Bufan. You quickly walked up, waved at her. Hello, are you Director Li? I'm Bufan. My real name is Lu Fen. Sorry to keep you waiting. Li Xia looked at the person in front of her. A hint of surprise flashed in her eyes, but she hid it well. She knew you were young, but didn't expect you to be this young. Like a fresh college graduate. And you had a face that perfectly fit being a star. Li Xia couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. If only she could sign you, how great that would be. Hello, I'm Li Xia. There are too many people here. My car is in the underground parking lot. It's lunchtime now. Let's find a place to eat and talk in detail. Oh cool, you nodded and walked side by side with Li Xia. Li Xia was indeed a seasoned professional. She chatted with you as they walked. She thought a young guy like you wouldn't be good at conversation. But as they talked, she found you could keep up with her topics, chatting freely, not shy like other young people. This made Li Xia think even more highly of you. Truly, excellent people thrive anywhere. You, of course, didn't know that Li Xia had raised her opinion of you. If you did, you'd probably be speechless. After all, you had memories of 2 lifetimes. Combined, you were over 50 years old. If you didn't have this much emotional intelligence, you might as well find a rope. The two got in the car. You looked out at the bustling Magic City. Li Xia occasionally introduced local specialties. Soon, they arrived at a specialty restaurant. While waiting for the food, Li Xia got down to business. I'll call you Mr. Liu. Who are you recommending? A newcomer or a professional singer? Have you heard of Shin Yuchu, Director Li? She used to be a singer but retired. Now she's making a comeback. Talking business, you became serious. Li Xia frowned. She had heard Shin Yuchu's songs. 2 years ago, she was a popular singer with great vocal skills. But the reason she frowned was, Shin Yuchu had been forced to retire due to a leaked relationship, and her partner was said to be a useless pretty boy. That was very difficult to handle. Li Xia thought for a moment, pushed a strand of hair behind her ear, then looked at you steadily. I know. Mr. Liu, what is your relationship with her? Do you know why she retired? You looked Li Xia in the eye and said calmly, husband and wife. She is my wife. Even the seasoned Li Xia was stunned when she heard your answer. Husband and wife?
So you're that pretty boy? You must be joking. Did Shin Yu-chu divorce that guy and find another one? Seeing Li Xia's expression, you guessed what she was thinking. You smiled wryly. You're right. I'm the one she was in a relationship with. The one who retired with her. Li Xia suddenly didn't know what to say. She had heard of Shin Yu-chu, but I don't know who she's with. Lie those AI do boy bands from before, relying on their looks. He naturally wouldn't pay attention. He's starting to doubt if you even wrote those 2 songs. You didn't give her time to overthink. When you saw her conflicted expression, you continued. Is it hard to get her to join your company? If it's really difficult, I'll find another way. And my request isn't just for her to join your company. I also want her to be at your company, with top-tier resources and freedom. And the contract can't be restrictive. In the end, it's still about interests. I believe with my help, Fanqing Entertainment will reach new heights. I still hope you'll consider it carefully. Just say it all at once. He calmly picked up his water glass and took a sip. Li Xia's expression turned serious. Clearly troubled, she spoke up. After all, we've never worked together. Just based on those 2 songs you released, it's not worth that much. Shin Yu-chu, I acknowledge her singing ability, but the entertainment industry isn't just about singing. I'm sure you know that. Getting her in isn't hard. But top resources, contract freedom, we basically never signed such terms. Let us discuss this properly. This isn't a small matter. Li Xia didn't outright refuse, but her words implied it was basically impossible. You can discuss it. I'll state my position here too. Not just for this problem you're facing, but in the future, if you need songs or even scripts, whatever type, just ask, and I can provide them. I really hope we can successfully cooperate. You invited me here this time. Wasn't it to see my ability? I'm here, so why not decide after seeing it? You said calmly, looking completely confident. Li Xia gave you a deep look. Someone this confident she had never seen before. So this is the legendary pretty boy? People are foolish. Finally, Li Xia left quickly after eating. She had to go discuss with the company. Before leaving, she handed you a room key. Wait for my news was her last words. You arrived at the hotel room, washed up briefly, and lay on the bed thinking, if Fanqing doesn't work out, you'd go to other companies. If none work, you could just earn more money. Start your own company, even if it's tiring, and help Shin Yu-chu grow quietly. You didn't even notice your own thoughts had subtly changed from just wanting to be a slacker to now running around for Shin Yu-chu. In such a short time, you've come to care more and more for them, unconsciously blending into this small family. Li Xia's call came at 3 in the afternoon. She had already arrived downstairs, saying you needed to go to Fanqing Tower with her. You didn't say much more, just went downstairs to meet Li Xia. Fanqing Entertainment is in the busiest part of the city, with an entire building as its property. Now, on the 18th floor of Fanqing Tower, Chairman Li Tian, HR Minister Zhang Hao, and several other Fanqing managers were present. Zhang Hao's face was grim. Chairman, I have no issue with Vice Minister Li's work, but this time, I think he's overvaluing this guy. He used to be a nobody artist, and now he's making such outrageous demands. I think we're just wasting time. Li Tian waved off Zhang Hao's complaints, a kind smile on his face. We should still give young people a chance. Let's see his talent first. If it's no good, I'm sure my daughter won't say much. Seeing the chairman's amiable demeanor, Zhang Hao had to hold back his anger, but inwardly he grumbled. It's only because she's your daughter. You're just being biased. Li Tian saw Zhang Hao's sulky look and smiled again. As the company chairman, he naturally wouldn't just go along with his daughter. In fact, he had also heard those 2 songs. They could only be described as perfect, but he didn't need to explain that to Zhang Hao. As for whether those songs were actually written by him, they'd find out soon enough. Li Xia brought you into the meeting room. From the moment you entered, you saw many top stars, each a leader in their field. Truly one of the big 3. The luxury alone gave a sense of high class. As soon as you entered the meeting room, you felt everyone's eyes on you. Their gazes held various expressions. You naturally sat down in the guest seat, facing the group with a calm demeanor. Li Tian couldn't help but feel a hint of admiration. Such a young man, facing this situation so composedly. Good first impression. Since the main party is here, let's begin. Mr. Liu, right? We discussed your requirements in a meeting. Shin Yu-chu can sign. We can give top-tier resources, but the contract can't be fried. We really can't offer that. No one signs like that. You understand what I mean, right? You nodded, naturally understanding. So how long is the contract? Li Tian chuckled, looking you straight in the eye. 5 years. We'll cultivate her with top resources, and she can release whatever songs she wants. Participate in any activities, no restrictions. You frowned slightly, not intimidated by his gaze at all. Looking back at him, 5 years is too long. I believe in my ability. Your resources plus my talent. Within a year, she'll be a top star. Maybe even less than a year. So the most I can agree to is 2 years. The next year, she'll bring enough profit to your company. For these 2 years, you don't need to worry about Shin Yu-chu songs, and I can write songs for Fanqing for free, but limited in number. Anyone can talk big. Becoming a top star in a year? Are you dreaming? As soon as you finished, a bald man sitting next to Li Xia snickered, looking at you contemptuously. You just glanced at him and ignored him, focusing on Li Tian. Li Tian squinted, tapping the table lightly with his fingers, his smile growing wider. Confidence in youth is a good thing. 2 years isn't impossible, but it all depends on your strength. We invited you here partly to discuss cooperation, and partly because Huaying recently launched a national event. Every company must participate, but only one song can be selected. I want to win it. Do you have the ability? You nodded slightly, thinking, isn't this why I came? Let Vice Minister Li brief you on the details. I'll wait for your good news. As long as your song is recognized, I'll sign the contract immediately. Li Tian smiled lightly, making his final decision. Everything was settled, and you relaxed. You stood up and shook hands with Li Tian, then left the meeting room with Li Xia. Li Xia was a bit surprised. She didn't expect her father to agree to such outrageous terms, but this event was indeed very important. An official event hosted by the government. The company whose song is selected will naturally gain official favor. The benefits are obvious. Li Xia looked at you with a complex expression, hoping you would make a splash. That would prove her judgment was right, and the gossip in the company would naturally fade.
Here, these are the event details. You only have 3 days to create. I hope you succeed. I hope we can cooperate successfully too. Li Xia took a file from her drawer, handed it to you, and said, you opened the file, and the first thing you saw was a big title. Ordinary heroes. Seeing those words, your expression immediately turned serious. You continued reading. The office was very quiet. Only the sound of you flipping through the file. Your expression was the most serious since you traveled here. You flipped through the file, and underneath were several photos. The first showed a group of doctors and nurses in protective suits. The second showed 3 firefighters, with a fire they had extinguished behind them. The third showed several soldiers, only their backs visible, their faces hidden. The fourth showed a classroom about to collapse, with a teacher holding a child and handing them to someone outside, while behind him, there was no one left. He was the last one. After reading all the files, you organized them, put them away, and took a deep breath. Li Xia broke the silence in the office. So, can you do it? You only have 3 days. Weighing will end the selection in 3 days. You nodded. Don't worry, leave it to me. I'll have it for you within 3 days. I'll give you a satisfactory answer. With that, you put the file away and stood up. That's it then. Prepare some sheet mosaic paper for me. I'll go back to the hotel and work on it. Oh cool, I'll see you out. She didn't dawdle. She knew it was hard to create a good song in 3 days. At 9 in the evening, you took a shower and sat at the desk, spreading the sheet mosaic paper flat on the table. You picked up the pen and thought silently. After thinking for a long time, you made a decision. I'll go with just ordinary. The next day, after a simple breakfast, without notifying Li Xia, you took a TAC 11 alone to Fanqing Entertainment. Li Xia was busy working in her office and was surprised to see you. You have time to come here? You only have 3 days. Bro, shouldn't you be thinking about the song? You smiled, and to Li Xia's SOC, handed her the sheet mosaic. Take a look. Do you think this will work? Li Xia stared at you. Lie, you were a monster. The usually composed woman rarely lost her composure. Are you kidding me? What good song can you write in one night? You wouldn't just throw something together. Frowning, Li Xia took the sheet mosaic. Just yesterday, she thought this young man was steady and talented. Now he was making her eat her words. She wanted to see what he had written in one night. Li Xia looked at the sheet mosaic. When she saw the title, she was still calm. But as she slowly read the lyrics, she was completely stunned. What kind of divine lyrics are these? Every line says ordinary, but every line reveals the extraordinary. Not a single word says hero, yet every line is about heroes. These lyrics perfectly fit the theme. Then Li Xia eagerly looked at the musical score. After a moment, she suddenly looked up at you, her eyes shining. Did you really write this in one night? You rubbed your nose. What else? I stayed up all night to finish it. So, is this song good enough? Li Xia's eyes grew even brighter. She stared at you intently. You're amazing. My choice was definitely right. Can you sing it for me? I want to hear how it sounds. You nodded, closed your eyes, took a moment to get into the mood, and then sang softly. One day, I might go far away. Maybe we'll meet again. After finishing, Li Xia was still lost in the song, until you coughed lightly. She snapped back to reality, hurriedly wiping the tears from her face. Her eyes were even brighter, so bright that you felt awkward meeting her gaze. You had to ask uncertainly, is it Oku? It's more than Oku. Mr. Liu, I never expected such a big surprise from you. The office door suddenly opened, and Li Tian walked in, clapping, a look of pleasant surprise on his face. Behind him was HR Minister Zhang Hao, who was clearly stunned. He couldn't believe it. In such a short time, you had actually made a song, and such a perfect one at that. Dad, why didn't you knock? Seeing who it was, Li Xia looked flustered. She secretly wiped her face again, and shouted at Li Tian with dissatisfaction. Li Tian showed no sign of remorse, still smiling cheerfully, but looking at his precious daughter with a strange expression. He hadn't seen her act so girlish in a long time. If I hadn't come, how would I know Mr. Liu had made such a great song? You were a bit speechless. He had gone from Mr. Liu to young Liu so quickly. You couldn't help but think, typical businessman. Anyone who brings him profit is family. You flatter me. Chairman Li, I'm glad you're satisfied. You said. Very satisfied. Young Liu, now that we have the song, as long as it's selected by Huiying, we'll sign a contract with Xinyu immediately. For now, let's sign a cooperation agreement first, to put your mind at ease. Li Tian nodded with a smile. You finally breathed a sigh of relief, knowing it was almost settled. You all signed the cooperation agreement on the spot. As long as the song was selected, the cooperation you discussed with Fanqing would begin immediately. After signing, you said goodbye to Li Tian. Chairman Li, since everything is settled, I'll take my leave. Good, I hope we have a pleasant cooperation. You nodded slightly, took the cooperation agreement, and turned to leave the office. I'll see you out. Just as you were about to leave, Li Xia suddenly spoke. You noticed she had been avoiding your gaze, as if embarrassed by her earlier Fenlai behavior. She felt a bit ashamed, which was unusual for a composed woman like her. But now that you were leaving, you seemed to see a hint of reluctance in her expression. I thought you still had work to do. Young Liu isn't a child anymore. Why do you need to see him off? You turned around, about to speak, when Li Tian suddenly spoke up. Seeing this, you smiled gratefully at Li Xia. Thank you for your kindness, Vice Minister Li. I'll just take a TAC 11 back. With that, you turned and walked out of the office, gently closing the door behind you, and then strode away. Inside the office, Li Xia was lying angry kitten. Dad, what do you mean? He just brought the song, and you're already sending him away? How can you be like this? Zhang Hao, still in the room, saw this scene, and suddenly felt a chill. He swallowed and quickly said, I still have some work to do. I'll take my leave. Before Li Tian could respond, Zhang Hao darted out, closing the door tightly behind him. Only then did he wipe the sweat from his forehead. Li Tian looked at his daughter without anger, but said earnestly, Shuya, you're not young anymore. You should find someone. Young Liu is pretty good, but don't forget, he has a wife, and as far as I know, he also has a daughter. Li Xia was silent for a moment, then said coldly, of course I know. I was seeing him off only because you invited him. That's all. The composed woman had returned to her subdued demeanor, a presence that even her father found intimidating. All right, as long as you know. I suddenly remember I have work to do too. With that, Li Tian hurried out, but just as he stepped out, he poked his head back in. I'm serious, my dear daughter. You're 26. You really should find someone. Get out.
Okay, I'm going. I'm leaving now, just as you return to the hotel. Before you could even book your ticket,
Li Xia called.
Mr. Liu, I'm so sorry. My father's tone wasn't great. I apologize on his behalf. Li Xia expressed her apologies over the phone, her tone a bit cold, as if she was still angry with someone. You were a bit surprised. You hadn't really taken it to heart. Besides, Li Tian had been quite tactful. As a big capitalist, he had already shown a lot of respect. As for whether he was being ungrateful, having seen all kinds of people in the capital market, you understood. It's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong. Don't worry about it.
Hearing this, Li Xia's tone softened a bit.
Good, I'm glad you don't mind. By the way, are you on your way back to the hotel? I'm already at the hotel. I'm about to pack up, book a ticket, and head back to Jiangcheng. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Li Xia's voice came through again. Well, Mr. Liu, you better wait a couple more days. If your song is selected,
Huiying might need your help.
After all, you wrote the lyrics in Yodike. You understand this song best. Hearing Li Xia's words, your plan to go home was dashed, and you felt a bit empty inside. Okay, I understand. I'll stay a few more days. Let me know when. After hanging up with Li Xia, you put down your phone regretfully, turned to look at the scenery outside the window, and found yourself missing the little one at home. Thinking of Wan, you didn't even notice the smile spreading across your face. As if by telepathy, Xin Yuchu called at that moment. You answered the phone, and immediately heard Wan's voice. Hello, is this Daddy? It was the little one. Even without seeing her,
you smiled warmly and replied.
Det, it's Daddy. Is Wan missing Daddy? Det. Mommy asked when you're coming back.
At home.
Wan was holding the phone with both hands, cuddled in Xin Yuchu's arms, speaking sweetly. Xin Yuchu's face immediately flushed, and she gave the little one a helpless look. It was Wan who insisted on calling Daddy, so why was she dragging her into it? She hadn't asked that. Tell Mommy that. Daddy still needs a few more days to come back. You chuckled to yourself,
guessing the little one wanted you home,
but was using Xin Yuchu as an excuse. Wan was clearly unhappy hearing this, and grumbled on the phone. You smiled slightly, shifted to a comfortable position on the bed, and asked, did Wan eat well today?
Hearing this,
Wan immediately looked up at her mother. Then, as if sneaking, lowered her head and whispered, Det. But Wan would rather eat Daddy's cooking. The little one's tone was very serious. So serious that it made Xin Yuchu, who was eavesdropping, laugh. At such a young age, you're already tattling? Indirectly saying my cooking isn't good?
Then Xin Yuchu heard your laughter through the phone.
In an instant, her face turned even redder. She snatched the phone. Okay, that's enough chatting with Daddy for today. Hey, I didn't ask that. I know. Is everything okay at home? You heard her protest and replied with a smile. Xin Yuchu felt even more annoyed. Are you holding back laughter? Good, you've only been gone for a day. What could happen? Alright, I'm hanging up. I need to make lunch. Hey, you can't do that. I haven't talked enough with the little one yet. Bye. But Xin Yuchu didn't give you the chance, and hung up directly. Her face was burning hot. If she kept talking, she might want to hit someone. Seeing Wan still staring at the phone with regret, Xin Yuchu decided to make Wan's least favorite dish for lunch, bai bok choy. Det, kids shouldn't be picky eaters. You heard the busy signal from the phone, and while feeling regret, you still had a smile on your face. This was the first time you'd seen Xin Yuchu show such emotion. Before, she always gave you a sense of oppression. How to put it? You'd call it someone lacking an independent soul. But now, that was slowly changing. She was becoming herself again, which was great.
Waiting was long.
In a few days, it would be August. You had been in the city for 2 days. During this time, you had a few calls with Li Xia. Your relationship was no longer so distant. At least now, Li Xia no longer called you Mr. every time, which used to feel awkward. I still get up early for a morning jog these days. Everything seems calm and peaceful. The news from the other side hasn't come yet. I can only wait slowly until the evening of the 3rd day. But then you received a strange yet familiar phone call. Hey, is this old Liu? It's Chen Shan. Hearing this, you quickly sorted through the original owner's memories. He was a close friend from the original owner's college days. Crazy? Long time no see. Thinking about Chen Shan's character and personality from the original owner's memories, you spoke with a smile. Having a true friend seems pretty good. Old Liu, what's up with you after getting married? You don't answer calls or reply to messages. Are you looking down on your bro now? Chen Shan's reproachful voice came through the phone, but the hidden concern in his tone
warmed your heart.
It's just that after getting married, the original owner always tried to suck up to Chen Shuai and Yi Tian, and didn't even have time for his best brother. I was wrong before. Please be magnanimous and forgive my small faults. Let me off this time. I'll treat you to a meal next time we meet. I'll make it up to you. Oku? Inwardly, you cursed the original owner again. He couldn't even tell friend from foe. It's so embarrassing for me, Lu Fen. You said it. Then we'll talk next time. Bye. With that, Chen Shan hung up. You had just hung up
when Li Xia called.
Your song was selected by Huiying. According to Li Xia, the people there took one look and chose this song from thousands of submissions. Li Xia's tone was very excited. When she called you, she was already downstairs at the hotel. She said Huiying was planning to shoot an MV and needed you, the lyricist and composer, to guide them on site. When you went downstairs and Li Xia saw you, she smoothed the stray hair on her forehead. Her eyes lit up. You rubbed your nose, intentionally ignoring Li Xia's gaze. Let's go. It's getting late. If we finish early, we can still make it for lunch. Without a word, you got into the back seat. Isn't the big front passenger seat good enough for you? The director in charge of shooting the MV at Huiying called.
He kept praising you.
Do you have any ideas for the MV and the lead singer? Don't mess up when we get there. Li Xia was clearly worried that you were young and hadn't experienced such a big scene. Don't worry, I've got it under control. Your face showed no sign of nervousness. Li Xia glanced at you in the rearview mirror. Seeing that you really weren't nervous, she dropped the subject.
2 hours later, the car stopped in the parking lot in front of a large building. The two of you walked into the building side by side. Li Xia must have arranged a meeting beforehand. As soon as you entered the building, a group of people immediately came up to greet you. Grandpa Lin, why did you come down personally? If my dad finds out, he'll definitely scold me to death. Li Xia quickly stepped forward, took the lead old man's hand, and acted spoiled. This move shocked you? A CU beauty acting spoiled? Even a god couldn't resist that. The lead old man's face broke into a smile, full of doting. Girl Lin, don't give me that. Would your dad dare to scold you? He'd be lucky if I didn't beat him up. The CU beauty blushed, which was rare. She said coquettishly, alright, let's get down to business. So this is young friend Lu? Truly, heroes come from youth. You're quite impressive. Hello, sir. Thanks for the compliment. I'm Lu Fen. You nodded politely to the old man. Good, talented, and polite. No wonder you wrote this song. I'm Lin Shirley, the director in charge of this MV. If you don't mind, you can call me Grandpa Lin, just like Girl Li does. Grandpa Lin, I'll gladly accept that. You kept a faint smile on your face. Alright, young lady, let's head upstairs. Lin Shirley was very happy, even changing how he addressed you. He directly took your hand and led you toward the elevator, without any intention of introducing the others behind him. You had no choice but to follow. Still, you nodded briefly to those middle-aged men. The elevator went straight up to the 20th floor. As soon as you got out, Lin Shirley pulled you into the recording studio. Xiao Lu, I heard from Girl Li that you sing very well. Can you sing it first? We received this song and haven't heard it yet. The lead singer hasn't been decided either. Oh cool. You nodded in agreement. Xiao Lu, will you sing a cappella or with piano? This song is fine with just piano accompaniment. When it came to business, Lin Shirley became noticeably more serious. He left you alone in the recording studio and took everyone else out. As the staff turned on the microphone, the group of middle-aged men all looked on eagerly. You walked into the recording studio and sat down, immersing yourself in the mood. Once you got into work mode, you became very focused. From the outside, your expression inside the studio visibly changed. Seeing this, Lin Shirley nodded. Now that's a true musician. Inside, you started playing the piano. The prelude to Just Ordinary began to play. Everyone outside immediately held their breath, listening to the piano. They stared at you without blinking. Here or across the shore, long journeys, partings, and joys. People gather and disperse. The song ended. You took a deep breath, calming your emotions, then stood up and walked out of the recording studio. The group outside was still staring at you in a daze. The next moment, everyone couldn't help but applaud you. Lin Shirley was especially excited. He stepped forward, grabbed your hand, his eyes burning. Xiao Lu, that's the feeling. I think we don't need to change the lead singer. You should do it. I have a feeling this song will spark a storm on Lie about ordinary heroes. That's exactly the effect we want. Those heroes who silently give their all deserve to be praised like this, sir. Even someone as seasoned as you couldn't help but blush a little. But you still shook your head and said sincerely to Lin Shirley, Grandpa Lin, I won't be the lead singer. I have a better idea. Why don't you listen? Lin Shirley frowned. Is there a better lead singer than the lyricist and composer of this song? Seeing that Lin Shirley was clearly reluctant, you stopped beating around the bush. You quickly explained your idea. It's like this, Grandpa Lin. I think this song is more suitable for children to sing. On one hand, children's voices are clearer and more ethereal. On the other hand, having the flowers of our nation sing it makes the unsung heroes more relatable. Hearing your explanation, Lin Shirley's eyes widened. Wow, is this guy a genius? Why didn't he think of that? Children naturally have a quality that makes people feel close. Having them sing, combined with the footage he had shot, would definitely touch people's hearts. Perfect. No wonder he had his eye on this young man. Now Lin Shirley's gaze was even more intense. Even the middle-aged men behind him seemed suddenly enlightened. They all looked at you in disbelief. They had selected these materials from thousands, matching them to the song's length, but they just couldn't decide on a lead singer. They never expected you to solve it with one sentence. Xiao Lu, you're a genius. Are you interested in working at Huayin? Don't worry, Huayin won't let your talent go to waste. It was clear Lin Shirley had a desire to nurture talent. He wanted to bring you to his side, feeling it was a waste to leave someone like you out there. No, Grandpa Lin. I'm just a slacker. Being able to help you this time is already enough for me. You waved your hands repeatedly to refuse. Lin Shirley was speechless. Are slackers like this these days? But he didn't insist. After all, you were here and couldn't run away. If such an opportunity comes up again, I'll find you. When you finally walked out of the Huayin building, it was already 1 in the afternoon. Your head was throbbing. Those guys, when they get to work, they're also enthusiastic, practically workaholics. In the end, it was Li Xia who acted spoiled and said she wanted to go to lunch, and the two of you escaped. Lu Fen, shouldn't you treat me to a meal? Cooperating with Huayin is going to make you rich. Li Xia was unusually playful, sticking out her tongue and teasing. This CU beauty was becoming less and less CU. You raised an eyebrow. You, from a wealthy family, want to take advantage of a commoner like me? Aren't you ashamed? Stingy. Li Xia rolled her eyes at you, pouted, and got into the car first. You smiled and quickly followed. The more familiar you became with this CU beauty, the more you realized how great her personality was. She had none of the intimidating vibe from when you first met. Typical cold on the outside, warm on the inside. In the end, you couldn't avoid treating her to a meal. Li Xia happily enjoyed a big feast at your expense. After eating, Li Xia took you to Fanqing Entertainment. This time, you were here to get the contract, which was also your original gone. Xin Youchu's signing contract. The two of you got on the elevator. For some reason, you suddenly felt that Li Xia seemed a bit down. She looked listless, even though she had just enjoyed a big meal. You really couldn't understand women's minds. Too complicated. Getting off the elevator, you went straight to Li Tian's office. He had been waiting in the office for a while. The contract was already prepared and placed on the table. He had his usual unchanging smile on his face. Looking at you as you pushed the door open, he said, Young friend Lu, high cooperation. The contract is here. Take a look and see if there's anything else to add. You nodded and sat down at the desk. You read the contract on the spot. It was very formal, in triplicate. It would take effect as soon as Xin Youchu signed it. The contract content was also as previously agreed. Fanqing Entertainment would give Xin Youchu the top resources and maximum freedom. In short, Xin Youchu could do whatever she wanted. No one could force her, and that was exactly what you wanted to see. The contract period was 2 years. After that, whether to renew was entirely up to Xin Youchu. After reading the entire contract, you put it away. You stood up and shook hands with Li Tian. Thank you, Chairman Li Het Pai Cooperation. Being able to offer such a contract improved your opinion of Li Tian. At least he wasn't like those heartless capitalists who fill contracts with traps. You're welcome.
I value your talent, and you value our company's resources. It's just mutual benefit. Also, you once promised to write songs for our company. I won't draw up a separate contract for that. I trust young friend Lu's character. Li Tian stood up and shook your hand as he spoke. I naturally won't refuse, but you also stated your own view. Don't worry, but let me make it clear first. I only write lead singles, and who I write for is entirely up to me. Don't send just any random people to ask me for songs. Having a temper and the talent to back it up. Li Tian's impression of you kept improving, but when he saw his daughter's expression, he sighed inwardly. What a pity. Why did you get married so young? Young friend Lu's talent isn't something our company's top singers lack songs for. I wouldn't have asked you otherwise. After all, you know, with your future fame, anything you write will be a masterpiece. Ordinary people don't deserve it. The cooperation was successfully reached. At this point, Li Tian suddenly changed the subject. Now that you have the contract, young friend Lu, when do you plan to go back? You didn't know what he meant by asking, but you still answered immediately. I plan to go back to the hotel now and pack up. I'll book a flight and leave soon. After all, there's nothing more for me to do here. Chairman Li, is there anything else you need to tell me? No. I wish you a smooth journey home, Li Tian quickly said with a smile. But to you, that smile seemed like he was hep-high to hear you were leaving. Why was he so hep-high all of a sudden? Not thinking much of it, you stood up to take your leave. Li Xia saw you all the way to the hotel entrance, but didn't follow you in. Ever since entering Fanqing Entertainment, she seemed to be in low spirits. Lu Fen, I won't see you off to the airport. You can go yourself. I have some things to do. I'll head off now. You turned around and waved your hand. Oh Ku, take care. Then you turned and walked into the hotel. Li Xia watched your back. Feeling inexplicably annoyed, she stepped on the gas and drove away. Finally, I can go home. I miss my little darling so much. You quickly packed your luggage and ticket, checked out, and hailed a TAC 11 in one smooth motion. At 6 in the evening, you were carrying bags full of gifts. You stepped into the familiar old neighborhood, your pace becoming lighter, until you pushed open the long mist door. The living room was quiet. Xin Yuchu and Wan Wan didn't seem to be home. Not seeing the people you wanted to see immediately, you felt a slight disappointment. But the next moment, the bedroom door suddenly opened. Xin Yuchu, rubbing her sleepy eyes, came out looking adorable. The moment she saw you, she suddenly woke up. Her eyes widened involuntarily as she looked at you. She was wearing a camisole nightgown, with one strap slipped down to her arm. Her hair was messy from sleep, her little mouth slightly open, presenting the image of a sleeping beauty before your eyes. You both froze at the same time. In the twilight, you just quietly looked at each other. Then a bright smile gradually spread across your face. You said, I'm home. Shinyochu's face slowly flushed red. She stood there, not knowing what to do. Her heart was a little flustered, yet a hint of sweetness surged within her. She lowered her head and replied softly, while subconsciously pulling the strap that had fallen off her shoulder. Back up. Oh, this is for you. You suddenly produced a bouquet of lavender from behind your back. I saw someone selling it on the roadside. It smelled nice, so I bought a bunch on a whim. Shin-Yuchu pursed her lips. She stepped forward and gently took the lavender from your hand. Her face was already covered in a blush. This was the first bouquet of flowers she had ever received from you. The flower language of lavender is redemption and hope. She really liked it. Thank you. Shin-Yuchu gathered her courage, looked up, and met your eyes. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly. Have you eaten? You smiled suddenly. Not yet. You probably haven't eaten either, right? I'll make dinner. You go wake Wan. Shin Yuchu had intended to cook herself, thinking you had just come back and must be tired from the day. But seeing the insistence in your eyes, and remembering that your cooking was indeed much better than hers, she finally nodded. I'll go wake Wan. She'll be so hep-pie to know you're back. She's been asking about you these past 2 days, Shin Yuchu said, then turned and went back to the master bedroom. This time, she didn't close the door, but left it wide open. You looked inside. Wan was lying spread-eagled on the bed, sleeping soundly. Shin Yuchu gently picked her up, but she didn't react until Shin Yuchu brought the little one in front of you, kissed her little face, and whispered in her ear, Wan, wake up. Daddy's home. Wan suddenly stirred. She slowly opened her cute almond-shaped eyes, looked around in a daze, and then her eyes suddenly lit up. She reached out her little arms and waved them at you. Daddy, hug. Wan missed you so much. The little one clung to you like a koala. Once you held her, she wrapped her arms around your neck and refused to let go, hanging on the whole time. Even when you went to the kitchen to cook, she wouldn't let go. In the end, Shin Yuchu had to put on a stern face and tempt her with the new toys you bought, finally managing to peel the little one off and set her on the sofa. Wan played with her toys, but her big eyes kept glancing toward the kitchen, as if afraid you would disappear again. After a while, the food was on the table. The family sat happily around the dining table. Shin Yuchu looked down. Wan was already slurping up noodles with her little chopsticks. A single noodle disappeared into her mouth in one go. Her eyes had turned into crescent moons. The way she ate made it look like Shin Yuchu had starved her for days. Shin Yuchu was both annoyed and helpless. Outdone, she had to admit defeat. What else could she say? This also made Shin Yuchu speed up her own eating. Why did it seem like they had no appetite when she was home alone? But as soon as you came back, they both relaxed. Shin Yuchu ate, her mind wandering. It was scary to think about. Before, they couldn't wait to get away from this man, but in such a short time, they had been subtly influenced by you. The only sound at the table was the slurping of noodles. It wasn't until Shin Yuchu finished eating that she noticed. You and Wan had finished long ago, and the two of you were synchronously staring at her. Shin Yuchu's pretty face blushed again. She quickly wiped her mouth and stood up to hide her embarrassment. She gathered the dishes. I'll wash them. You spend more time with Wan. She stacked your bowl on top of hers, picked them up, and headed to the kitchen. Watching Shin Yuchu float into the kitchen like a breeze, you shook your head. This time, you really didn't intend to compete with her. Why was she panicking? Daddy, come build blocks with Wan. Wan jumped off her stool, took your hand, and led you to the sofa. With your help, Wan built blocks into the shape of a little house. Laughing in her childish voice, you deliberately asked about the family's recent situation. The little one told you everything without holding back, especially when it came to Shin Yuchu. The little one completely sold out her mom. Mommy misses Daddy too. I saw Mommy watching videos of Daddy singing. She secretly smiles. You secretly covered your mouth and laughed. You really didn't mean to ask about that. The key was that Wan said it very loudly, completely unaware that Shin Yuchu had already charged out of the kitchen. At that moment, Shin Yuchu's pretty face was as red as a ripe apple, but her eyes were full of coldness. She looked down at the little traitor who sold out her mom to please her dad. Wan noticed you had suddenly stopped talking. She looked up in confusion and saw her mom's
big red face. She yelped and hid in your arms, muttering repeatedly, "Can't see mommy, can't see." Shin Yuchu couldn't help but laugh. She reached out and patted the little one's bottom, which was sticking out from your arm. But her eyes were fixed on your smiling face as she explained, "Don't listen to Wanwan's nonsense." "I did not. Mommy did. Lying is bad." Wanwan buried her little face deep in your arms, mumbling in a muffled voice. Shin Yuchu looked like she was about to explode. You immediately raised your hands in surrender, completely exposing the little one. No, I believe you. Discretion is the better part of valor." But poor Wanwan was immediately snatched up by Shin Yuchu and roughed up. The little one's big eyes sparkled with tears. She reached out toward you, who was sitting upright in the distance, completely shocked that you had sold her out to her mom in an instant. "For the peace and prosperity of this family, I'll have to let my little darling suffer a bit." The family played together for a while. In the end, Wanwan had to bear it all, looking wronged. She played with her blocks alone. You ruffled her little head, then stood up. You took a paper file from your suitcase and placed it in front of Shin Yuchu. "Mission accomplished. Take a look. This is a contract from Bonching Entertainment." Shin Yuchu looked at your serious expression. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly, showing her inner turmoil. In just a few days away, you had really brought back a contract for her. Shin Yuchu lowered her head, picked up the file, opened it, and flipped through the contract. Reading until the end, her hands began to tremble slightly. This was a contract she wouldn't even dare to dream of. Top-tier treatment and perfect freedom. Even if she had never left the Mio-dike scene and kept singing, she wouldn't have gotten a contract like this. Shin Yuchu didn't know how you did it. What had you experienced in just a few days? How much had you sacrificed to get such an unimaginable signing contract? Shin Yuchu looked up at you, stunned. Her eyes glistened with tears, her lips pursed. She just stared at you like that. You still had that gentle smile on your face, as if everything was as light as a passing tsao. After a long moment, Shin Yuchu finally spoke softly. "Actually, I don't have to sing." Her voice was quiet, but without any hesitation. Very firm. You frowned slightly, confused. Clearly, she loves singing and wants to sing. What does this mean now? You couldn't figure out what was going on in her head. Why? Don't you always want to sing? Now that you have the chance, why are you backing out? Your tone grew a bit heavier. This was the first time since you came here that you spoke to her like this. Having been single your whole life, you naturally wouldn't understand. Shin Yuchu's mind was in a mess right now. She suddenly felt that just going on like this was fine. Actually going to sing. She was afraid of what might change afterward. Afraid that life would never be the same again. Shin Yuchu's small lips pressed together again. She stared straight at you. Tears fell one by one. After a moment, she spoke softly. "I'm scared. I'm scared that bad changes will come." This was the first time Shin Yuchu had directly told you about her fears. You were stunned for a moment, then your slightly furrowed brow instantly relaxed. You smiled, a very warm smile. You picked up a tissue and gently wiped the tear stains on Shin Yuchu's face. "Shin Yuchu, what kind of person do you take me for? I'm telling you very seriously. Go ahead without worry. No matter what happens, none of this will change. After all, I'm ready to be a full-time dad." Shin Yuchu never expected you to say that, and you even reached out and wiped her tears dry. Not having experienced this level of intimacy for so long, she shyly lowered her head. Her already slightly red face turned completely crimson. She couldn't even think about her messy thoughts anymore. You thought she was still scared about all those things. Now you understood. You knew Shin Yuchu was probably afraid of change. After all, someone who hasn't been out in a long time always has that kind of feeling. So you spoke up again. "I'm serious. Just leave Wanwan to me. I'll take good care of her." "And you saw your contract. It's very flexible. You can come back anytime you want. Don't worry about home. Just take care of yourself out there." As you spoke, Shin Yuchu didn't hear a word. Her mind was still on the moment you gently touched her face. Wanwan, on the sofa, had long been secretly watching her parents interact. She could clearly see her mother's lowered face. The corners of her mouth were already slightly lifted, and her father was still rambling on and on. Little Wanwan didn't know what was happening. She only knew that her mother was probably het pie now, and her father was still worried about her mother. So she pounced onto your lap, looked up with her big eyes blinking, and said out of the blue, "Daddy, Wanwan wants to sleep with mommy and daddy tonight." Hearing this, you were instantly petrified. Shin Yuchu lifted her head, staring at the little one in SOC. Her heart was pounding so fast it felt like it would leap out. "Oh, Daddy." Seeing you didn't answer, Wanwan started her coaxing routine, rolling around on your lap. You swallowed hard, turned your head to look at Shin Yuchu, whose neck was also bright red. Your eyes darted away. "You'll have to ask your mom if she agrees." How were you supposed to answer that? Shin Yuchu was shy to the point of being overwhelmed. She stood up flustered and walked toward the bathroom. "I'm tired. I'll go wash up and get ready for bed." Shin Yuchu fled in panic. Only you and Wanwan were left in the living room, staring at each other with wide eyes. You had absolutely no idea what to do. But Wanwan jumped up from your lap, hugged your neck. "Mommy said Oku, Daddy. Just get ready." Did Shin Yuchu really say that? You turned to look at the closed bathroom door. Could faintly hear the sound of washing inside. "Well, I guess it's okay then." You took a deep breath of the little one's milky scent to bolster your courage. Told yourself this was all for Wanwan, not for anything else. After a while, Shin Yuchu came out of the bathroom and quietly went back to the bedroom. As she passed the living room, she didn't even glance toward the sofa. Only then did you pick up Wanwan, go to the bathroom to help the little one wash up. Then you quickly washed up yourself. Only then did you carry the little one out. It was only then that your heart started racing. The short distance from the living room to the master bedroom felt like it took you forever, until your feet were completely inside the bedroom. Your mind went completely blank. You'd never experienced this in 2 lifetimes. Right now, you really wanted to ask for help. What should you do? Shin Yuchu had already gotten under the covers, as if she was asleep, lying on her side, facing inward. You couldn't see her expression clearly, but her crystal clear, rosy earlobes gave away her current state. You gently closed the door. The sound of the door closing made Shin Yuchu's body flinch slightly, but she still didn't get up. You had completely given up by now. Since it was like this, being nervous was useless. Just go with the flow. Thinking like that, you did feel a lot more relaxed. You placed Wanwan in the middle. You sat down on the other side of the bed, pulled Wanwan close and started telling her a bedtime shitari. "Today, Daddy will tell Wanwan the shitari of Snow White." Your gentle voice echoed in the room. Shin Yuchu's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and her wildly beating heart, as the shitari unfolded, slowly calmed down. Eventually, she fell asleep without even realizing it. Just like her, Wanwan also slowly fell asleep to your shitari. The night was deep. Seeing their breathing slowly become steady. You finally turned off the light, got under the covers and lay down. The pillow was filled with that familiar, faint, clean scent. For the first time, you knew a girl's pillow could smell so nice. You pulled Wan closer, accompanied by the scent. You quickly fell into a deep sleep. The night passed without incident. The next day, your internal clock was still on time. You woke up at 6 in the morning. Instinctively, you hugged the soft body in your arms, then suddenly froze. When did Wan get this big? You swallowed hard, looked under the covers. There was no sign of Wan in your arms. It wasn't the little one, but Shin-Yuchu. You were completely dumbfounded. How did she end up in your arms? A faint, clean scent lingered at the tip of your nose. The soft, warm body in your arms. Your peace of mind shattered instantly. You unconsciously leaned down, stopped right when you were close to Shin-Yuchu's pretty face, engaged in a fierce mental struggle. Then you saw her long eyelashes flutter slightly. Scared, you quickly sat up straight again, quietly pulled your arm out from under her head, bent over and carefully got out of bed, darted out of the bedroom and into the bathroom to wash up. You looked utterly defeated. This early morning was just too torturous. What you didn't know was, right after you left the bedroom, Shin-Yuchu on the bed opened her beautiful almond eyes, let out a small sigh of relief. She covered her burning face and burrowed under the covers, looking like she couldn't face anyone. Just as you were sitting up, Shin-Yuchu had woken up. She didn't know when she had ended up in your arms, and had even used your arm as a pillow. It was so embarrassing, until she felt your breath on her face. Only then did she start to panic. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to secretly kiss her? What should she do? Shin-Yuchu was panicking like crazy at that moment. She didn't dare wake up, so she just kept pretending to sleep. Luckily, you stopped in time. Otherwise, she really wouldn't know how to face you. But when you actually pulled away, she felt a vague sense of loss. Shin-Yuchu didn't know if she was ready. She only knew that her heart was in turmoil. After a long time, Shin-Yuchu, buried under the covers, let out a deep breath. Just let it be. She stayed there until 8 o'clock. Shin-Yuchu heard the sound of the door opening again outside. Only then did she get out of bed, tidied up and walked out of the room. You were already in the kitchen, preparing to cook. When you saw Shin-Yuchu come out, your expression was a bit unnatural as you greeted her. Morning. Shin-Yuchu's expression was also a bit unnatural. She didn't even lift her eyes to look at you, just responded softly, then walked into the bathroom to wash up. You didn't think much of it, turned back around to continue making breakfast. Unexpectedly, Shin-Yuchu finished washing up quickly and came straight to the kitchen. Let me help you cook. Shin-Yuchu's expression was natural. She skillfully took the basin from your hands to help you wash the rice. You were just a little surprised for a moment, but quickly recovered, happily accepted the kind offer, turned sideways and started washing the vegetables. The two of you worked in perfect harmony, like a couple who had lived together for years. 20 minutes later, golden millet porridge and 2 small dishes were ready. You took off your apron and washed your hands, naturally walked into the master bedroom to wake up Wan, who had slept all the way to the foot of the bed, picked her up, and the family happily ate breakfast. You looked at Shin-Yuchu and said, "Oh, right. Are you reporting to Fanjing Entertainment in early August?" Hearing this, Shin-Yuchu also sat down on the sofa. Her beautiful eyes blinked. Before that, I need to go pick up Chuchu first, then go find Sister Yun. If they know I can make a comeback, they'll definitely be very happy. Shin-Yuchu said, a genuine smile spreading across her face. Her sudden retirement before. The people she felt most sorry for were these two. Now, even if not for her own dream, for the two of them, she had to work hard. You nodded, ruffled Wan's hair, but your mind was thinking, what song you should write for Shin-Yuchu. This was her first battle in her comeback. It had to be fought beautifully. Shin-Yuchu's voice was very good. Whether it was sweet songs or sad songs, she could handle them all. So there were too many choices. You couldn't make up your mind for a moment. After thinking for a while with no result, you thought of another matter. Oh, right. Let's buy a car in a few days. Buy 2. In another month, Wan will start kindergarten. It'll be convenient for picking her up and dropping her off. Also, although Fanjing Entertainment will provide you with a van for your usual fry time, you'll still need a car when you go out. Shin-Yuchu thought for a moment, and also thought buying a car was a good idea. She had always stayed at home before and never went out. Whether she had a car or not didn't matter. Now that she would be going out often, not having a car was indeed inconvenient, but she was worried you might not have enough money. After all, the earnings from your first 2 videos were used to buy a lot of furniture, and you had gone out once. She didn't know how much was left, and Wan would be starting kindergarten soon. That would be another expense. After thinking it over, Shin-Yuchu looked up. A hint of worry showed on her face. Let's just buy one for now. You'll need it at home to pick up and drop off the kid. I'll have a company car for work, so I probably won't need one. We can think about buying another car after you've earned some money. Shin-Yuchu thought. Once she released her songs and album and had some income, then she would consider these things. Thinking about this, Shin-Yuchu felt a bit worried again. She wasn't even sure when she would have a song to sing. Although Fanjing Entertainment's contract was top tier, it also had a clause about song freedom. She didn't know how you negotiated with the company. Since the resources were all top tier, why didn't you help her get songs? She was a bit puzzled. After all, she didn't know many songwriters. Thinking about songwriters, Shin-Yuchu suddenly paused, then looked at you, who looked completely calm. He seemed to be able to write songs, although she didn't know when he learned. But those 2 songs on Xiaodo, one of them, you even taught Wan on the spot. You naturally knew about Shin-Yuchu's worry about not buying a car. Waved your hand calmly. Don't worry. You don't need to worry about not having enough money at home. Just wait and see. We'll have money in a few days. On Sunday, the MV4 Just Ordinary went on live at exactly 8 in the morning. Co-released by Huiying and Buffon's Old Sao. Jointly forwarded by multiple other departments. The lineup was unprecedentedly grand. Of course, no matter how grand the lineup, what the audience wanted to see was the quality. Only if the quality was good would people be willing to pay attention and care about the Shi-to-Re behind the MV. However, a saying was circulating online. Buffon's work is always a masterpiece. Now, seeing that the lyrics and music of this MV were all by Buffon, everyone immediately became interested. This mysterious guy never acts unless, when he does, it's always astonishing. So the audience clicked on the MV one after another, wanting to see the spectacle, until the music and the last piece of footage disappeared. Buffon's figure never appeared. You were still as mysterious as ever, but everyone was satisfied with these materials. Every figure in this 6DO was deeply etched into everyone's hearts. Even long after the main 6DO was released, no one had liked it. No one had commented. It was as if everyone had disappeared. In Huiying's meeting room, Lin Silly had been watching the real-time data on Lie. She didn't understand why. With over 100 million people watching, there wasn't a single lie. Did everyone not approve of this 6DO? Lin Silly felt a bit disappointed. She wiped her slightly reddened eyes, finding it hard to accept this situation. But the next moment, the 6DO's data suddenly surged. Likes and comments exploded. exploded like a flood. Out of control. This was the first time ever. In such a short time, data had risen in a blowout. In just a few breaths, likes went from 100,000 to 5 million, then 10 million, 20 million. The platform experienced its first ever comment lag. Even so, it didn't seem to stop netizens from liking and commenting. They had started out curious about this MV released by Huiying, and were expectant when they saw it was written and composed by Buffon. But now, after watching it completely, they were deeply moved. Empathy was the most direct feeling in everyone's hearts right now. The 6DO also shot straight up from the bottom, firmly occupying the top spot on the trending list. In Huiying's meeting room, a sudden burst of cheers erupted. Lin Silly also clenched her fists in excitement, speechlessly watching the rapidly rising data. So everyone wasn't unmoved. They just hadn't had time to process this feeling yet. Another half hour passed. This popularity wasn't limited to one platform. It even spread to Weibo. All the trending topics on Weibo were about this MV. Netizens were discussing it endlessly. Some netizen was the first to notice that Huiying had uploaded a pure audio version. The song just ordinary, and it was set to fry. At that moment, everyone who had seen the MV rushed to Huiying's platform to rate it. Download, favorite, one-click triple support. Within that day, the entire Huagua entertainment industry was shaken. No matter which entertainment company or individual, after watching the 6DO, silently reposted it. Such popularity, they were incredibly envious but couldn't replicate it. They could only follow along and silently ride the wave, forcing their way into the trend. And at that moment, Shin who was sobbing softly in your arms, grabbing your shirt, wiped her tears and snot all over it, looking like a pitiful little thing, making your heart ache. It's just watching a 6DO. Crying is one thing, but why do you look so wronged? Shin finally knew what you had been busy with outside these past few days, creating a song like this, cooperating with Huiying, helping her get that unrealistic contract. She had no idea what you had been through. What she felt wrong about was, you had done so much outside, and didn't tell her when you came back. Did you suffer any losses because of this? Did anyone give you a hard time? How much energy did you spend creating a song like this? At the same time, at the Tianmei Entertainment branch in the city center, Lu Li had a face so gloomy it could drip water. Her agent, Sister Qin, also looked terrible. The atmosphere in the room was tense. Only Zhao Chu was secretly laughing not far away, looking very pleased with herself. Lu Li glanced at her agent. She increasingly felt this aging woman was useless. Sister Qin, wasn't your song originally scheduled to go online on Huiying at the end of July? What's going on now? It got pulled down, and I'm supposed to go online early August? The company's promotion is already out. I just bought trending topics. And they, without a word, postponed my song, and even hogged all the trending topics. Sister Qin, you've always been in charge of this. You need to give me an explanation. Sister Qin's face grew even darker. With something like this happening, she was already in a bad mood. And now Lu Li was yelling at her. She felt even more furious. You want an explanation from me? Go talk to Huiying if you have the guts. Why are you taking it out on me? Who knew some Buffon would pop up out of nowhere with a song, and make Huiying release their MV early? If she didn't depend on Lu Li for her livelihood, Sister Qin wouldn't even want to deal with her. So what do we do now? Lu Li's tone was still aggressive. Sister Qin frowned. They were in the same boat now. She couldn't afford to fall out with her yet. She sneered. We'll do this. Hearing this, Lu Li knew it was the only option. She silently cursed Buffon in her heart. It was all his fault for stealing the popularity that should have been hers. When Lu Li turned her head and saw Zhao Chu, who was covering her mouth and laughing not far away, she got even angrier. Zhao Chu, can't you see how chaotic it is here? Why aren't you coming over to clean up? Her voice was sharp and piercing, making Zhao Chu want to plug her ears. Oh, I'm so sorry. My contract ends today. I've already submitted my resignation. I'm not putting up with this anymore. Zhao Chu said, laughing out loud, sat down on a chair, crossed her legs, and leisurely sipped her tea. Lu Li shot up from her seat, pointed at Zhao Chu, her face turning purple, but couldn't say a word for a long time. At this time, after lunch, your family of 3 happily took attack 11 out. In the afternoon, you arrived at the 4 store on time. Welcome, sir. Ma'am, do you have any preferred models? The salesperson in charge had her eyes light up. With several years of sales experience, seeing a family of 3 come to look at a car, 80% of the time, they would make a purchase. You nodded. You and Shin had done some research at home, and chose the model before coming. Do you have an H9? The top trim? Det, we do. Hearing that you indeed had a model in mind, the salesperson's eyes brightened even more. The cheapest top trim H9 would cost over 300,000 all in. Sir, we have a top trim H9 in stock right now, and there are 2. One in quicksand gold, and one in gentian purple. Which one would you like to see first? The salesperson said, leading the 3 of you inside the store. Gentian purple. It looks more profound. This was also what you had agreed on at home. Gentian purple looked more luxurious. You won't lose face when you go out, sir. You have great taste, sir. Gentian purple really suits your wife's temperament better, the salesperson said, leading you to the front of the car and introducing it. This is the top trim H9 in gentian purple. Sir, why don't you sit in and try it? You chuckled. I won't. You too. Give me Wan. You try it. You saw Shin Yuchu's eyes light up when she saw this car. She was clearly quite satisfied with it. Shin Yuchu was a bit shy. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, but she mustered her courage and handed Wan to you, then sat inside. He had once dreamed of owning his own car. He never thought it would actually happen today. The car was great. Its lines were elegant yet powerful. Seeing Shin Yuchu couldn't put it down, you felt even happier. You pulled out your bank card and driver's license with a flourish, handed them to the salesperson. That's it. Full payment by card. The salesperson's smile stretched ear to ear. Det, sir. I'll make sure you get the biggest discount. Wait while I prepare the documents. You didn't wait long. The salesperson returned with the purchase contract and all the materials. You all walked to the rest area and sat down at a table. Sir, for full payment, we can offer you a price of 385,000. Insurance and license plates are all included, and we'll throw in a full set of seat covers and a car cover. You can pick up the car tomorrow. You nodded. Without a second thought, you entered your PIN and swiped the card. All the formalities were done. You made an appointment with the salesperson to pick up the car tomorrow morning. Then you left the 4's stop cheerfully. It was already 5 in the afternoon when you got home. As soon as you arrived, you got a call from Li Xia. Hey, big talent. Congratulations. The internet is flooded with that MV and news about you. You're completely famous now. Same to you. I never wanted to be this famous, but your company must be reaping the benefits, right? You laughed. That's all thanks to you, big talent. Now, business. When is Shin Yuchu coming to report? On the other end, Li Xia teased you. Then she asked with a smile. You looked at Shin Yuchu on the sofa, who was perking up her ears. She was secretly eavesdropping on your call.
You smile. In a couple of days, at the latest, by the 3rd, there are still some things at home. Once they're handled, she'll go. Alright, then I'll be waiting for her grand arrival. Li Xia was very curious. What kind of woman could make you go to such lengths for her? What's her personality lie? The 4-stop was very efficient. At 10 the next morning, the salesperson called to notify you. The car is licensed and insured. You can pick it up anytime. The task of picking up the car was given to Shin Yuchu. You didn't go with her. Instead, you stayed home to watch Wanwan. She drove to the 4-stop. Shin Yuchu successfully picked up the car. After taking it for a test drive, she drove into the city. She was going to find Zhao Chuchu and Yunjie to bring them both to Star Entertainment. Shin Yuchu had already made up her mind. She would report to Star Entertainment tomorrow. Even though you said she could go later, she didn't want to. She had her own little thoughts. Besides singing being her dream, she didn't want to be a vase, just relying on you. At that moment, Shin Yuchu didn't know Zhao Chuchu had already quit. She drove to a spot not far from Tianmei Entertainment Building. Then she called Zhao Chuchu. She wanted to surprise her. The call was quickly answered. Shin Yuchu had a smile on her face. Even her voice sounded bright. Chuchu, guess where I am? Zhao Chuchu was packing up in her rented apartment. After quitting, she planned to go back to her hometown. She had already made up her mind. Just then, she received a call from Shin Yuchu. Shinjia, where else could you be but at home? Silly, I'm downstairs at your company. Come down quick. I have something to tell you. Alright, Shinjia, wait a moment. I'll be right there. Zhao Chuchu panicked a little. Why was Shinjia at her company building? She didn't know how to tell Shin Yuchu about quitting and going back to her hometown. Luckily, Zhao Chuchu's rented apartment wasn't far from Tianmei Entertainment Building. Soon, she ran downstairs, out of breath. She looked around until she heard a voice. Chuchu, I'm over here. She turned to look. She saw Shin Yuchu getting out of a brand new car, waving at her. Shinjia, you bought a car? Zhao Chuchu's eyes narrowed into a beautiful curve. She quickly walked over to Shin Yuchu, looking at the shiny new car beside Shin Yuchu. She was utterly shocked. That man actually bought Shinjia a car? Wasn't he mean to her? Shin Yuchu smiled and nodded. She took Zhao Chuchu's hand. Yeah, I just bought it. I came today to discuss something with you. Are you Fry? Zhao Chuchu then noticed. This time, Shin Yuchu seemed different from the last time she saw her. Her skin was much more radiant. Her face was a bit rounder. Her complexion was clearly better. Most importantly, the confidence she once had seemed to be back. Seeing her former assistant, Shin Yuchu's eyes sparkled with hope. She directly took her hand. Chuchu, come back and be my assistant again. Let's get Yunjie. I'm making a comeback. As soon as she said it, Zhao Chuchu froze. She couldn't believe her ears. But the next second, she jumped up excitedly. I knew there was always a way. Shinjia, what a coincidence. I just quit. We can fight side by side again. However, Shin Yuchu was stunned. She only then realized that Chuchu had already quit. Instantly, a wave of guilt and sadness washed over her. I'm sorry. I was too willful before. It's all my fault for dragging you and Yunjie down. You have to look to the future. I'm making a comeback now. Then she asked, do you know where Yunjie is? Let's go find her now. Zhao Chuchu immediately gave the address, knowing Yunjie was definitely at the hospital taking care of her mother. Shin Yuchu didn't waste any time. She told Chuchu to get in the car. The two rushed to the hospital. But in the car, Zhao Chuchu looked at the brand new interior, suddenly asked curiously, Shinjia, does he know you're making a comeback? Shin Yuchu nodded. A smile unconsciously curled at the corner of her mouth. He knows. He even helped negotiate the contract for this comeback. And he bought this car for me. This one sentence made Zhao Chuchu's mouth drop open in SOC. He helped negotiate the contract? How is that possible? Shinjia, you're not lying to me, are you? Shin Yuchu shook her head. She dropped an even bigger bombshell. It's true. He negotiated the contract with Star Entertainment for me, and it's the top-tier kind. Zhao Chuchu was completely dumbfounded. She couldn't figure it out. How could that man possibly negotiate a top-tier contract? Seeing she was silent, Shin Yuchu continued. He's really good to me now. Don't treat him like that anymore. Zhao Chuchu snapped back to reality, pouting and teasing. Shinjia, you're so protective. I'm jealous. The kind that can't be fixed. Shin Yuchu's pretty face flushed, but she didn't argue. Soon, they arrived at the hospital. Standing outside ward 302 of the inpatient department, Shin Yuchu felt anxious. But when she knocked and the door opened, the moment she saw Yunjie, tears almost welled up in her eyes. Yunjie, who once had jet black hair, now had white strands. Her resilient face was edged with hardship. She looked exactly like Shin Yuchu used to. When Yunjie saw Shin Yuchu, she was also completely stunned. She stared at her blankly. They looked at each other, speechless for a moment. It was Zhao Chuchu who ran in first to break the silence. Yunjie, Shinjie, and I came to find you. Yunjie finally snapped out of it. She nervously rubbed her hands. You're here. Why didn't you tell me in advance? Look at me lie this. She forced a smile. Mom's health is oku. One more surgery and she'll be fully recovered. But there was a hint of bitterness in that smile. She was at the end of her rope. She still owed over 100,000 outside. How was she going to pay for the next surgery? Shin Yuchu walked into the ward. She lowered her head and bit her lip. Like a child who had done something wrong. But Yunjie walked over and took her hand. A relieved smile appeared on her face. I'm really happy you came to see me. I'm even happier to see you lie this now. It means you're doing well. I stopped you before because I cared about you. Don't take it to heart. At that moment, Shin Yuchu couldn't hold it in anymore. Yunjie, I'm sorry. She suddenly threw herself into Yunjie's arms. Tears streamed down like raindrops. Yunjie gently patted her back and comforted her softly. Don't apologize. What mother would blame her own child? I really treat you like my own daughter. Hearing this, Shin Yuchu cried even harder. Yunjie just held her like that, patting her until she was tired of crying. She lifted her red, swollen eyes, looked at Yunjie's gentle smile. Shin Yuchu pursed her lips. Yunjie, I'm making a comeback. Will you still be my ma Najio? Hearing this, Yunjie was taken aback. She immediately frowned. What about your child? Are you sure? Is that guy taking care of her? In Yunjie's eyes, Lu Fan wasn't the type to take care of a child. But Shin Yuchu nodded firmly. Lu Fan is Wanwan's father. He'll take good care of Wanwan. I trust him. Yunjie rubbed her temples, suppressing her doubts. Even if he can take care of the child, making a comeback isn't easy. Do you have a company to sign with? What resources will the company give you? Before she finished speaking, Shin Yuchu immediately pulled a contract from her bag and handed it over. Yunjie, look. This is a contract from Star Entertainment. Seeing the words Star Entertainment, Yunjie froze. That was one of the 3 giants in the country. She took the contract skeptically. She flipped through it carefully, but the more she read, the more shocked she became. By the end, her hands were trembling slightly. What kind of godly contract is this? Did Shin Yuchu kidnap the bot of Star Entertainment? Top-tier resources, no restrictions on freedom. A 2-year short-term contract. This is practically a tyrannical clause. Yunjie looked up sharply, her voice shaking. Is this real? Of course it's real.
It even has Star Entertainment's stamp on it. Shin Yuchu quickly explained, afraid she wouldn't believe it, but Yunjia was completely stunned. She stared blankly at her. The terms in this contract, she had never seen in her entire career as a Manhwa. This is insane. Is Star Entertainment crazy? Yunjia, I'm going to report tomorrow. Seeing she still didn't believe it, Shin Yuchu had to emphasize again. Finally, Yunjia believed it. But yes, her face in faith. You tell me honestly. How did you sign this contract? Shin Yuchu breathed a sigh of relief. Her cheeks flushed slightly. Lu Fan went to Shanghai to get it for me. He wrote a song for Star Entertainment. This one sentence made Yunjia question her life. Lu Fan wrote a song and got this kind of insane contract? This is a fairy tale. The most absurd thing I've ever heard. Yuchu, don't blame him for not believing him. Can he write songs? Even if he can, what kind of song could be worth a contract like this? Don't let him fool you. He really did write a song. Seeing Yunjia didn't believe her, Shin Yuchu immediately took out her phone. She opened the Otsao named Bufon on the platform. Yunjia took the phone skeptically. Zhao Chuchu also leaned in. The next second, oh my god. Over 100 million likes. Zhao Chuchu exclaimed dramatically. Then quickly covered her mouth. This was also work. Yunjia was also dumbfounded. What 60O has over 100 million likes? Then, she saw the Otsao name, Bufon, followed by co-created by Huayin. Yunjia was instantly confused. A ridiculous thought popped into her head. Bufon is Lu Fen? Zhao Chuchu also whispered in SOC. Bufon, the hottest and most mysterious guy on the internet right now. Seeing their shocked expressions, Shin Yuchu blushed even more. This time, Yunjia finally snapped out of it. She looked at Shin Yuchu with a complex expression and handed back the phone. She was, of course, het pie for Shin Yuchu's bright future. But the next second, she sighed. Yuchu, with your conditions, you can definitely find a better Manhwa. Forget about me. Why? Yunjia, don't you want me anymore? Shin Yuchu exclaimed. Yunjia looked at the ward, full of helplessness. You can see, my mother needs care. I really can't leave. We can hire a nanny. But Yunjia looked troubled. She didn't have the money to hire a nanny. Following Shin Yuchu would only drag her down. Yuchu, don't try to convince me anymore. Cherish this great opportunity. Don't be so willful anymore. With that, Yunjia turned her head away, not looking at her. Shin Yuchu bit her lip. She didn't understand why Yunjia wouldn't come with her. She had come with hope and left disappointed. On the way back, Shin Yuchu was silent. After dropping Zhao Chuchu off, she drove home alone. But when the door opened, she saw you and was startled. She had been crying. Did everything go smoothly? You asked directly. But as soon as you said it, Shin Yuchu's mouth immediately puckered. She plopped down on the sofa. Seeing you, she felt like she had found her only support. Tears started to well up again. Yunjia, she doesn't want to go with me. You frowned. Why? In your memory, that stern woman, wasn't she the one who doted on Shin Yuchu the most? Then, Shin Yuchu told you everything that happened at the hospital. She told you all about it, looking pitiful. You listened quietly until she finished, then you nodded thoughtfully. I understand. You suddenly stood up. You're such a fool. Stay home and watch 1-1. I'm going out for a bit. Where are you going? Shin Yuchu looked unhappy. Whether it was because you called her a fool, or because she didn't want you to leave. You turned around, a slight smile on your lips. I'm going to get back the person who's important to you. With that, you walked out the door. First, you found a housekeeping company. Then you drove straight to the hospital. But you didn't go directly to Yunjie. Instead, you first found the attending doctor. After learning all about Yunjie's other doctor, you went up to the inpatient department. You arrived at ward 302. You composed yourself, putting on a cold expression. Yunjie appeared, her eyes red-rimmed. She was startled to see you. But you spoke calmly, with an imposing tone. Yunjie, aren't you going to let me in? Yunjie frowned. But she stepped aside to let you in. As soon as you entered the ward, an elderly woman with white hair and a frail frame looked over. Xiao Yun, is this your friend? Before Yunjie could answer, you quickly walked to the bedside. You took the old woman's hand. Auntie, my wife is Yunjie's friend. I came before. I saw you were sleeping, so I didn't disturb you. Hearing this, the old woman immediately showed a kind smile. Oh, so you're Xiao Yun's friend. You're so thoughtful, you quickly responded. Auntie, we're the lucky ones to have Yunjie as a friend. My wife talks about Yunjie's kindness all day at home. My ears are getting calluses. You changed the subject. You started rambling. It's such a shame this time. My wife wants to work with Yunjie. But she's worried about your health and doesn't want to go. You don't know. My wife came home crying her heart out. Behind you, Yunjie's face changed drastically. In her eyes, you were just persuaded by Yunjie. What work? Xiao Yun, what's going on? Yunjie's mother didn't know the specifics of her daughter's job. Hearing this, her white eyebrows immediately furrowed. Mom, don't listen to him. There's no work. Yunjie glared at you and quickly explained. But the old woman wasn't stupid. She immediately gripped your hand. Young man, tell me exactly what kind of work it is. You pretended to be hesitant. You glanced at Yunjie, then spoke slowly. Auntie, this job requires travel. We wanted to hire a nanny for you, but Yunjie is worried. She insists on taking care of you herself. Xiao Yun, you child. Hearing this, the old woman immediately turned to her daughter. If work requires travel, then go. Mom, Yunjie was anxious. She hated you even more in her heart. She knew you understood she wanted to stay. The real reason was she couldn't leave. Where would she get the money to hire a nanny? She didn't even have the money for the next surgery. Just then, you spoke calmly. Yunjie, let's talk outside. With that, you smiled at the old woman. Then you turned and walked out of the ward. Yunjie gritted her teeth and followed. In the hallway, Yunjie looked up at you angrily. What exactly are you trying to do? But you looked down at her, as if stating a fact. You can think of me as a bad guy. I just don't want Yuchu to be sad. If you don't go with her, she'll always worry about you. Then her passion for work will be at most half of what it could be. You paused and dropped a bombshell. By the way, Auntie's next surgery fee is paid. The nanny, I've also arranged. Here's the number. You can choose who you want. Are you trying to buy me off? Yunjie laughed bitterly. But you shrugged like a thug. Don't flatter yourself. You looked her straight in the eye, word by word. You and Yuchu are brought by Yuchu. It has nothing to do with the company. I don't care how much salary she pays you. Anyway, this is my money. You have to pay me back. You spread your hands, putting on I don't care attitude. Anyway, the surgery fee and nanny fee are already paid. They won't refund it. What you do next is up to you. With that, you didn't give Yunjie any time to react. You turned and walked away. Don't tell Shin Yuchu. When you were almost at the door, Yunjie's voice came from behind. You didn't look back, just waved your hand. Then you quickly left. In the hallway, Yunjie watched you disappear. Her eyes were complex. After a long time, she returned to the ward. Xiao Yun, that young man is gone? Seeing you come in alone, she had the bed in motion for her to sit down. Don't blame him. He's a good person. I've seen a lot of people. You can tell what kind of person she is from her eyes. The old woman held her daughter's hand and spoke earnestly. I know you're filial.
But there are many paths in life. If you choose the wrong one, you'll regret it later. My health is pretty good, isn't it? One more surgery and I'll be fully recovered. The doctor also said the risk is low. Go. If I cause you to regret it later, I would be the one truly sad. Yunjia lowered her head and was silent for a long time. Finally, she nodded gently. Meanwhile, as soon as you got home, Shin Yu-chu came over. Her little face was full of curiosity, but you deliberately ignored her. You cheerfully picked up Wan. Wan, what do you want for dinner? Shin Yu-chu's expression froze. She looked at you in disbelief as you walked right past her. Daddy's cooking is all delicious. The little one was very cooperative, completely unaware that her mother's face had fallen. All right, Daddy will go cook now. You kissed the little one, then turned and headed to the kitchen. I'm mad, Shin Yu-chu pouted, her face full of grievance. Her expression seemed to accuse you of ignoring her. Didn't you know how anxious she was waiting at home? You turned around with an innocent look. What's wrong? This question made Shin Yu-chu angry. You called me fool so gently when you left, and now you're playing dumb. She angrily plopped down on the sofa, crossed her arms and turned her head away from you. You smiled. You decided to stop teasing her. Remember to bring your 2 loyal bodyguards when you go out tomorrow. With your temper, if you don't take them, you'll get bullied. Shin Yu-chu's eyes instantly sparkled. Her quick change of expression amazed you. Yunjae agreed. What do you think? All right, I'm going to cook now. Don't bother me. Shin Yu-chu never asked how you did it, because every time she asked, you played dumb. But that didn't stop her from looking at you with bright eyes. She probably felt that since you changed, there was nothing you couldn't do. The next morning, Shin Yu-chu got up early. You also didn't go for your run. You stayed home with her. The two of them worked together to make breakfast in the kitchen. Wan was still sleeping. Shin Yu-chu was afraid to see him wake up. She would be reluctant to leave. Breakfast was ready. He ate quietly. You sat beside him, nagging with reminders. Remember to call often when you get there. Otherwise, Wan will miss you. If anything happens, tell me. Don't keep it to yourself, lie a fool. Shin Yu-chu sipped her porridge slowly, listening to you. Suddenly felt a sense of loss in her heart. She didn't want to leave anymore. He ate this meal extremely slowly, until the bowl was empty. Just then, his phone rang. You reminded her, and she snapped out of it, answering the call. Hello, Sister Shin. I'm ready. Sister Yun is with me. When will you come? I'll be there soon. You guys wait a bit longer. Okay, then see you at my place later. Don't miss it. The call ended. Shin Yu-chu looked up at you. The complex look in her almond eyes made your heart tremble. You had to admit, Shin Yu-chu was really beautiful. You quickly turned your head to look at the luggage in the living room. Time to go. Don't keep them waiting. I'll go trek on Wan and then leave. Shin Yu-chu withdrew her gaze, her voice very soft. You nodded and walked into the bedroom with her. The little one was sleeping soundly, sprawled out, oblivious that her mother was about to go far away. Shin Yu-chu leaned down and kissed her little face again and again, then buried her face in his neck and nuzzled. Only then did she reluctantly get up. She walked out of the bedroom, looking back every few steps. You silently followed her, helped her load the luggage into the car, watched her sit in the driver's seat. Only then did you close the car door and walk to the side. I'm leaving. Shin Yu-chu turned her head to look at you. Remember to come home often, otherwise the little one will cause a ruckus. Got it. The car started. Suddenly, Shin Yu-chu turned her head again. Her expression was extremely serious. Lu Fen, I lie you. As soon as she said it, before you could respond, the car sped away, drove all the way to the city center. Zhao Chu-chu had been waiting eagerly. Sister Yun beside her shook her head. This girl is still so impatient. Sister Shin is here. Seeing Shin Yu-chu's car, Zhao Chu-chu quickly waved. Chu-chu, Sister Yun, have you been waiting long? Shin Yu-chu took Zhao Chu-chu's hand, then looked apologetically at Sister Yun. Not long. It's mainly because this girl is too impatient. Sister Yun had a smile on her face. She never expected the three of them would reunite like this. And all of this was because of that man who looked like a pretty boy. Sister Yun, thank you for coming. Without you and Chu-chu, I wouldn't know what to do. Alright, you're a mother now. Still acting like a child. Sister Yun patted her hand. Her demeanor was capable. You should be thanking your man instead. Enough talk. Let's go get the luggage. These words instantly made Shin Yu-chu blush deeply. She still didn't know how you convinced Sister Yun. The three of them didn't have much luggage. The car easily fit it all. After getting in, Zhao Chu-chu waved her hand and shouted excitedly, let's go. The bright road ahead. Here we come. The car sped all the way towards the Magic City. Meanwhile, at the Fanqing Entertainment Building in the Magic City, Li Xia arrived at the office early, but was restless all day. Finally made it to noon. She calculated the time and immediately went downstairs. She arrived at the building entrance, wanting to see what kind of person the wife that guy doted on so much really was. She didn't wait long. A car with a Jiangcheng license plate drove into the parking lot. Li Xia's eyes narrowed slightly. Three people got out of the car. One was chattering, full of youthful energy. The other was older, with a face full of affection. Seeing these two friends, she knew Shin Yu-chu's character must be good. Then, she turned her gaze to the woman in the middle. An oval face, almond-shaped eyes, a gentle smile on her face. She looked pitiful at first glance. No wonder that guy Lu Fen was like that. Li Xia composed herself and quickly stepped forward. Hello, you must be Shin Yu-chu. I'm Li Xia, Vice Minister of Human Resources at Fanqing Entertainment. Welcome aboard. Hello, I'm Shin Yu-chu. Shin Yu-chu's voice was soft and sweet. She was also sizing up this mature woman. Good temperament, nigh voice, and unexpectedly pure and clean. But Li Xia was thinking, such a good woman. How was she originally taken away by that guy Lu Fen? She rarely looked away first. Looked at Zhao Chu-chu and Sister Yun. These two are Zhao Chu-chu, my assistant, and Sister Yun, my agent. Shin Yu-chu answered seriously, but she always felt that this mature woman was very polite to her. Yet her reaction was a bit strange. Shin Yu-chu tilted her head in confusion. Suddenly, as if she thought of something, her eyes dimmed a little. Bringing your own Tim, huh? That's fine. Saves trouble. Li Xia nodded to the two of them, then turned her face back. Then I'll give you a tour first. After all, you'll be working here for the next 2 years. After the tour, I'll take you to the apartment. The group followed Li Xia into the building. Along the way, Zhao Chu-chu was completely shocked. This place is way more luxurious than Tianmei Entertainment in Jiangcheng. You could see trending stars everywhere. This is nothing like Tianmei's branch. You know, in Jiangcheng, a second-tier singer like Lu Li could throw her weight around. Li Xia took them straight up to the 11th floor by elevator, introducing enthusiastically. This whole floor is recording studios, all filled with top-notch professional equipment. Next, we'll go to the 12th floor. That's the exclusive lounge for singers, for songwriting and receiving notifications. During this
this time, people kept greeting Li Xia. Their faces all had strange flattery. Xin Yuchu was even more puzzled when these people saw her. Why was there jealousy in their eyes? Xin Yuchu didn't understand. Wasn't Li Xia just a vice minister of human resources? Why did everyone look at her so strangely? Even more absurdly, she saw a bald man with a human resources minister badge, who actively stopped to greet Li Xia, and even greeted her. Xin Yuchu responded, a bit flattered, thinking, this minister named Zhang Hao has such a good temper. You know, at Tianmei, those leaders all looked down their noses. Just then, Li Xia stopped at the end of the corridor. She pointed to the room in front. This will be your exclusive lounge from now on. Xin Yuchu looked up. The door was closed with a combination lock. Her name was clearly written on the door plate. Li Xia entered the code while introducing the initial Patgut. 6 sixes. You can change it later. Take a look. The door opened. The group walked into the room. Zhao Chuchu instantly let out a wow. This lounge is huge. The decoration is so luxurious. Even Xin Yuchu was shocked. She had never seen such a luxurious lounge. Zhao Chuchu was so happy she almost fainted. Thinking back to the dump at Tianmei, there's just no comparison without contrast. If there weren't outsiders, she would have wanted to jump on the sofa and roll around. Li Xia smiled at their delighted expressions. Not everyone gets this treatment. Top-tier resources. The lounge naturally has to be top-tier too. Hearing this, Zhao Chuchu instantly felt that guy Lu Fan wasn't so bad after all. Until they came out, Zhao Chuchu was still immersed in happiness. Just then, the door next to them suddenly opened. An elegant woman stepped out in high heels, followed by a small assistant. Seeing the group, surprise flashed across the woman's face. Then she greeted Li Xia. Sister Li, you're personally showing people around the rooms? Lena is going out. There's a meet and greet this afternoon. Sister Li, you're busy. I'll go first. After saying that, Lena just glanced at Xin Yuchu, then walked away gracefully in her high heels. Let's go too. Li Xia turned around, a smile returning to her face. The upper floors are all meeting rooms. I won't take you there. Let's go straight to the apartment. Drop off the luggage and have lunch. My treat. Xin Yuchu felt she was being overly enthusiastic. She had a good impression of the company today, but everything seemed strangely off. Getting into the elevator, Xin Yuchu suddenly asked softly, Minister Li, are you and Lu Fen very close? Li Xia's smile froze. So that's how it is. Xin Yuchu's eyes narrowed slightly. An indescribable feeling welled up in her heart. Well, when he came over, I also handled the reception. I've been following up, so we're a bit familiar. Li Xia quickly recovered. Xin Yuchu just hummed softly, and didn't say anything else. The group went downstairs. Li Xia led the way in her gray Mercedes. Xin Yuchu drove slowly behind. As soon as Zhao Chuchu got in the car, she cheerfully praised everything. Until Sister Yun gave her a look. She quieted down. Sister Xin, what's wrong? Zhao Chuchu leaned over the front seat and asked curiously. I'm fine, Chuchu. Go on. You call that fine? Zhao Chuchu was confused. Turned to Sister Yun for help. But Sister Yun just smiled at Xin Yuchu and said nothing. She could tell at a glance that someone had fallen into a vinegar jar. At home, you were having a headache. Your wife had only been gone half a day. Your daughter Wan Wan was crying for her mom. You tried everything, but she cried even harder, shouting that daddy is a bad guy, hiding mommy away. You grimaced and sang Little Tiger, but Wan Wan's little pearls of tears kept falling, her feet kicking hard, determined not to stop until she saw her mom. You scratched your head. What to do? You couldn't just call Xin Yuchu back now. She would laugh at you. Just then, the phone on the table suddenly rang. You glanced at it. The next second, your eyes lit up. A savior. It was a WeChat message from Xin Yuchu. Only 2 words. You there? You quickly replied. Of course I am. Unexpectedly, she replied. Had lunch with Minister Li today. What the hell? You didn't have time to think. Quickly opened a 6DO call. Xin Yuchu's CU face appeared on the screen. You immediately smiled bitterly and pointed the phone at Wan Wan. Mommy, Wan Wan misses you. But Xin Yuchu's face instantly turned cold. Lu Fen, is this what you call taking good care of Wan Wan? You pretended not to hear. Wan Wan saw her mom, wiping her tears pitifully. Mommy, did daddy hide you? Don't you want Wan Wan anymore? Xin Yuchu immediately coaxed Wan Wan softly. Be good. Mommy just went out to work. I'll be home soon. The little one actually slowly stopped crying. You felt 1,000,000 points of damage. You made funny faces and sang, but her one sentence was more effective. After coaxing the daughter, you turned the phone to yourself, your eyes darting around. Then Xin Yuchu bombarded you with a question. Can you really take care of the child? You got anxious. Who are you underestimating? Today was just an accident. If I went out, you wouldn't be able to calm Wan Wan down either. But Xin Yuchu just gave you a deep look. Her eyes flickered. Suddenly, she asked casually, pretending not to care. You and Minister Li are pretty close? Not bad. You replied casually, completely unaware you were dancing on the edge of death. Not bad. Xin Yuchu repeated softly. You inexplicably felt a chill. Pulled your clothes tighter. But the next second, she rolled her eyes at you and hung up the 6DO. Only then did you realize she was angry. How ridiculous. You were caught in the crossfire. For the next 2 days, Xin Yuchu called home once a day, but each time, she only talked to her daughter, not giving you a single good look, as if you owed her 8 million. But you had no idea. At that moment, Xin Yuchu's career was in a dead end. The company hadn't given her any gigs. Her agent, Sister Yun, contacted all the songwriters, but as soon as they heard she was making a comeback, they all politely refused. A has-been singer who retired 2 years ago, who would write songs for her. They had been abandoned by the entire industry. On the other side, Xin Yuchu was still worried about composing. She had been trying for 2 days, but couldn't find any inspiration. She couldn't help thinking of you. If you were here, you could definitely write a better song. Thinking this, she felt a bit discouraged, feeling like she was inferior to you in every way. Just then, her assistant Zhao Chuchu suddenly sat up. Sister Xin, why don't you ask Lu Fen? Xin Yuchu hesitated. She came out precisely because she didn't want to rely on you anymore. She thought for a long time before finally speaking. Let's wait 2 more days. If it still doesn't work, I'll call him. But she didn't know. At that very moment, in the Fanqing Entertainment meeting room, a meeting that would decide her fate was underway. Chairman Li Tian had an invitation document in front of him. The new song festival, the most famous styling show in the country. We have 2 spots. Let's discuss who should go. A refined man with gold-rimmed glasses. Operations Minister In Ting spoke first. I think Qin Qian can go. She's sweet-looking and quite popular. Most people nodded in agreement. Li Tian made the decision on the spot. Then Qin Qian is one. What about the other? As soon as he finished, HR Minister Zhang Hao suddenly stood up. Chairman, I think Xin Yuchu can also go. Xin Yuchu. Li Tian just remembered. Is this the person you recommended? But before he could speak, that In Ting jumped out again. Minister Zhang, Xin Yuchu won't do. Even amateurs are better than her. No popularity, no works. She retired because of marriage. The audience has a very bad impression of her. But Donghua argued forcefully. That's exactly why we should choose her. I've heard her sing before. Her vocal skills are great. She's also beautiful. Why can't we choose her? Ting frowned, full of disdain. Minister Zhang, you're in HR. I'm in operations. I know more about singers than you. What they need most is popularity. We're not a charity company. Why should we give her a stage? But Donghua suddenly smiled smugly, dropping a bombshell. Minister Ian, you're talking to me about popularity? Then do you know who recommended Shin? May I ask, Minister Ian, how popular is Buffon? What if he writes songs for Shin? Buffon. Hearing this name, Ting instantly shut up. He dared not say Buffon wasn't popular. That was an MV with hundreds of millions of likes. A top star with 50 million fans. Ting looked at Donghua with a dark expression, asked unwillingly, are you sure Buffon will write songs for Shin? Just then, Chairman Li Tian finally spoke, making the final decision. Alright, stop arguing. It's Jin Qian and Shin. Notify them. The meeting ended. Donghua left happily. For the first time, he had gotten the better of his rival. He was overjoyed. Meanwhile, the entire entertainment industry was stirred up by the launch of the new song festival. At the same time, Lu Li from Tianmei Entertainment also received the news. Her agent, Sister Qin, rushed in, shouting excitedly, Lu Li, good news, the new song festival. The company's letting you go, and they've hired a famous songwriter for you. Lu Li was stunned, the nail polish in her hand smeared. She turned around sharply, her eyes full of disbelief. Is it that new song festival that can push me into the first tier? After getting a positive answer, she jumped straight up from her chair. I'm going to be famous. When she heard the name of the songwriter, she became even more arrogant. Miodai godfather, Wumian. Isn't that Wumian? Me and Wumian, a powerful combination. Sister Qin looked at her arrogant demeanor, could only sigh helplessly, just as Lu Li was getting carried away. Your wife, Shin, also received a call from the company. The content was exactly the same. Participate in the new song festival in 3 days. She hung up. She was completely dumbfounded. Her assistant Zhao Chuchu was even more excited to the point of madness, grabbing her shoulders and shaking her hard. Sister Shin, really? The new song festival. But after the excitement, a huge problem lay before them. They had no song. Agent Sister Yun's face was serious. Debuting on the new song festival stage is good, but we must have a great song. They immediately divided the work. Sister Yun frantically contacted former songwriters, while Shin could only bury herself in writing, hoping to create a miracle. At this time, you knew nothing about it. You were still at home teaching your daughter Wanwan nursery rhymes. You wore a big bad wolf headpiece, making her giggle. At 7 p.m., after coaxing Wanwan to sleep, you finally had some quiet time. You kept thinking about what song to prepare for Shin, but there were too many divine songs in your head, and you lost your train of thought. Annoyed, you turned on your phone, and all you saw were your songs. Fans had even made Wanwan's expressions into memes. You looked at the phone and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Wife, oh wife, how are things on your end? When will you take the initiative to contact me? You scrolled through videos and found that besides your songs, the hottest thing on live was the new song festival. It was said this competition was once a year. Whoever goes becomes famous. The rules were simple and brutal. One-on-one matchups. Lose and you're out. You had no interest in it and were even a bit annoyed. Swiped a few times on the big data and turned off the phone to sleep. But early the next morning, a phone call woke you up. It was actually Shin assistant, Zhao Chuchu. On the other end, her voice was extremely low. Lie a thief. You need to control Sister Shin. She's gone crazy. You frowned, instantly awake. What happened? Sister Shin is going to the new song festival, but we have no song. She hasn't slept all night trying to write one. You were instantly overwhelmed. Only then remembering the contract clearly stated you would write songs for her. You were pondering here, and she was in a crisis there. Got it. I'll call her. After hanging up, you immediately called Shin. She answered, her voice tired. Hello, does Wanwan miss me? Your heart ached, and you deliberately said, Wanwan doesn't miss you. Can't you call me? I'm your husband. This was the first time you called yourself her husband in front of her. Dead silence on the other end of the line. You sighed and broke the silence. You're participating in the new song festival. Why didn't you tell me? It's an easy fix. Why make yourself so tired? To you, it was just a matter of a word. But as soon as you finished, the sound of suppressed sobbing suddenly came from the other end. She was crying. You were completely stunned. What did I say? Emotions are so hard to deal with. Just as you were at a loss, a tearful roar suddenly burst from the other end. Lu Fen. Her voice was full of grievance. It made your heart clench. You froze. For the first time, you heard her call you by your full name like that. Do you think I'm completely useless? Always relying on you? You instantly understood. So that's what she thought. You had been negligent. You quickly smiled and interrupted her. I'm sorry. I wasn't blaming you. I was just worried about your health. But as soon as you said that, Shin actually laughed on the other end. The laugh was aggrieved, yet with a hint of stubbornness. Then, your voice became incredibly firm. Shin you and Wanwan are the best gifts heaven has given me. You are my wife, unique. No one can replace you. These words were like a bomb, exploding in her heart. Shin entire face instantly turned red. She hummed softly. Her mood clearly improved. Zhao Chuchu, who was peeking from the side, almost had her eyes pop out. You pressed your advantage. Don't think nonsense from now on. Bro, I'll send it to you tonight. Shin listened to your cocky words. Let out a laugh. Oh cool. Then let me see what song you, Lu Fen, can actually write. He completely gave up, no longer tangled up and tense with suspicion. Relaxation and drowsiness hit him immediately. After hanging up, you finally breathed a sigh of relief. It's harder to coax a wife than a child. Then you took out paper and pen, but got stuck again. Too many divine songs in your head. Which one to choose? Just as you irritably opened the window, a young couple downstairs was saying goodbye. The boy dragged a suitcase. The girl's eyes were teary. Lop rises with the wind. When the wind stops, regret lingers. A flash of inspiration hit you. You instantly had the answer. You quickly walked to the desk, picked up the pen and wrote 3 words. The wind rises. Notes flowed from the pen tip. You were completely immersed in it, until your daughter Wanwan called out, Daddy, I'm hungry. That pulled you back to reality. You immediately broke into a smile. Little treasure is hungry. Daddy will cook right away. Your daughter's words were like a decree. You didn't dare delay for a moment. Turned and went into the kitchen. 2 hours later, the well-fed father and daughter lay down on the sofa. Just then, Shin Yo-chu's 6th call came in. She had dark circles and looked exhausted. Seeing you two so lazy, she immediately put on a pitiful expression. Her almond-shaped eyes, watery, accused you, as if saying, I'm out here working hard, and you're enjoying life at home. How could you withstand that, Tet? You immediately raised your hands in surrender. I haven't been idle. The song is already written, and Wan has also studied. She raised her little hand and said in a bee-by voice, Wan hasn't been idle either. I watched 2 fewer cartoons and learned 5 more numbers. Shin Yu-chu instantly broke character. She admitted she couldn't compete with this little imp. Oh cool, our Wan worked the hardest. Let mommy give you a kiss. The little one immediately blew a kiss. You saw your chance. Brazenly leaned in. Don't I get a reward too? The little one was cheering on the side. Shin Yo-chu's face turned bright red. Finally, unable to resist your enthusiasm, she gave you a symbolic kiss. You were overjoyed. Rushed into the bedroom and grabbed the sheet Myo-dike. Look, I wasn't lying. I really wrote it. Shin Yu-chu gave you a charming, reproachful glance. But inside, she was stunned. Just a few hours, and a song was already done? This man is an absolute genius. The family of 3 chatted a bit more. Then you sent her the complete sheet Myo-dike. Put down the phone, ready to take the kid out. Shin Yo-chu's 6th call came again. As soon as it connected, she stared at you with burning eyes. What's wrong? Your voice stammered. She mimicked your tone and asked back. Nothing wrong. Can't I call you? Wow, not only beautiful but also holds a grudge. You were about to speak when she suddenly said, what exactly are you hiding from me? You scratched your head, looking innocent. Shin Yo-chu's pretty face flushed. Her voice got a bit louder. I mean, these songs of yours, these. You could only touch your nose and try to bluff your way out. What if I said I suddenly had a breakthrough? Would you believe me? Shin Yu-chu gave you a deep look, didn't press further, lowered her head to look at the lyrics. After a long while, she spoke softly, thank you. Then she looked up and smiled. Her gaze was incredibly determined. I won't let this song go to waste. The 6th call ended. Shin Yu-chu knocked on Zhao Chu-chu's door. Zhao Chu-chu looked delighted. Sister Shin, we have a song. Is it from Lu Fen? Wow, this girl just let it slip. So it was him who spilled the beans about their predicament. Then Yunjia was called back by a phone call. Upon hearing there was a song, she was thrilled. We've been hitting dead ends everywhere these days. Now we don't have to grovel anymore. The 3 rushed to Fanqing Entertainment, went straight to the 11th floor recording studio. Shin Yu-chu decided to lock herself in there. Time flew by. Zhao Chu-chu handled the background Myo-dike and copyright. Only then did Shin Yu-chu come out of the recording studio. Just as they were about to go eat, the door opposite also opened. A girl walked out. She was startled when she saw Shin Yu-chu. Still, she nodded politely. Shin Yu-chu smiled back. However, the man behind her looked down his nose, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looking arrogant. Shin Yu-chu didn't know him and turned to leave, but the man snorted coldly. No sense of propriety. Don't you know to greet a superior when you see one? The girl named Chen Qian quickly explained. Uncle, she just got here. How would she know you? So this man was a high-ranking executive at the company, and Chen Qian was the singer who would participate in the new song concert with Shin Yu-chu. What was even more unexpected was what Chen Qian was thinking. He got Gu Fen's song. It should be good, right? He was actually a fan of yours too. Over the next few days, Shin Yu-chu left early and returned late, practicing Lie Crazy. Yun Ji posted her comeback announcement on Lie, but her few thousand followers were mostly bots. The announcement sank like a stone in the sea. No reaction at all. Only some old fans and sharp-eyed gossip accounts noticed it. As soon as they saw the words new song concert, they thought, traffic is coming. So news of Shin Yo-chu's comeback began spreading across the internet. But most people didn't care about this former starlet. Until August 7, the new song concert at the Magic City Stadium officially began. But the director, Ren Xiaofan, was very worried because a song by Buffon had been dominating the trending list. So their new song concert's traffic couldn't compare to before. But the annual new song concert couldn't be postponed because of one person. He had to grit his teeth and start this year's concert. Too bad he couldn't contact Buffon. If he could get him to be a judge for the concert, wouldn't the traffic explode? But he never imagined the big shot he couldn't even invite was now sneaking around like a thief, holding a child, quietly sitting in the audience. You kept it from your wife, Shin Yu-chu, and secretly brought your daughter Wan to Magic City, just to cheer her on Lie. The little imp in your arms was incredibly excited, because she would see mommy soon. You looked at the waving light sticks all around, but not a single one was raised for your wife. You quietly opened the Lie she trim. The comments were overwhelming, and not a single one supported Shin Yu-chu. There were 4 favorites to win. One of them was Lu Li, who dared to reach out to your daughter. Meanwhile, backstage was turbulent. Lu Li's face was ashen. She stared intently at Shin Yu-chu. Why are you here? Her bestie Zhao Chu-chu directly rolled her eyes, retorted on the spot, making Lu Li lose face. Lu Li looked at today's radiant Shin Yu-chu, and recalled the fear of being suppressed by her for years. It felt like the queen had returned. She was defeated before the battle. Just then, her agent's words woke her up. Just as Shin Yu-chu. She has nothing now. Lu Li instantly regained her composure. Right, what does Shin Yu-chu have to compete with me now? Besides, I have the Myo-dike Godfather's song. Thinking this, she glanced disdainfully at Shin Yu-chu. Then, the stage lights outside blazed on. The host came on stage. Her veteran Myo-dike mentors took their seats. The competition officially began. The rules were simple and brutal. The 16 contestants would be randomly paired by the audience's shouts. No one could rig it this time. As the big screen spun rapidly, 8 matchups were instantly generated. You looked at the list and smiled. The next second, the host's voice boomed across the venue. Let's welcome the contestants for the first match. Shin Yu-chu versus Lu Li. As the words fell, the spotlight shone on your wife. Shin Yu-chu and her arch-rival Lu Li slowly walked onto the stage. The destined showdown was about to begin, but you saw Shin Yu-chu's hands trembling slightly. Sure enough, Shin Yu-chu was also feeling nervous inside, and Lu Li looked even more grim. She hadn't expected the first met to be so intense, actually going head-to-head with Shin Yu-chu. The audience instantly buzzed, all wondering who this unfamiliar beauty was. You immediately saw Shin Yu-chu's nervousness, so you suddenly lifted your daughter Wan high. At that moment, Wan became a human cheer sign. Her little face smiled like a crescent moon. She shouted with all her might, "Go, mommy." Shin Yu-chu on stage suddenly saw the familiar figures. She immediately covered her mouth. It was her husband and daughter. Her nervousness instantly vanished. A radiance she had never shown before burst from her eyes. She also curved her eyes, forming the same crescent moon smile as her daughter. That tenderness instantly melted the hearts of the entire audience. Then, the host announced, Shin Yu-chu will sing first. The stage lights dimmed. Only one beam of light shone on her. The prelude began. The venue fell silent. Just then, the song titled The Wind Rises appeared on the big screen, and in the lyricist/composer column, 2 words stood out: Buffon. The entire audience gasped. This unknown singer had actually gotten the mysterious Buffon to write a song. Backstage, Lu Li was dumbfounded. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. The next second, Shin Yochu's ethereal voice rang out. I once couldn't extricate myself from the vastness of the world, and was also intoxicated by lop, immersed in it. Dream words, true or false, no struggle, unafraid of ridicule. The venue was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was completely absorbed, as if seeing their own lost youth. Shin Yochu was also fully invested. Her gaze crossed the sea of people, looking down at the audience, where the 2 most important people in her life were. I will eventually return my youth to her, along with the midsummer play from my fingertips. What the heart desires goes with the wind. In the name of lop, are you still willing? A divine song. Everyone, both on site and in the Lai Shi trim, was completely moved. Countless familiar yet unfamiliar faces flashed through their minds, finally settling on the most unforgettable person from their youth. So this was The Wind Rises. What it stirred up was their buried deep within. The wind called youth. Just then, a thud came from the back of the stage. Lu Li collapsed to the ground, her face ashen. Her lips trembled. She had lost all courage to even go on stage and sing. Shin Yochu, with her perfect singing, armed with this invincible song, completely shattered her pride. Her agent, Qingjia, smiled bitterly. Inferior skill is just inferior skill. Even the judges on the panel looked envious. The Myodaik ended. The venue was dead silent. Shin Yochu looked at the audience, a bit at a loss. You slowly opened your eyes. Seeing her nervous look, you smiled. Just then, Wan reached out her little hand and clapped hard for her mommy. The next second, applause erupted like a tidal wave. Thunderous applause filled the venue. The audience, with tears in their eyes, gave Shin Yochu on stage their most enthusiastic support. At the same time, the Lai Shi trim comments for the new song concert exploded. Indeed, Buffon's work is a masterpiece. I'm crying. This isn't a wind. It's a tornado. At this moment, no one remembered their earlier disdain for Shin Yochu. They thought she was just there to fill a slot. But she started with a royal flush. Then, Shin Yochu bowed deeply, reluctantly took one last look at you and your daughter, then retreated backstage. But the competition continued. Next up was Lu Li. She had somehow gotten up. Watching Shin Yochu pass by her, she felt only deep helplessness. She didn't know how she got on stage. Until the Myodaik started, she was jolted awake, but she was still half a beat too late. The audience immediately booed. This made her even more panicked. Her singing went completely off key. After she finished singing, there was sparse applause. She wanted to cover her face and run away. Backstage, director Rin Xiaofan didn't care. The ratings were through the roof. That was enough. The final vote was a foregone conclusion. A crushing 5-0 victory. Just then, Shin Yochu's message came in, asking to meet you at the backstage exit. Seeing this, you immediately held Wan and left early. Backstage, as soon as Shin Yochu appeared, Zhao Chuchu gave her a big hug. Oko, stop crying. Things will get better from now on. Shin Yochu held her hand, her eyes full of determination. Let's go. Lu Fen is waiting for you at the door. She just wants to see you right now. Holding Wan in her arms, it was already dark outside the exit. As soon as Shin Yochu came out, she saw you from afar, standing straight under the streetlight, holding Wan. At that moment, a feeling called happiness surged into her heart. Simple but incredibly warm. Mommy, Wan broke free from your arms and ran towards Shin Yochu with a patter. Shin Yochu immediately crouched down and hugged her daughter tightly. You walked up and smiled at her. So, is this surprise good enough? Shin Yochu's cheeks flushed, but she looked straight at you. Her starry eyes curved. Very surprising. But none of you knew that this tender scene had been completely caught by Lu Li. She was holding her phone, watching your retreating figures, a venomous glint in her eyes. A brilliant idea to ruin Shin Yochu instantly took shape in her mind. If she couldn't have it, Shin Yochu wouldn't either. Meanwhile, the internet was already in an uproar. Everyone was curious. Where did Buffon find such a treasure of a singer like Shin Yochu? But when they clicked on Shin Yochu's Weibo, they only saw a comeback announcement. So she was a popular starlet from 2 years ago, who retired due to a leaked relationship. As soon as this hot topic emerged, irresponsible media immediately smelled blood and started hyping it crazily. For a time, public opinion was polarized. Some thought since she retired, she shouldn't come back. Others felt that as long as the song was good, her private life was irrelevant. The 2 sides argued fiercely until a killer calm man appeared. Just answer this. Is the song good or not? Instantly, all critics fell silent. They could only mutter. It would sound good sung by anyone else too. Just then, Fanqing Entertainment finally stepped in. An announcement directly exploded the internet. Not only congratulating Shin Yochu on advancing, but also dropping a bombshell. In the next round, Shin Yochu will still sing Buffon's song. After the new song concert, she will release a full album created by Buffon. What? More than one song, the internet was stunned. The topic Shin Yochu and Buffon instantly shot to number 1 on the trending list. However, an even more malicious pot was quietly rising. The next morning, it appeared at number 10 on the trending list. The headline was shocking. Shin Yochu cheated on her husband with mysterious songwriter Buffon. The pot confidently claimed that to make a comeback, she used her beauty to seduce Buffon. Countless marketing accounts reposted it crazily. The comment section was overwhelmingly one-sided, so she's selling her body. Buffon is no good either. Birds of a feather flock together. Although some fans firmly believed in Buffon's character, their voices were quickly drowned out. In just 1 hour, this pot and Shin Yochu's Weibo were pushed to number 1 and 2 on the trending list. At this moment, you had just finished your morning run, completely unaware of this. On the other side, Shin Yochu, with dark circles under her eyes, listlessly walked out of her room. She had insomnia last night. Her mind was full of the scene of you holding her hand at the hotel. Yunjie and Zhao Chuchu saw her state and thought she had been up all night because of the trending topic. Zhao Chuchu, anxious, rushed up to her. Sister Shin, what did Lu Fen say? Isn't he going to come out and clarify? This kind of thing is best if Lu Fen clarifies personally. If Shin Yochu makes a statement, it will only backfire. But Shin Yochu's mind was a mess. She looked blankly at Zhao Chuchu. What's going on? What about Lu Fen now? Zhao Chuchu was speechless. Only then did she realize Shin Yochu had no idea. She stomped her foot in frustration. Sister Shin, you're still thinking about him? He's fine, but you're in trouble. Go trek your Weibo. Shin Yuchu finally sensed something was wrong. She took out her phone and opened Weibo. Instantly, a flood of private messages and comments poured in. When she opened those malicious private messages, her hand involuntarily trembled. She took a deep breath and scrolled down. 9 out of 10 were insults. She exited the private messages. Then she saw the pot and countless marketing accounts follow-ups. After a moment, Shin Yuchu put down her phone and continued eating breakfast. Her expression was eerily calm, as if nothing had happened. But seeing her lie this, Zhao Chuchu became even more worried. Sister Shin, aren't you going to do anything? Shin Yuchu patted her hand and comforted her. Chuchu, the innocent are clear, but public opinion never cares about your life. Shin Yuchu's eyelashes fluttered. Inside, she was in turmoil, but she knew that since you used a pseudonym, you didn't want to reveal your identity, so she couldn't expose you. At this moment, the whole internet was waiting for an explanation. After waiting for a long time, Shin Yuchu's Weibo finally updated. Everyone eagerly clicked on it, and then they all froze. No lengthy PR statement, just 4 simple words. The innocent are clear. This instantly made the online comments even more aggressive. Meanwhile, at Tianmei Entertainment Building, Lu Li was laughing joyfully, although she got scolded by the company. Seeing Shin Yuchu successfully dragged down by her, she was immensely pleased. The uniform comments online were all from paid bots and marketing accounts, but as long as she could mess with Shin Yuchu, she felt it was worth it. Beside her, Qingjia's face was dark. She felt Lu Li had gone mad. Lu Li, this is slander. If Buffon investigates, you're finished. But Lu Li was dismissive. How am I slandering them? If there's nothing going on, why would Buffon write songs for Shin Yuchu? See, she didn't even explain. And the innocent are clear? What a hypocrite. Qingjia looked at the deranged Lu Li and was already planning to abandon her. Meanwhile, you were leisurely showering in the hotel. Your phone outside was ringing like crazy. You had to finish quickly and came out wrapped in a towel. Seeing the caller ID, you were a bit surprised. Hello, Minister Li? What brings you to call a fry man Lie me today? Li Xia's annoyed voice came through the phone. Fry man? You have the nerve to call yourself Fry? You've practically taken over the trending list. You scratched your head. Seems lie it. Anyway, what's the real matter? Li Xia gritted her teeth, her tone even worse. It's about your wife. Shin Yuchu is being dragged through the mud like this, and you're just sitting there? Shin Yuchu is being dragged. You immediately became serious. Your tone was more serious than ever. What happened to Shin Yuchu? At that moment, Li Xia on the other end felt a pang of jealousy. Whenever it involved Shin Yuchu, this man became incredibly serious. She snorted coldly. Go trek the trending list yourself. Then she hung up directly. You frowned, not understanding what was wrong with that woman. But you had no time to think about that now. You quickly opened Weibo. The first thing you saw were the top trending posts. The moment you saw the headline, your face darkened. After reading all the posts and the comments under Shin Yuchu's Weibo, your face was as black as a pot. You were so angry you laughed. Do they really think they can mess with my woman? And that silly woman, with such a big thing. She didn't tell me and tried to handle it alone. You just wanted to confront that fool face to face. Does she even see me as her husband? But before that, you had something to do. Since someone wanted to play, let's play big. Lu Li never imagined the backlash would come so fast and so fiercely. She hadn't been het pie for long before she was plunged into panic. She never imagined that the mysterious Buffon was actually the man she thought was a kept man. At 10 a.m., the whole internet was still buzzing about Shin Yuchu's scandal. Who knew Buffon's short 6DO would suddenly go viral as the other protagonist of the incident, the mysterious big shot with millions of fans? He didn't even need the platform to promote his 6DO. Fans spontaneously pushed the 6DO to trending. Buffon actually showed his face to prove himself. No one expected that at this critical moment, he would step forward without hesitation. But when everyone clicked on the 6DO, they were instantly stunned. This was no self-proof 6DO. It was clearly a mix of law and a declaration of war. In the 6DO, you looked serious. Hello everyone, I am Buffon. I just woke up and saw some really bad comments online. Many people questioned why I wrote songs for Shin Yuchu, and even spread rumors about an affair. You faced the camera, your voice suddenly rising. I just want to ask loudly here, what's wrong with me writing songs for my wife? My wife doesn't want to deal with you, but I won't put up with you. The innocent will clear themselves doesn't exist. You sneered, your eyes sharp. I originally wanted to get along with you as an ordinary person, but I got distance instead. So I'm done pretending. I'm coming clean. My name is Lu Fen. Back then, Shin Yuchu and I both left the industry because we fell in love. We got married later and have been together ever since. As for why I'm called Buffon, now you know. Are you het pie? I also want to say to the person who posted and those marketing accounts. So I've already collected the evidence. Not one of you will get away. Oh, and those paid trolls, every single one of them, will be getting a lawyer's letter. As soon as the 6DO came out, the entire internet was shocked beyond words. After all that arguing, it turns out they were already husband and wife. No one expected that the mysterious Buffon was actually Lu Fen. Absolutely insane. This 6DO spread like crazy at that moment. Your fans went absolutely wild, sharing the 6DO on Weibo. Ha ha ha, I'm standing right here. Who dares to spread rumors now? They were always a perfect couple. Where are the haters from this morning? Open your dog eyes and look. While everyone was still discussing the 6DO, Bonching Entertainment's Weibo immediately followed up with a legal notice, directly stating that, on behalf of Mr. Lu, they will continue to pursue false statements and rumors online. They have now sent lawyers' letters to the poster and marketing companies. All related accounts will be banned. As soon as this notice came out, Weibo exploded. Netizens suddenly realized that the earlier trending posts had all been deleted. The poster even directly deactivated their Otsao. Not long after, Weibo officially stepped in. After verification, they have now banned 1,500 accounts that spread false statements. The internet is not a lawless place. With Weibo's official announcement, your 6DO was directly pushed to the top of the trending list, and Shin Yuchu's Weibo instantly took second place. In a short time, wife doting maniac and the innocent will clear themselves became two trending terms one after another. Countless netizens frantically replayed your quote. My wife doesn't want to deal with you, but I won't put up with you. But at this moment, in a Shanghai apartment, Shin Yuchu was completely unaware of all this. She was holding her daughter Wan, leisurely watching cartoons. Just then, Zhao Chuchu rushed in like a gust of wind. Her face was beaming with excitement. She directly shoved her phone in front of Shin Yuchu's face. Sister Shin, quick, look. He posted a 6DO. Shin Yuchu looked up in confusion. Zhao Chuchu stomped her foot in frustration. Sister Shin, you're so gentle. What will you do in the future? You really should learn from Lu Fen. Look how he directly fought back. So satisfying. Shin Yuchu took the phone and opened the 60O. That familiar, domineering voice immediately came through the speaker. When she finished watching the whole 60O, her mouth was slightly open, her face full of surprise. Zhao Chuchu was still chattering away. Sister Shin, do you know what netizens are calling him now? Wife-doting maniac. So funny. Hearing those 4 words, Shin Yuchu's cheeks quietly flushed red. A hint of sweetness welled up in her heart. Who wouldn't want to be doted on? Thinking this, she directly left her daughter behind and quickly walked back to the room. In the living room, only Zhao Chuchu and Wan were left staring at each other. But back in the room, Shin Yuchu hesitated when she wanted to call you. What would she say if she called? Saying his words were too embarrassing? That would be admitting she was shy. Or should she say he did well? Then would he think she was petty? She flopped onto the bed in frustration, burying her face in the quilt, kicking her legs like a little girl. Finally, she mustered up the courage and directly sent a voice call. The next second, the call was picked up instantly. Your pleasant voice came through. Shin Yuchu's little face was buried in the quilt, flushed red. She asked in a muffled voice, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" But instead of an answer, she got your laughter. What are you doing? Performing? Suffocating yourself with a quilt? Shin Yuchu gasped, suddenly lifting her flushed face, looking panicked. How did he know what I was doing? Until she saw the phone screen, she suddenly realized that she had accidentally clicked on a 60O call. The words huge embarrassment were instantly written on her face. Shin Yuchu's mouth was slightly open, frozen on the spot, staring blankly at you on the other end of the 60O, and you rubbed your nose, thinking to yourself that she was unexpectedly cute like this. The next second, Shin Yuchu let out a whimper and buried her face in the quilt again like an ostrich, never wanting to get up. So embarrassing. Her muffled voice came from the quilt. Don't laugh. You finally stopped laughing tactfully. Oku, I won't laugh. I was just about to head to the apartment. Do you want to pick me up? Then wait for me there. Shin Yuchu finally looked up, her big, watery almond eyes staring at the screen, her pretty face still flushed. She didn't ask you why you posted that 60O. Some things seemed not to need asking anymore. But even though she didn't ask, you took the initiative to speak, your tone suddenly turning serious. But I still have something to say. Shin Yuchu, look how badly you've been slandered. Why didn't you tell me? What exactly do you take me for? Shin Yuchu was silent. You asked her what she took you for. She seemed a bit lost too. But the next second, she got her answer. It was liking you, liking that changed you, liking the way you carefully took care of her and her daughter. But past experiences made it hard for her to open her heart easily. However, what you got was a long silence. Then, your disappointed voice sounded again. It's okay if you don't say. I'm downstairs. Come pick me up. The 60O suddenly ended. Shin Yuchu finally snapped back to reality, remembering your tone just now. Her heart suddenly felt a sharp pang of pain. Had she disappointed him? She quickly got up from the bed, only wanting to see you as fast as possible. Her footsteps flew as she rushed out the door. You got in the car, but your emotions were calm. You just quietly looked out the window. But Shin Yuchu didn't start the car. Instead, she turned around and stared intently at your profile. She took a few deep breaths and finally spoke. Buffon, I'm sorry. You finally turned your head, seeing her slightly reddened eyes, a bitter smile in your heart. You never truly had anything, so how could you lose it? So you spoke softly. No need to apologize. Actually, I'm not the Lu Fen you think I am. Don't feel guilty. But Shin Yuchu stared at you intently. Then, are you Lu Fen? You were hit right in the heart. Remembering at the amusement park, she had also asked you the same question. You scratched your head and could only answer, I am Lu Fen. Then you are the Lu Fen I'm thinking of. Her firm answer left you completely stunned. You tried hard to clench your trembling fists, finally voicing the fear in your heart. But I'm scared. I'm afraid that one day you won't need me anymore. Lu Fen. Shin Yuchu suddenly interrupted you, her eyes full of sympathy. She firmly held your trembling hand, gently leaning against you, and declared word by word, you are Wanwan's father, and also my husband. No matter what happens, we won't leave you. Most importantly, you are by our side. She nestled into your arms, speaking softly and tenderly. You instantly got the answer you wanted. Holding her, you suddenly smiled. From then on, nothing could shake your resolve. A moment later, Shin Yuchu shyly slipped out of your arms. But you just stood there with a silly grin. She gave you a charming glance, and also burst out laughing. This fool is so easy to satisfy. The car slowly drove away. Both of their mindsets had been completely transformed. Meanwhile, at Tianmei Entertainment's apartment, impossible. How could Buffon be Lu Fen? That pretty boy, Lu Li, was going crazy. She swept all the cosmetics off the table. Amidst the harsh shattering sounds, she still wasn't satisfied and stepped forward to stomp on them. And along with the cosmetics, there was also a lawyer's letter from Fanqing Entertainment. He had been exposed. The poster, seeing things go wrong, immediately ratted him out as the mastermind. Now the company had ordered him to take a break. He knew he was finished. Not far away, Qingjie watched with schadenfreude. So Lu Fen really is Buffon. He hid it too deeply. She couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that the nobody pretty boy from 2 years ago had now shown his fangs? Shin Yuchu really has good taste. I don't accept this. Sister Qing, give me your phone. Lu Li was panting heavily, her eyes bloodshot, but Qingjie just gave her a cold glance and spoke impatiently. What don't you accept? Can you sing better than her? You're not as good looking, and you can't even pick a man as well as she can. What's there not to accept? Qingjie's words stabbed into Lu Li's heart like knives. Lu Li suddenly turned her head, staring at her fiercely, but Qingjie was not afraid. Did I say something wrong? Once you're locked up, the contract will naturally end. The company has already abandoned you. Why? Lu Li gritted her teeth. The company needs a cash cow. You have no value anymore. Qingjie looked at her, even speaking from the heart. When you get out, find a nice guy and settle down. Stop messing around. So, should I thank you for your kindness? Lu Li laughed. They had finally torn off the masks. Then, she suddenly revealed a creepy smile. Sister Qing, lend me your phone. Let's finish what we started. Qingjie frowned. What else do you want to do? A fight to the death? Lu Li's smile became chilling. Why does Shin Yuchu always outshine me in everything? She's an orphan. What right does she have? Since I know Buffon is Lu Fen, then I still have a trump card. If I can't touch Shin Yuchu, I'll make Lu Fen lose everything. No one will have it good. Qingjie looked at the nearly insane Lu Li, knowing she had gone mad. She wanted to say that Shin Yuchu had never competed with her and was 10,000 times better in character, but she couldn't say it. At this moment, any stimulation would make Lu Li completely lose control. So Qingjie handed over the phone. Fine, here's your phone, but this has nothing to do with me. I know you're scared. Lu Li took the phone, and under Qing Jie's gaze, dialed a number. Qin Shuai, this is Lu Li. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the apartment's dining room was a bit strange. Wan Wan was eating happily. Yunjie had a knowing anti-smile the whole time, but Zhao Chuchu was just eating with her head down, occasionally sneaking a glance at Yu and Shin Yuchu. Shin Yuchu's pretty face, and even her neck were bright red. She wished she could bury her head in her bowl, and you were grinning foolishly, peeling crayfish, and feeding them to her with chopsticks. Shin Yuchu felt like she was being cooked. This guy had been acting weird since he got out of the car, but you thought it was only natural. She had admitted you were her husband, so what was wrong with feeding her? Can you stop? I can do it myself. Shin Yuchu finally couldn't help it, looking up and glaring at you with a mix of shyness and anger. The coquettish look in her eyes stunned you. So being looked at like this by a girl felt this good. Lop is truly wonderful. You finally stopped feeding your wife and started feeding Wan Wan. After dinner, you finally returned to normal. Sitting on the sofa, you started thinking about the song for the next competition. The top 16 to top 8 was easy, but the top 8 to top 4 might not be. The remaining contestants' singing skills were no worse than Shin Yuchu's. It would come down to original songs and live performance. Coming up with a good song in 3 days is hard for anyone. Even you started to worry. What song should you choose to guarantee victory? And Shin Yuchu wasn't idle either. She was sitting right next to you, perfecting the song she had been thinking about. But that song was always missing a key melody. Shin Yuchu frowned deeply. That melody was like a cat she couldn't catch, making her so anxious she messed up her hair. Until late at night, she still couldn't grasp that spark of inspiration. But early the next morning, just after Shin Yuchu woke up, a major event about you exploded on the trending list again. At first, she didn't think much of it. After all, you had been trending non-stop these days. But when she saw the title of the pot, her eyes instantly narrowed. Her heart began to panic completely. At the same time, countless netizens also saw this trending topic. They were already used to seeing Buffon's name every day, so they clicked on it without thinking. But this time, when they saw the content of the pot, everyone was collectively stunned. Some even rubbed their eyes, not believing what they were seeing. Buffon, domestic abuser. This title was absolutely mind-blowing. Netizens were first taken aback, then burst into laughter. Are you kidding me? Yesterday he was a wife-doting maniac. Today he's a domestic abuser? They eagerly clicked on the 6DO in the pot, wanting to see who was talking nonsense. As soon as the 6DO appeared, two men with serious faces, who turned out to be your former boy band members, Chen Shuai and Yi Tian. Then, Chen Shuai spoke. Hello everyone, I am Chen Shuai. Lu Fen used to be a friend. Why used to? Because I'm ashamed to associate with someone like him. I know you don't believe it, but he is a domestic abuser. I have a phone recording as proof. Back then, he begged me to help him make a comeback, and I happened to record it. I never thought it would become evidence to expose his hypocrisy. I, Chen Shuai, dare to show my face, so I'm not afraid to confront him after he said this. Netizens were instantly silent. Speaking with such certainty and reporting with his real name made them waver for a moment. Then, Yi Tian also picked up his phone and shook it. I can testify. Everything Chen Shuai said is true. Now, let everyone hear the recording. After saying this, he directly pressed play. Netizens immediately pricked up their ears. They heard your voice coming from the phone. Brother Chen, do you think I can go back to the company? Chen Shuai's indifferent voice sounded. You've already married a popular star. Why do you still want so much? The next second, your voice came again, with a hint of frivolity. Women are like clothes, you know. Career is what matters. So you want to make a comeback? Can Shin Yuchu help with that? In the recording, you laughed, and said a sentence that made the entire internet explode. To be honest, I'm the bot in this family. If she dares not to, I'll just give her a beating. Women, you can't spoil them. The recording ended there, but the anger of the entire internet had completely erupted. Disgusting. Is this even a man? Just bullies his own woman. Not only female netizens turned into warriors and cursed, even the male netizens were furious. Then, in the 60O, Chen Shuai continued to add fuel to the fire with an angry face. Everyone heard that, right? This is your so-called wife-doting maniac. I, Chen Shuai, will never stand with a domestic abuser like him. The 60O ended abruptly, but the calm men's section was already in chaos. I was blind to lie someone lied this. Hearing that recording, I want to throw up. Lu Fen, how dirty is he behind the scenes? My heart is completely shattered. Countless people demanded that you come out and explain. And at that moment, you were quietly looking at your phone, listening to that recording. That familiar feeling of nausea rose again. You rushed into the bathroom and started vomiting. As if in an instant, you were back to that oppressive Lu Fen from before. Those things were all true. They had actually happened. You couldn't deny it. Shin Yuchu must have suffered even more in the past. Your phone rang crazily, but you didn't even look at it. For the first time, you chose to escape, burying yourself tightly under the covers, as if that would make you feel better. What hurt you wasn't being cursed at, but those memories flooding back. The suffering of Shin Yuchu and Wan Wan was vividly before your eyes. You realized you had never forgiven yourself, even though you were constantly trying to make up for it. It couldn't change the past. At the same time, in the apartment, Shin Yuchu was anxiously calling you over and over. After seeing the pot, she was extremely worried. No one knew the current you better than she did. She saw your changes. She saw you trying to atone bit by bit. She understood. She no longer cared about the past, but she knew the current you definitely couldn't forgive yourself. Yunjie and Zhao Chuchu beside her were full of sympathy, both angry and at a loss. The phone still couldn't get through. You seemed to have vanished into thin air. Shin Yuchu's heart tightened instantly. Wan Wan in her arms looked up. Mommy, are you calling Daddy? Mommy, why don't you go find Daddy? Wan Wan's words woke Shin Yuchu up. She couldn't sit still any longer. She stood up in a panic and stumbled out. She was coming to find you. Soon, Shin Yuchu ran to your door, out of breath. She bit her lip and knocked gently. No answer. She didn't hesitate. She knocked again and again. Today, she was determined to get you to open the door. You, under the covers, were finally startled by the persistent knocking. You dragged your heavy body and opened the door. What came into view was Shin Yuchu's reddened eyes. Just one day since you last saw her, you didn't even dare to look into her eyes. You stood at the door, at a loss. She must have seen that pot too. Was she thinking about the past again? You silently closed the door. Lie a prisoner about to be executed. What do you think? Your voice was hoarse, your heart full of fear. Now everyone knew. What would she do? Divorce? But just then, Shin Yuchu saw your expression and instantly became furious. She suddenly pulled you onto the bed, held your arm, and bit down hard. A sharp pain hit you, and you instantly snapped out of it. You instinctively wanted to pull your hand back, but you held back. Let her vent. It would make her feel better. Until Shin Yuchu let go, looked up and saw your gentle eyes. Her tears couldn't be held back anymore. You fool, she yelled, then pulled up your sleeve. A row of deep, bloody teeth marks on your arm was shocking. There, now we're even, Shin Yuchu said with a sob, and threw herself into your arms. You've been abused too.
We're even. You're not allowed to be sad anymore. At that moment, you were completely stunned. The fiery body in your arms felt so unreal. You couldn't believe it, so you touched her head. It was real. Your mood instantly soared from hell to heaven. You grinned. Shin Yuchu said, we're even. Ever since you traveled through time, you had been careful, always feeling indebted. Now, finally, someone told you, we're even. It felt so good. Tears couldn't stop falling. You weren't just redeeming them. You were redeeming yourself. You two hugged each other like fools, sobbing. After a long time, Shin Yuchu mumbled in your arms, from now on, don't do this anymore. Wan and I will worry about you. You nodded heavily, your voice hoarse. I won't. You always say that. Shin Yuchu looked up, her face red. Her eyes were red and watery as she looked at you. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. His eyes burst with barely contained excitement. Right. I think I remember that melody. What melody? You couldn't help but rub her little head. You're petting me like a dog. It's the song I've been working on. Inspiration just hit me. He broke free from your arms and struck while the iron was hot. You scratched your head with some regret. You took out manuscript paper from your bag and handed it to him. I was planning to write a song tonight, but you go ahead. Shin Yuchu blushed and nodded. She sat cross-legged on the bed and started composing quickly. He hummed a tune as his pen flew. In a short while, a complete piece of Myo-dike was on the paper. He looked up happily. Staring straight at you, he said, I finally made it. Do you want to take a look? You shook your head gently. I'd rather hear you sing it. Shin Yuchu's face turned even redder as she whispered, there are no lyrics yet, so humming is fine. You urged with a smile. Finally, he shyly nodded, with no accompaniment. Only her soft humming filled the air. But the moment the melody reached your ears, you were frozen in place. Your eyes were full of SOC. You had heard this melody before. It was from your original world, and you couldn't believe it. You continued to listen carefully, until the humming ended. Wait. You suddenly interrupted her. You hurriedly grabbed a pen and paper and started writing frantically. Shin Yuchu looked confused, but when she leaned in and saw what you were writing, her eyes suddenly lit up with brilliance. The paper boldly read, Courage, it was the lyrics. You had only heard him hum it once, and you wrote the lyrics. Shin Yuchu leaned in and was instantly thrilled. These lyrics were exactly what he had dreamed of, even better than he had imagined. She blushed. Her gaze shifted from the lyrics to your focused profile. At that moment, she inexplicably couldn't help but kiss your cheek. Your hand suddenly trembled. The ink instantly smudged. You felt as if struck by lightning. The wet, soft sensation on your face was as clear as a bren. You looked down at the lyrics on the paper. Your heart was already bursting with joy. This was the courage Shin Yuchu wanted, and Shin Yuchu panicked immediately after hearing it. She lowered her head, wishing she could find a hole to crawl into. Luckily, you didn't react. Otherwise, she would have fled in embarrassment. Of course, you knew she was thin-skinned, so you forced yourself to suppress your racing heart and continued writing the lyrics. Finally, you pretended to be casual as you handed the lyrics to him. See if you can sing it fully for me this time. After the song ended, you nodded with a smile. Great song. The next competition is in the bag. It's your lyrics that are good. Without my wife's melody, I wouldn't have thought of such a song. The mutual flattery begins. But as soon as the words my wife came out, Shin Yuchu was instantly overwhelmed. She buried her face in your arms like an ostrich, feeling both shy and sweet. But before you could fully enjoy the sight, a harsh phone ringtone suddenly shattered the romantic atmosphere in the room. You picked up the phone. The screen clearly showed the contact name Director Lee. You raised an eyebrow. It seemed Li Xia had also seen the pot. As soon as the call connected, you spoke calmly. Hello, what's up? Li Xia on the other end was clearly hesitant. She asked cautiously, there are some bad comments on Lai. Aren't you going to clarify? You instinctively looked at Shin Yuchu. She was pretending to focus on the Myo-dike sheet, but her wandering eyes gave her away. You winked playfully at her. Her face instantly turned bright red. She quickly looked away in panic. Then, you calmly dropped a bombshell into the phone. No need to clarify. It's all true. The other end of the line fell into dead silence. After a long pause, Li Xia's incredulous voice came through. Why? I don't believe the you I know. But you interrupted her, Director Lee. How much do you really know about me? What's on Lai is true. If you do wrong, you pay the price. As for the comments, let them talk. Your eyes never left Shin Yuchu. Extremely gentle. As long as the people I care about understand me, that's enough. Silence again on the phone. Li Xia's voice was clearly disappointed. Oku, I understand. I'll hang up now. As soon as you put down the phone, Shin Yuchu's voice came softly. You're too cold. That's not good. You were full of questions. Me, cold? But Shin Yuchu added another line. Her eyes darkened slightly. That older woman probably likes you. What? Li Xia likes me? You scratched your head, suddenly feeling a headache coming on. I only see her as a regular friend. But how do you know? Shin Yuchu suddenly looked up and stared at you. Her tone was extremely firm. I feel it. I trust my feelings. You scratched your head, looking sincere. You're wrong. I'm a married man with a child. It would be disrespectful to have feelings for someone else. Lop should be serious and devoted. Seeing your sincere gaze, Shin Yuchu nodded lightly. But inside, she felt a sense of urgency. You don't lie others, but that doesn't mean others don't lie you. That Yujia is way better than me. You looked at her with confusion, carefully recalling the conversation. Suddenly, you understood. A smile appeared in your eyes. You nudged her arm. Are you jealous? Shin Yuchu instantly panicked. Her face turned bright red. No, I'm not. Her voice was loud, but her reaction was even bigger. Case solved. She's jealous. The smile on your lips grew wider. You quietly watched her perform, but the more Shin Yuchu tried to hide it, the more flustered she became, both shy and annoyed. Finally, she couldn't bear your gaze anymore. She gave up and threw the Myo-dike sheet on the bed. Det, I am jealous. Who wouldn't be with such a beautiful woman liking you? Your smile grew bigger and bigger. The next second, you suddenly leaned in close to her. Your voice was full of temptation. How about I stamp you as mine? Then you won't be jealous anymore, right? Your face was very close. Your breath was hitting her face. Shin Yuchu's heart raced like a drum, beating faster and faster. It felt like it would jump out of her throat. Then, under your gaze, she slowly closed her eyes. Her little mouth pouted slightly, and your heart leaped with joy. You closed your eyes and slowly leaned in. Then, Shin Yuchu was about to participate in the new song competition's top 8 to top 4 round. She was currently practicing at Star Entertainment. You returned to the apartment. Only the nanny Yun Jie and your daughter Wan were home. Yun Jie had mixed feelings about you. She was grateful for your recent changes and help, but she also remembered how you had hurt Shin Yuchu before. However, seeing your care for your wife and daughter now, she felt relieved. She told you that Shin Yuchu was at the company. Upon hearing this, you decided to take Wan to visit her, to surprise your wife. At this time, the online criticism against you continued. Netizens had even formed a condemnation group, hoping Shin Yuchu would take this chance to divorce. But then, Shin Yuchu's Weibo suddenly updated. Hintpot, meeting a good man in this life. How fortunate. A gentleman corrects his mistakes. Everyone looks up to him. And so do I. These two sentences instantly caused an uproar among netizens. They all speculated whether Shin Yuchu was being controlled. You took Wan to Star Entertainment. You ran into Chen Qian, another contestant. Chen Qian was a fan of Shin Yuchu. After meeting you in person, she thought you were handsome and asked for your autograph. Then you went to the recording studio. Through the glass, you watched Shin Yuchu singing seriously. Your eyes were full of tenderness as the song ended. Shin Yuchu was overjoyed to see you and your daughter. She shyly and sweetly called out, "Husband." The second round of the new song competition arrived as scheduled. The buzz was unprecedented. You and Wan wore masks and quietly arrived at the venue. Shin Yuchu's opponent was Xiao Feibai from Shengshe Entertainment. Before the competition started, the audience loudly questioned Shin Yuchu. Was the Weibo pot written by her, or was she coerced? Shin Yuchu's gaze was firm. Looking at you in the audience, she loudly declared, "I like him. I like Lu Fen. He's a good man. Some loves are destined." Then the big screen showed the song title, Courage, lyrics by Lu Fen, composition by Lu Fen. The prelude of Shin Yuchu's song began. Shin Yuchu sang with deep emotion. The lyrics struck a chord. This blatant confession made the entire audience and netizens go wild. It turned out this wasn't a criticism session but a lock fest. The song turned the tide of public opinion. Everyone started blessing this mutually devoted couple. In the end, Shin Yuchu advanced to the top 4 with a high vote count. After the Met, Star Entertainment issued a statement clarifying that you had not been abusive. The two of you were mutually devoted. That night, you held Shin Yuchu's hand and strolled through the streets. You acted like a couple in love, visiting snack streets and watching movies. In the cinema, you couldn't help but steal a kiss from Shin Yuchu, making her shy. Although there were still some small misunderstandings and disagreements between you, your feelings were rapidly warming up. After a brief reunion, you took Wan back to Jiangchang. Shin Yuchu stayed in Modu to prepare. Back in Jiangchang, you were busy finding a kindergarten for Wan. Although you missed the registration period, thanks to Bufon's little princess's popularity, you successfully enrolled her in Jianghua kindergarten. Meanwhile, a conspiracy was brewing in Modu. Yingping, a former executive of Star Entertainment, sought revenge. He teamed up with new song competition mentors Wang Bin and Ran Xiaoxiao, planning to rig the next Met. To make Shin Yuchu lose to Chen Qian, he also brought in the so-called Mo-Dike godfather, Wu Mian, to write songs for Chen Qian. The third round of the new song competition, top 4 to top 2, Shin Yuchu versus Chen Qian. Host Chen Shuier deliberately stirred things up, asking Shin Yuchu, "Is the new song still written by you?" Shin Yuchu handled it calmly. During the Met, Shin Yuchu performed a song called Sea of Flowers with a beautiful prelude, instantly immersing the audience in the mood. Shin Yuchu's singing was heartfelt. It felt like a personal concert. The whole place erupted in applause. In comparison, Chen Qian's sweet song was decent, but it paled in comparison to Sea of Flowers. However, the voting round had a twist. Although Yao Yu voted for Shin Yuchu, Shui Yu gave Chen Qian a friendly vote, but Wang Bing and Ran Xiaoxiao both voted for Chen Qian, putting Chen Qian ahead, shocking the audience. Cries of rage arose. But at the critical moment, Shui Yu stepped forward. "Excuse me, host, let me interrupt. There's a problem with the votes here. I need to apologize to Shin Yuchu and the audience. I'm sorry. I previously received a message from Yingping, the operations director of Star Entertainment. He told me that Chen Qian and Shin Yuchu are both from Star Entertainment. If the gap between them was too big, he asked me to give Chen Qian a friendly vote so she wouldn't lose too badly. But now it's made Chen Qian advance. I feel responsible. Today, because of me, Shin Yuchu was eliminated. I resign as a mentor for the new song competition." Chen Qian directly announced her withdrawal, stating that Shin Yuchu's Sea of Flowers was far superior to hers. The truth came out. The show's director, Ren Xiao, quickly stepped in to salvage the situation, announcing a revote and removing the involved mentors. In the end, Shin Yuchu successfully advanced. Afterward, Yingping was fired from Star Entertainment. The involved mentors were also disgraced. Wu Mian, because his song lost to yours, held a grudge. He openly challenged you on Weibo and issued a challenge to compete in the finals. Wu Mian's challenge exploded on the internet and media. They hyped up the old versus new showdown. You didn't back down. You replied, "If you want war, then war it is." Shengshe Entertainment took the chance to invite Wu Mian to write a song for finalist Miao Ayun. The first round of the finals had the theme of tragedy and horror. This was a golden opportunity for Wu Mian, who excelled in this style. For you, it was a new challenge. Shin Yuchu was worried about this, but you seemed confident. To find inspiration, Shin Yuchu even watched horror movies with you. She ended up getting scared herself, which actually led to some intimate moments between you. The next day, you came up with a new song. On the night of the finals, all eyes were on it. Miao Anyun took the stage first, performing Wu Mian's song Cancer's Change. The first half described a cancer patient's pain. The second half was a depressing instrumental piece. Although somewhat obscure, it was highly artistic. Wu Mian was very confident. Then, Shin Yuchu took the stage, wearing a red wedding dress and a phoenix crown. Her makeup was tragic and sorrowful, her eyes empty. The song title Jian slowly appeared, and the Mo-Dike began. Eru and Peepa wove a melancholic melody. Shin Yuchu's opening opera-style vocals stunned the audience. The lyrics described a ghost marriage. Not a single word mentioned sadness, but every line sent chills. As the song progressed, the swona suddenly sounded, pushing the atmosphere to its peak. The bone-deep sorrow and fear made the entire audience's skin crawl. Shin Yuchu's performance, without blinking, was hailed by netizens as the most beautiful ghost bride. She defeated Cancer's Change with overwhelming superiority. Shin Yuchu won with a 4-0 mentor vote and an 88 audience vote. A complete victory. Wu Mian was utterly defeated. He kept his promise, gave up the title of Mo-Dike godfather, and apologized. After the Met, you waited for Shin Yuchu outside the venue. Shin Yuchu told you Zhao Chuchu had already left. She didn't have the apartment keys. You both tacitly went to a hotel. The hotel room atmosphere was both romantic and tense. When you came out of the shower, you found Shin Yuchu crying. She opened up, feeling she wasn't good enough for you. The closer she got, the more afraid she was of losing you. You gently cupped her face, told her you used to be insecure too. She was the one who made your heart race. This was all the best arrangement from heaven. Heaven's arrangement is the greatest. Your words made Shin Yuchu smile through her tears. You held each other tightly. At that moment, you finally fully understood each other's feelings. Your hearts were completely open to each other. On the road ahead, you would walk together. Whether through storms or glory, you would face it all together.